I thought the high society heiress was a poor student, spending 3,000 yuan a month to keep her by my side for 3 whole years, until after graduating from college, I was forced to go home for an arranged marriage with my childhood sweetheart. Before I left, I gave her a check for 1,000 yuan. Let's end it here. I have to go home and get married. Unexpectedly, that little vixen immediately flew into a rage. Gu Xian, you want to dump me? Do you know who I am? But I didn't pay her any mind. I tossed the check and hurried back home, until we met again at a high society party 3 days later. She stood by the host's seat, like a moon surrounded by stars, while my parents were constantly bowing and scraping before her. I was stunned on the spot. How could the little songbird I'd kept for so long suddenly turn into a high society princess? By now, the party was halfway through. Guests were taking turns going to the main table to offer toasts. My fiancé, Wen Yueting, also stood up and took my arm. Let's go toast old Master Xia. The main table was surrounded by people. The old master had already left the table. Only Xia Qing Shui remained to greet the guests. Seeing that the people ahead had finished their toasts and left, Wen Yuting politely carried her wine glass and walked up to Xia Qing Shu. Miss Xia, I am Wen Yueting from the Wen Group in Rongcheng. I've long heard of your reputation. I'd like to offer you a toast. Wen Yueting held the wine glass with both hands, offering it. She was waiting for Xi Qing Shu to clink glasses with her, but Xia Qing Shui showed no intention of picking up her glass. Everyone around was curious about what the Wen family had done to offend this great princess of the Xia family. Even Wen Yueting was extremely surprised. Before today, the Wen Group and the Xi family had never had any contact. She had also never met Xia Qing Shui. Wen Yuting showed a look of anxiety and confusion. Miss Xia, may I be so bold as to ask, has the Wen family offended you in some way? But Xia Qing Shui suddenly stood up. Her gaze went past Wen Yueting and landed on the man standing behind her. His expression was extremely indifferent. His cold, pale skin gave him an ethereal, otherworldly aura, untouched by worldly dust, but a slight ripple of emotion could be heard in her voice. You'll have to ask Mr. Gu about that. Immediately, all eyes turned to the man behind Wen Yueting. Many people had already noticed from the beginning this man in the suit. He looked like a star who had stepped right off the screen. That face was truly handsome to the extreme. Countless probing, assessing gazes fell upon me one after another. I hadn't expected this woman to make things difficult for me right here. Wen Yueting had now turned around. She looked at me with a bone-chilling gaze. Her voice was filled with accusation. Gu Xian, hurry up and explain what's going on. Wen Yueting felt as if she had just been struck on the head. Why would he know Xia Qing Shui and even offend her? Could there be something between them? I took a step forward and said with a smile, I didn't expect Miss Xia to hold such a grudge. It was just that 3 years ago, while out, I accidentally scratched Miss Xia's beloved car. At the time, I didn't know your identity, so I just left 1,000 yuan and went on my way. I never thought Miss Xia would still remember it so clearly. Backed into a corner, I was forced to make up a lie. I couldn't just say that I had slept with her for 3 years and then dumped her a few days ago. That's how I offended her. Could I say that? After hearing that, everyone around understood. Wen Yueting also unconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. It was unclear why she had felt so anxious just now, thinking that there was some shady relationship between us. Then Wen Yueting shouted coldly, Miss Xia's car must be priceless. Your 1,000 yuan is an insult. Hurry up and apologize to Miss Xia. Everyone saw Wen Yuting's attitude towards me and sighed that a live-in son-in-law truly has no dignity, being coldly scolded like that in the middle of a crowd. But I wasn't bothered at all. I raised my glass and walked towards Xia Qing Shui. 3 years ago, I had eyes, but failed to see Mount Tai. I have offended you. Today, here, I would like to apologize to Miss Xia. I hope you, in your magnanimity, will not hold it against me. Hearing this, Xia Qing Shui gave a meaningful smile. Sir, do you intend to erase with just 1 glass of wine the frustration I've held in my heart for the past 3 years? I put on a remorseful expression and continued. Then how can Miss Xia be appeased? Xia Qing Shu picked up an unopened bottle of white wine from the table. 1 glass won't do. A bottle might be considered. Everyone sighed inwardly. This high society heiress is truly too petty, holding a grudge for 3 whole years over a single car scratch. Everyone reminded themselves never to offend her in the future, while also looking at me with sympathetic eyes. But someone beside her had already started pouring the wine. 1 bottle filled 10 glasses, which were lined up neatly on the table. Xia Qing Xu's eyes stared at me. Mr. Gu, please. I smiled. Suddenly, I felt that using a bottle of wine to sever this ill-fated 3-year bond wasn't a bad choice. I walked over quickly and picked up one of the glasses. Miss Xia, you must keep your word. After I finish this wine, the score between us will be settled. You must also drop your prejudice against the Wen Group. Xia Qing Shui smiled and nodded. Of course. Her voice sounded a little cheerful. I had just raised the glass to drink when someone beside me spoke softly. This Mr. Gu is really magnanimous. Mr. Gu is doing this for the sake of the Wen group, while his wife over there looks completely uninvolved. She doesn't even know how to protect her own husband. These words clearly reached Wen Yueting's ears. Her expression became extremely unsightly, turning pale one moment, then flushing red with shame the next. Finally, she had to speak up. He is my husband. I can drink with him. I thought Shai Qing Shui would refuse. Unexpectedly, she said casually, Miss Wen is indeed a good wife. Go on. Drink. Wen Yuting was in a dilemma. She had to brace herself and down the glass of white wine in one go. As soon as she finished the glass, Wen Yuting couldn't take it and started to sway, as if she would collapse at any second. I knew better than anyone that Wen Yuting's alcohol tolerance was very low. There are still 8 glasses left. Let me drink them. After saying that, I picked up the glasses on the table and drank them one after another. Soon, only the last glass remained. Everyone around was extremely astonished. Men who can drink are not rare, but to drink in a way that is so beautifully and charismatically is truly one of a kind. Even while drinking, his posture was very composed. He even exuded an innate, languid charisma. When I put the glass down, the people around suddenly started applauding spontaneously. Meanwhile, my expression remained unchanged. Only my cheeks had a faint rosy blush, which made me look even more attractive and vibrant. The wine is finished. Miss Xia, you must not be angry anymore. Right? My words naturally carried a hidden meaning. Xia Qing Xu's expression suddenly became colder than before. After a long while, she finally parted her red lips slightly. Mr. Gu and Miss Wen are truly deeply in love. After speaking, she turned and sat down, seemingly having lost all interest. Others also hurried forward to offer toasts. This little incident was considered over. I helped Wen Yueting leave and returned to our seats. Wen Yueting felt extremely unwell. Her stomach was churning violently. She was about to throw up. She forced herself to get up and said in a weak voice, I am going to the restroom for a bit. I sat there in a daze. My gaze unconsciously drifted towards the main table. While I was lost in thought, I suddenly felt a cold sensation on my chest. A glass of red wine had been poured all over me, followed by Gu Haoming's fake apology. Oops, sorry, brother. I was going to offer a toast. When I passed by you, I accidentally tripped on the carpet. I looked up, a flash of anger in my eyes. Gu Haoming definitely did it on purpose. Earlier, when he saw me getting attention at the main table, everyone was talking and praising my forthright character, so he just wanted to embarrass me. After speaking, Gu Haoming turned to the side. Mom, what should I do? I accidentally dirtied brother's shirt. Qin Huilan glanced at me with a cold expression. Your brother has taken so many things from you since you were little. It's just a set of clothes. He won't hold it against you. After saying that, she led Gu Haoming away. As he was leaving, Gu Haoming turned his head back and gave me a triumphant, provocative smile. Looking at Qin Huilan's retreating back, I still felt a pang in my heart. Suddenly, I remembered 3 years ago. On the night of the DNA test results, Qin Huilan slapped me twice, hard. So you're that bitch, son. I actually treated my enemy's son like a treasure and raised him for so many years. You should just die. Why don't you just drop dead? It's been 3 years. Every time I remember it, my chest still aches with sharp pains. People around me had started looking at me and whispering, that's too much. That Gu Haoming clearly did it on purpose. And Mrs. Gu, how could she be so biased? Even if he's not her biological son, she still raised him for 20 years. Could it be that she has no feelings for him at all? The young ladies who witnessed this scene all felt very indignant on my behalf. They surrounded me to ask questions and comfort me. I waved my hand, saying I was fine. At that moment, old master Xia walked over, being doused with so much wine like this. You can't possibly clean it yourself. Linger. Quickly. Take Mr. Gu to get a clean set of clothes to change into. Mr. Gu, please follow me upstairs. I will find you a new set of clothes. I looked up. The one who had just spoken was the second miss of the Xia family, Xia Wanling. I didn't refuse any further. Then I'll have to trouble you, second miss. I followed Jia Wanling to the side elevator and went upstairs. Then we walked through a long, winding corridor. There was a section of the corridor from which one could get a panoramic view of the entire banquet hall on the first floor. When I looked towards the main table, I noticed that Xie King Shui was no longer there. Very quickly, Xia Wanling opened a door. Mr. Gu, please wait here for a moment. I'll go get clothes for you. I nodded slightly and stepped into the room. Just a moment later, Xia Wanling returned. In her hands, she held a brand new white shirt and trousers. I am not sure if this size will fit you. I nodded in response. It's fine. Thank you very much. Xia Wanling smiled and said, then I'll take my leave first. Please come downstairs after you've changed. After saying that, she skipped out happily, not forgetting to close the door behind her. I walked towards the sofa and started taking off my clothes. When I was only halfway through undressing, I suddenly heard a noise at the door. The door was unexpectedly pushed open without any warning. I turned my head reflexively and met the beautiful, crystal-cold eyes of a woman. Xia Qing Shui saw me changing clothes right in front of her. A hint of surprise also flashed in her eyes. She strode into the room on her long legs and quickly closed the door while looking at me. When I saw the face of the person who had entered clearly, I felt a little more at ease. Miss Xia, Xia Qing Shui stared at me and asked, "Why are you here?" I explained. My shirt was accidentally splashed with red wine, so I came in here to change into a new set of clothes. Xia Qing Shui glanced at me. "Don't you know this is my room?" I was a bit stunned. I really didn't know. Miss Wanling didn't say that. She just said this room is unoccupied all year round. Xia Qing Shu raised an eyebrow slightly. She wasn't wrong. For the past 3 years, I've been living at Star River Villa. As soon as Star River Villa was mentioned, the atmosphere suddenly became strangely awkward. Memories of the two of us unconsciously surfaced in my mind. Every little thing that had happened at that villa. Seeing the rosy blush on my cheeks, her mood seemed to have improved a lot. "Go ahead and change first. We'll talk later." I suddenly realized I was still undressed. Miss Xia must have heard the saying, "Do not look at what is improper." Xia Qing Zhue walked over and sat on the sofa where I had placed my clothes. Her gaze on me became even more bold and unrestrained. This woman, casually teasing me right now, was the real her, the one I had kept for the past 3 years. We couldn't even remember how many times we had slept together. We had seen everything there was to see countless times. I calmly put down the old clothes in my hand and reached for the new set on the sofa to change. In that moment, my perfect physique with its 10-pack abs was completely exposed before her. Xia Qing Xu's pupils suddenly constricted. Memories flooded her mind relentlessly. Finally, she reached out her slender arms and wrapped them tightly around my waist. A passionate and fiery kiss came unexpectedly. I no longer resisted. How enchanting this woman's kiss was. I had experienced it most clearly. Since I was getting another free taste anyway, why not enjoy it? While the two of us were kissing passionately, my phone suddenly rang. I tried to push the woman clinging to me away. "There's a call." Xia Qing Shui swatted my phone aside. "Just ignore it." How could a woman lost in passion let me go so easily? Just as she was about to go further, I smiled and said, "It's a call from my wife. I have to answer it." That sentence immediately killed Xia Qing Su's mood. She got off me and stood up. I took the opportunity to pick up the phone and answer. "Where did you run off to?" When Yue Ting's voice sounded much more sober, I explained calmly, "My shirt got red wine on it. It'll be out as soon as I am changed." "You're always so much trouble." When Yue Ting said that one sentence and then hung up. After hanging up, I started to get dressed. At this moment, Xia Qing Shui, who was standing nearby, spoke up. "Gu Xian, we need to talk." After getting dressed, I turned to look at Xia Qing Shui. "Talk about what?" Xia Qing Shui looked at me with a very serious expression. "Leave Wen Yu Ting and come to me." Hearing that, I couldn't help but laugh. Xia Qing Xu's eyebrows furrowed slightly. "What are you laughing at?" I glanced at her. "You want me to give up my status as the Wen family's son-in-law to become your secret lover?" Xia Qing Shui frowned at me. "Is that live-in son-in-law status really worth clinging to?" I nodded in confirmation. Of course, the Wen family may not be on par with the Xa family, but being the Wen family's son-in-law is far more respectable than being your nameless, secret lover. Xia Qing Shu persisted. "I never intended for you to be a secret lover." I looked at her with a questioning expression. "Could it be that you want to marry me?" Hearing that question, Xia Qing Shui suddenly fell silent, not saying another word. I just smiled lightly, feigning indifference. "Miss Xia, we were just having fun, that's all. Why do you have to take it so seriously? You've had a lot of fun these past 3 years, and I've had fun too. You didn't mind my carelessness and rudeness towards you, and I won't hold your deceit and disguise against you. Let's just end things amicably, shall we?" I really couldn't understand this woman's mentality. She was clearly a noble young lady, yet she was willing to be kept by me like a third party. I started to recall the past 3 years. It's true that I was often careless with her. Many times, I didn't even bother to answer her calls. I also stood her up quite a few times. Sometimes, when I was upset, I even took it out on her. I had only ever seen her as an outlet for my emotions, a pet to amuse myself with. Called her when I wanted, shooed her away when I didn't. If I had known her true identity from the beginning, I admit I wouldn't have dared, not even if I had 10 times the courage. But even so, for 3 years, she never revealed a single word about her identity. Could it be that high society heiresses are born masochists? Xia Qing Xu's eyes turned incredibly cold. Her cold, porcelain-white skin made her look like an enraged vampire, as if she were ready to pounce and bite through my veins, to drain me of my blood instantly. "Gu Xian, do you love your wife?" I nodded slightly. "Of course I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have married her." Xia Qing Shui frowned, looking straight at me. "She doesn't love you at all. She has a lover on the side." I looked at her and replied nonchalantly, "I know that." The more Xia Qing Shu heard, the more confused she became. "You knew? Then why do you still love her?" I explained calmly. "She and I have been together for over 10 years. We're childhood sweethearts. That deep bond is something not everyone can understand. Besides, we were engaged since we were children. If it weren't for the incident that year, why would I have to become a live-in son-in-law? Furthermore, everyone in the Wen family treats me very well. So being a live-in son-in-law is no problem at all. Perhaps there's a misunderstanding between Wen Yue Ting and me right now, but I am sure that one day she will come back to me." The truth is, I had long since lost all feelings for Wen Yue Ting, but saying this might help me settle things once and for all to make this high society heiress completely give up the idea. Xia Qing Shui looked at me with extreme anger. So you chose to have an affair and keep me like this? Was I just a tool for you to get revenge on your wife? I paused for a moment, then answered honestly, that's right. After saying that, I added another explanation, but at that time, I had no idea about your real identity. If I had known, I definitely would never have dared to touch you. Xia Qing Shui suddenly burst out laughing. Her smile was filled with sarcasm and irony. To think that, for the past 3 years, I, Xia Qing Shui, have been nothing but someone else's tool for revenge. Oh, Gu Xian, you're really something. Seeing her expression now, a bad premonition suddenly rose in my heart. Sure enough, the next second she stood up and grabbed my chin tightly. Gu Xian, in this world, no one has ever been able to treat me as a tool, to be used and then thrown away. If anyone's doing the dumping, it should be me dumping you. With that, Xia Qing Shui strode decisively out of the room. I was stunned for a moment, then also quietly walked out. After throwing up, Wen Yue Ting seemed much more sober. She saw that I had changed into a different outfit, but didn't bother to ask what had happened. When the party finally ended, Wen Yue Ting and I left the Sai family's villa together. I rolled down the car window, feeling a strange sense of frustration and unease in my heart. It felt like I had just offended some powerful figure. After the car entered the downtown area, it suddenly stopped at a subway entrance. Wen Yu Ting kept her eyes closed, not even sparing me a glance. Gu Xian, I am busy tonight, so I won't be going back to the old house. Take a car back yourself. Where was Wen Yu Ting going? I knew it all too well in my heart. I knew my place and got out of the car. Then I hailed a taxi myself to go back to the Wen family's old house. When my mother-in-law saw only me returning, she could already guess the situation. She was about to go find her and bring her home personally. But in the end, I stopped her. Let it be. Mom, her mind is no longer in this house. Even if you bring her back, it's just an empty shell. Just let her be. After saying that, I quietly went straight upstairs. My mother-in-law rarely saw me so dazed and dejected. She had no idea what had happened today. It wasn't until a week later that Wen Yu Ting finally came home. During that week, my life went on as usual. Only one thing had changed. I never set foot in Star River Villa again. Before, I used to go there 2 or 3 times a week, but since that fateful party, I never saw Xia Qing Shui again. Had she really let me go? The days passed peacefully, but I always felt uneasy in my heart. The night Wen Yu Ting returned, Mother Wen flew into a rage at the dinner table. Do you still even have this family in your heart? From this day on, if you stay out all night again, then I'll consider myself as not having this daughter. Wen Yu Ting was also a bit wary. She pouted and said, Mom, I just came back. I am still not used to the work at the company. I've been working so hard, I forget to eat and sleep. These past few days, I've been sleeping at the company. I only came back today because of work. Father Wen also spoke up. That's right. I've already asked Secretary Zhang. Yu Weiding has been sleeping at the company's apartment for the past 2 days. Mother Wen's expression changed slightly. She changed the subject. Is work going smoothly, dear? Wen Yue Ting put down her chopsticks and snorted coldly. Thanks to someone's blessing. It's not going smoothly at all. Father Wen frowned and asked what was wrong. Wen Yu Ting spoke up. Today, the Xia family's Suian group opened a public bid, but we were the only ones who didn't receive an invitation. It's all thanks to your precious son-in-law. Hearing this, I was stunned for a moment. I remembered a time before. I saw Xia Qing Shui coming out of the Shuian building. At that time, I joked, Darling, did you change jobs? I remember her reply back then. I am the owner of this building. At the time, I laughed at her for being delusional. After that, Xia Qingzue got into my car understandingly. We went to Star River Villa together. We had only been together for 2 months then. Our feelings were passionate. We spent our nights in bliss. It turns out she had been hinting at it since then. I couldn't help but feel a little regretful for getting involved with a woman like her. After hearing what Wen Yue Ting said, Mother Wen immediately spoke up to defend me. Shi An doesn't work at the Wen group. What does this have to do with him? Wen Yu Ting's voice rose a few notches. Who told him 3 years ago too? Often the great miss of the Xia family, and even threw 1,000 yuan to insult her. Wen Yue Ting recounted everything that happened. At Old Master Xia's birthday banquet, the atmosphere at the dinner table suddenly became eerily silent. A glint of satisfaction flashed in Wen Yu Ting's eyes. Gu Xian, you caused this trouble, so you go clean up this mess yourself. After a long while, Grandpa Wen finally spoke. If we really can't get this project, then so be it. Wen Yu Ting was a bit agitated. Grandpa, didn't you tell me before that this project is crucial to the survival of the Wen family? Why is it that whenever Gu Xian is involved, you just say to forget it? Is the survival of the Wen family less important then? Gu Xian's pride, the resentment in Wen Yue Ting's heart, finally couldn't be contained and burst out. How can you be so biased? Gu Xian is just a fake young master of the Gu family. I am your real granddaughter. Even the Gu family doesn't want to acknowledge him anymore. Why do you still care about him? The old man's tone seemed extremely disappointed. I don't care what Xiao An's identity is. I only know that from the moment he was born, I was the first person to hold him. Our Wen family watched him grow up day by day. The Gu family bears a grudge against him because of some past grievances, but our Wen family doesn't care about those things. You should understand. The grudges of the previous generation have nothing to do with Xiao An. The boy was just a victim from the beginning to the end. It's one thing if you don't feel sorry for him, but do you really want to join others in trampling on him? Wen Yuting listened for a while. Then she immediately stood up and left the dining table. She felt incredibly wronged in her heart. The Wen family treats Go Shi and Wei too well. Ever since he had problems at the Gu family's house, the Wen family has always protected him anytime, anywhere. Even forcing him to marry into the Wen family was just to give him a place to stay, a shelter from the elements. When Yu Ting walked away, annoyed, and happened to bump into me as I was coming downstairs to eat, I looked at Grandfather Wen and said, "Grandfather, tomorrow, I'll bring some gifts to the Shui and group to apologize to Miss Shia. I will definitely win back the bidding qualification for our family." Wen Yue Ting scoffed coldly. "Fine, then I'll wait to see the bidding documents from Shui and tomorrow. Don't disappoint me." Wen Yue Ting didn't believe I could succeed at all, because she had experienced the pettiness and vindictiveness of the great miss of the Shia family. If apologizing worked, she wouldn't have said that. In fact, Wen Yue Ting had personally gone there several times these past few days, but Xia Qing Sui absolutely refused to see her. The last time, she even had security kick her out, leaving her completely humiliated. All of this was caused by Gu Xianen, so he should also get a taste of being thrown out by security in front of everyone. Early the next morning, I drove to the Shuian building. I parked in the outdoor parking lot. I looked up at the skyscraper. The two golden characters X Shui and sparkled in the morning light. The Shui and building was completed less than 3 years ago, but it had already become an iconic landmark in Rongcheng. I thought it was the company of some newly rich tech mogul. I never expected it to be a branch of the Xia family's corporation. I walked into the first floor lobby of Shuian and went to the reception desk. "Hello. May I ask which floor Xia Qing Xu's office is on?" The receptionist heard me say Xia Qing Xu's full name, and the expressions on their faces varied. The tallest girl with a pointy chin spoke up. "How dare you say CEO Xia's name so casually? What is your relationship with our CEO Xiao?" I almost blurted out that I was her sugar baby, but I still smiled and explained. "I am here representing the Wen Group to discuss business with Miss Shia." In the pointy-chinned girl's eyes, there was a clear look of contempt. The Wen family is really ruthless. Planning to use a honey trap, are we? Too bad. Our CEO Xie has given instructions. No one from the Wen family is allowed through this door. With that, she raised her hand to call security. Before I was escorted out, I said to the security guard, "Excuse me, let me make a phone call first." The security guard quietly stood by, waiting for me to make the call. The four receptionists started whispering among themselves. The Wen family is truly wicked. The CEO of the Wen family came in person 4 times before, but CEO Xia didn't give her any face at all. They must be really desperate, to the point of sending a handsome guy here. Seeing me hang up, the receptionist eagerly ordered the guards, "What are you guys standing there for? Hurry up and kick him out." At the same time, the phone at the reception desk rang. The receptionist glanced at it. It turned out to be a call from CEO Xia's office. Having worked at Shu In for 3 years, she had never received a call from CEO Xia's office. She cautiously picked up the phone. A sweet female voice came from the other end. "Let him come up." The receptionist hung up the phone. Her expression changed rapidly. It seemed she still hadn't recovered from the shock. The person next to her asked curiously, "Who called?" It was CEO Xia. Actually, Xia Qing Shui is a very private person. She never accepts interviews from outsiders. The outside world knows almost nothing about her, but as the company's idlest and most gossipy receptionists, they naturally knew all the information about CEO Xia, so of course they could recognize the voice on the other end of the line. The way the receptionist looked at me was now completely different. "CEO Xia's office is on the 32nd floor. I said, thank you, and walked straight towards the elevator. The elevator quickly stopped at the 32nd floor, crossing a long corridor. I stood before the door of the president's office. I didn't hesitate. I raised my hand and knocked. The person who opened the door was a woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses. She looked very elegant and intellectual. She introduced herself. "I am Gao Qin, CEO Xia's secretary. CEO Xia is still in a meeting. Mr. Gu, you can sit here and wait for a moment. With the relationship between you and CEO Xia, just make yourself at home." I was stunned. Immediately after, my ears turned red. Maybe I should wait in the reception room. It's more convenient. It seems this Secretary Gao already knew clearly everything between me and Xia Qing Shui. If that's the case, then I don't need to pretend anymore. After pouring me a glass of water, Secretary Gao also left the office. I sat on the sofa and looked around the room. The office was very spacious, like a luxury apartment. Besides the work area, there were other functional rooms. I turned around. My gaze fell upon the large desk. There was a very eye-catching crystal photo frame. In the photo was a boy about 4 or 5 years old. He was still holding a Gao Ranger action figure in his hand. The boy was smiling brightly, looking extremely happy. The resolution of the photo wasn't very high. It looked like an old photo from many years ago. The boy's face was also a bit blurry, but the bright smile on his lips shone like a ray of morning sun. It seemed capable of dispelling all the darkness in one's heart, although I didn't know the boy in the photo. This picture gave me a very familiar feeling. As I picked up the photo to take a closer look, the office door suddenly opened. A beautiful figure appeared at the door. Xia Qingsui saw me holding the photo and examining it. Her eyebrows furrowed slightly, but she still didn't enter completely. It seemed like she was waiting to see what I would ask. I smiled, gently raising the photo in my hand. Then I asked casually, "Is this your son?" Xia Qingshu frowned even more tightly. She walked over with a speechless expression on her face. She snatched the photo and put it back in its place. "Son, my ass." I burst out laughing. The great Miss Xia actually curses. However, what Xia Qingsui just said made me feel much closer to her. Because before, when we talked, we were always this natural and unrestrained. The look in Xia Qingxu's eyes returned to its usual coldness. "What do you want to see me for?" Xia Qingxu's words exuded a clear indifference and distance. Actually, over the past 3 years, I had never seen this woman be cold. In fact, my impression of her was always one of warmth and clinginess and an endless coyness. But the person standing before me now exuded a bone-chilling coldness from head to toe. How could a person's aura change so much in just a few short days? So, between the her of now and the her of those 3 years, which one is her true self? I also adopted a serious tone to discuss business. Regarding the matter between us, can we not drag the Wen family into this? They're one of the top 10 construction companies in the country. Can't Shui and at least give them a chance to bid? Xia Qingshui sat down in her office chair. She casually picked up a file from the desk. Her voice was still as indifferent as before. "So, when Yuting sent you here?" I shook my head and replied, "I came here on my own. I know I've offended you, but I believe you're someone who can separate business from personal matters." A smile flickered across her fair, cold face. "Mr. Gu, you don't have to flatter me like that. The thing I am best at is making generalizations and letting personal matters ruin business." A look of helplessness appeared in my eyes. "What will it take for you to give the Wen family a chance?" Xia Qingshui gently patted the empty space next to her. "Come here." I walked towards her and naturally sat down beside her. Xia Qingshui suddenly turned and sat on my lap. Her eyes suddenly darkened. On countless nights before, we would often start like this. The woman let out a soft laugh. Then she immediately lifted my chin and gave me a passionate kiss. I had never been so obedient. Before, I was always the one being pleasured. But today, for a rare moment, I had the desire to coax this woman. Xia Qingshui was clearly getting lost in the moment. Looking into her eyes that were gradually becoming hazy, I moved away from her soft lips and leaned close to her ear, speaking in a seductive tone. "Send a bidding invitation to the Wen family." "Okay." Xia Qingxu's gaze suddenly became profound. The mist in the depths of her eyes seemed to be slowly dissipating. She and I had been kissing for so long, and yet, I could still be calculating this in my head. Xia Qingshui gently squeezed my chin. Our eyes met. Her beautiful eyes were incredibly clear at this moment. "A honey trap in broad daylight doesn't work on me." I glanced at her. "If it doesn't work, why didn't you say so sooner? You made me put on a show for nothing." Xia Qingshu seemed to be suppressing a ball of anger in her chest. This man was truly heartless and ruthless. When he saw she was no longer of any use, he immediately changed his attitude without a moment's hesitation. Just now, she had almost given in. So it turns out he was just acting. At this point, I spoke again. "Is there really no other way for this matter?" Xia Qingshui stared at me. A flash of helplessness crossed her eyes. She knew very well. If she were to say a firm no right now, this man would definitely turn and leave without any hesitation, because he only had that much patience for her. Thinking of this, Xia Qingshui said, "Agree to one condition of mine, and it'll give the Wen family a chance." "What condition?" "Move out of the Wen family's house and move into the Xinghe villa." The Xinghe villa was originally mine, but on the day we broke up a few days ago, I had already given it to Xia Qingshui. Without any hesitation, I nodded in agreement immediately. "Fine. Then send the bidding invitation to the Wen family now." Seeing me answer so decisively, a hint of suspicion flashed in Xia Qingxu's eyes, but she had no way to verify it at the moment. Nevertheless, since I had agreed, she also kept her promise and sent the bidding invitation to the Wen family. Elsewhere, Wen Yueting was busy in a meeting at the company. Of the more than 10 current projects of the Wen family, half of them were losing money. Some projects even had huge deficits. If they couldn't win this resort project, the Wen group would probably be in real danger. But thousands of companies across the country were eyeing this lucrative prize. In Rongqing alone, there were hundreds of competitors. Ironically, Xu Wen hadn't sent a bidding invitation to the Wen family. Winning this project seemed impossible. For the past few days, they had been in meetings from early morning until late at night, just to find a way to make Xia Qingshu change her mind. They even started researching her personal preferences, but a wealthy young lady like her lacked nothing in the world. Just as Wen Yuting was feeling extremely troubled, her secretary suddenly rushed into the room with a laptop. CEO. Wen Yuting frowned and looked over. "What's the matter? Why are you in such a hurry? Can't you see we're in a meeting?" the secretary said excitedly. "Xu An has sent us the bidding documents." Wen Yuting froze for a moment. Then she immediately shot up, excited. "Really? Let me see." Wen Yueting hurriedly checked the email. It was indeed the bidding invitation from Xuan. She could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But immediately after, Her face was filled with doubt. Why would Shu En suddenly change their mind like this? The quick-witted secretary replied, perhaps Miss Xiao was moved by the CEO's sincerity. Wen Yue Ting's expression became thoughtful. She had gone to see her in person 4 times, but Shu En and still didn't give the Wen family a single chance. And yet today, right after Gu Xian went there, the Wen family immediately received the bidding invitation. Could this just be a coincidence? Meanwhile, seeing that the bidding invitation had been sent successfully, I also stood up to leave. I walked very quickly. Just as I was about to step out the door, a strange feeling suddenly arose in Xia Qingsu's heart. She called out to my retreating back, "I'll wait for you at the Xinghe Villa tonight." I didn't even pay attention to what she said and just kept walking straight ahead. Watching my hastily departing figure, Xia Qingsu just felt that something seemed wrong. 9 p.m. I had just finished showering at the old house. As soon as I stepped out of the bathroom, I received a call from Xia Qingshu. The woman's voice on the other end of the line was clearly suppressing anger. Her voice was frighteningly cold. "Gu Xian, you dare to stand me up?" I, however, replied with a casual laugh. "Oh, why would you say that?" Xie Qingsu's furious roar came through the phone. "You clearly promised me you would move out of the Wen family's house and move into Xinghe." Hearing my calm and leisurely voice, Xia Qingshu could completely imagine the scene of me holding the phone with a relaxed and smug expression right now. It's true that I agreed to move from the Wen family's house to the Xinghe Villa, but I never said when I would move. I am planning to move there in 5 years. 5 years? By then, the resort project would have been completed long ago. And by then, Xia Qingshu probably wouldn't be in Rongcheng anymore. The woman on the other end of the line was so angry she laughed. 5 years? Why don't you just say 50 years? I still maintain a bright smile. Is there anything else, CEO Xia? If not, I am hanging up now. Good night. After saying that, I hung up decisively. At the Xinghe Villa, Xia Qingzui was standing on the 3rd floor balcony. Out of sheer anger, she threw her phone straight down. "Gu Xian, you're really something. How did I not know before that you could be so shameless?" As for me, I was sprawled out on the bed, swinging my legs and humming a tune. After all, my mission was successfully completed. The resort is a special national project. Therefore, it must undergo a public bidding process. As long as the Wen family has the bidding documents in hand, everything will be handled according to official procedures. The entire process is supervised by the relevant authorities. Xue and can no longer use tricks to eliminate the Wen family. And if the Wen family still doesn't win the bid, then it's just fate's arrangement. It has nothing to do with me anymore. I had a very good night's sleep. The next morning, I was at the TV station bright and early. Although I am the anchor for the noon news, our TV station uses an integrated news production model, so I am not just a host, but also a reporter. A lot of the news material has to be gathered by myself. As soon as I arrived at the company, I heard colleagues gossiping. I heard the newcomer graduated from the Royal Academy of Arts abroad and even interned at NBC. With a resume like that, he could easily be an MC at the central station. Why would he suddenly come back to this tiny Rongcheng TV station? Hearing them talk like that, I suddenly felt that my position as the #1 male anchor seemed to be in jeopardy. My colleagues continued to gossip. At a critical time like this, for the department head to recruit someone this talented, there must be another motive. It makes sense. What talent does Gu Xian have anyway? Doesn't he just rely on his handsome face to get the advertisers to spend money? He just has the most advertising contracts. That's all. He's only been at the station for a year. In terms of professional skills, who here isn't better than him? I listened as I quietly walked to my seat. The gossiping group suddenly noticed me. "Anne, when did you get here?" I smiled. Right when everyone was complimenting my good looks. On the surface, they laughed awkwardly and apologized, but inwardly, they were incredibly annoyed. He always acts so magnanimous and perfect, making everyone else look like dancing clowns. Just then, the station's news department head, Ms. Tang Ling, walked into the room. She spoke loudly. "Is everyone this free so early in the morning? Today, a new colleague is joining our station." Tang Ling smiled brightly at the young man beside her. "Little Song, please introduce yourself." "Hello, everyone. My name is Song X and you." All eyes of those present were focused on the man who had just spoken. He was wearing a very typical office attire. Although his features weren't particularly outstanding, overall, he looked quite refined and pleasant. The smile on his lips was very gentle and didn't feel imposing at all. My gaze also fell upon Song Sin Yu, but in those eyes, there was only coldness. "I am new. I've just arrived here. I hope all the seniors will guide me in the future." After speaking, Song Sin Yu bowed to everyone, a very deep bow. Despite his impressive resume, but his attitude was so humble. The people present, one by one, began to show goodwill towards Song Sin Yu. Song Sin Yu greeted each person one by one. Finally, he came to stand in front of me. "An, we're colleagues now. I am new. So there are many things I don't understand. Yet, you have to take good care of me." A flash of surprise passed through everyone's eyes. At this moment, the morning news anchor, Li Wei, asked, "Do you two know each other?" Song Sin Yu smiled and nodded at everyone. "An and I were high school classmates. We were once the best of friends." I also smiled. "High school friends, yes, but I dare not accept the title of best friend. Song Xiu's expression became a little flustered, and he lowered his head. Yes. I am not worthy of being your friend. I come from a poor background. It was my own wishful thinking. The atmosphere immediately fell silent. Song Xiu's forbearing appearance made even the unfamiliar onlookers feel a sense of sympathy. Sure enough, Li Wei walked up to Song Xinyu. Gu Xian, what are you so arrogant about? This is Song Xinyu. He's a genius who studied abroad. For him to call you his friend is just to give you face. You really don't know what's good for you. After speaking, Li Wei grabbed Song Xinyu's arm. Don't mind him. He's the most hated person at our station. From now on, we're all your friends. Tang Ling's expression was also a bit awkward. Song Xinyu, just follow Li Wei to get acquainted first. That's right, the news department has a meeting at 9. Watching Song Xinyu leave, surrounded by a crowd of people, a slight ripple went through my heart, but it quickly returned to normal. Song Xinyu is an expert at pretending. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been fooled by him for 3 years in high school. Being a news anchor is purely to fulfill a childhood dream of mine. It's not like if I left here, I would have no skills to survive. On the contrary, my interests are broad. I also have many skills. Each one is enough to support me for the rest of my life. I don't know what Song Xinyu's purpose for coming here is, but I am already tired of competing with him. Maybe leaving this place wouldn't be so bad. At 9 o'clock, everyone went into the meeting room. I am not just a host, but also a news reporter. Tang Ling spoke up. Brother Fan will complete his handover in a week to leave the TV station. So within a week, we must determine the primetime anchor position. At this moment, Li Wei spoke up. Director, I think Song Xinyu is very suitable. I just watched the footage of him working at BNC. His switching between Chinese and English is very fluent. His hosting is also extremely professional. Tang Ling smiled faintly. Little Song is indeed very outstanding, but this position was originally for Xian. After all, he has the most advertising contracts. His appeal is also the highest. Li Wei glanced at me. This is our news department, not the advertising department. What we need to see is solid professional ability. If we only compare who has the most ads, then in the future, everyone's focus will no longer be on making news, but on thinking of ways to cling to a sugar daddy. The 3 words, find a sugar daddy, Li Wei said with special emphasis. It was obvious who she was mocking. I put on an unconcerned expression. The day before yesterday, I attended the Tianheng Group's commercial party. I heard their employees gossiping that at our TV station, there's a girl with monolids who comes to find COLI every day. Mrs. Lai saw that girl sitting on COLI's lap and calling him daddy, so she gave her a slap across the face. I am just very curious. Does our TV station really have that kind of person? Li Wei immediately stood up in anger. Gu Xian, don't you dare make baseless accusations. I chuckled softly. I didn't say it was you. The TV station is so big. You're not the only girl with monolids. I just think what you said was right. Our focus should be on making news. This whole finding a sugar daddy thing can backfire easily. Coincidentally, at the party the other night, I added Mrs. Li on WeChat. Yesterday, she was asking me about that girl with monolids. Li Wei's expression gradually shifted from anger to panic. What did you say to her? One sentence completely exposed Li Wei's thoughts. Everyone looked at her with strange eyes. But at this moment, Li Wei couldn't care less. She knew Mrs. Li's methods all too well. It was lucky she covered her face and ran away quickly last time. I looked at Li Wei with a bright smile. Just as Li Wei was about to be consumed by fear, I spoke slowly. This matter concerns the reputation of our TV station. Before investigating it clearly, I haven't answered her yet. I had actually forgotten about this. It's just that I just heard you mention the topic of sugar daddies, so I suddenly remembered. Li Wei breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. At this moment, her gaze towards me was full of caution. She sullenly sat back down in her seat, not daring to utter another word. Song Xinyu smiled gently and spoke up. Everyone in our news department graduated from prestigious schools. I believe there must be a misunderstanding in this matter. As for the primetime anchor position, I won't compete with Shi, and for it, just let him have that position. Song Xinyu's voice was very gentle. In just a few sentences, he skillfully changed the subject. Li Wei looked at Song Xinyu with grateful eyes. As for me, I let out a dry laugh. The way you say it makes it seem like the anchor position is already in your pocket, and now you're bestowing it upon me. Xian, you've misunderstood. I didn't mean that at all, I scoffed. Then what did you mean? All right, stop arguing. Tang Ling, finally fed up, interrupted everyone. Regarding this anchor position, let's do this. Our station is planning to interview an extremely important, high-profile figure. Whoever secures the exclusive interview with this person will be the primetime anchor. Of course, the interview must be completed within a week. You two need to hurry. Someone asked curiously. Director, who is the important figure you mentioned? Director Tang spoke. The great miss of the Xia family. Xia Qing. Everyone looked stunned. Shouldn't the great miss be in Beijing? Besides, even the Beijing TV station hasn't been able to interview her. How could she accept an interview from a small local station like ours? Zhao Yuan from the filming department spoke up. You call yourselves news people. You don't even know this. Miss Xi has been living incognito in Rongcheng for the past 3 years. The most mysterious XUA and group in Rongcheng is actually the Xie family's branch here. Rongcheng is about to launch a specially approved national resort project, and she is in charge of this project. Tang Ling continued. That's right. What kind of person is Xie King Xue? Everyone must have heard of it. The Xi family is the richest family in the country. Xi Qing Xue is the precious jewel of the Xi family. Until now, she has never accepted any press interviews. And with the resort project about to be announced to the public, this is a great opportunity. I think we can give it a try. However, this is still an incredibly big challenge. If we don't succeed, so be it. But if we do, our Rongcheng TV station will achieve a feat that even the capital TV station hasn't managed. Tang Ling's eyes sparkled with hope. I have great faith in both of you. Whichever one of you succeeds, the primetime anchor position will naturally belong to that person. And if neither of you succeeds, he'll have a different evaluation system later. Leaving the meeting room, my expression rarely gets this serious. Song Sin Yu walked up to my desk. An, old Master Sia's birthday party. You were there that day, weren't you? Why is it that at the station, no one knows you're also from the Go family? I glanced at him. Song Sin Yu, why did you come to work at the TV station? Wasn't stealing Wen Yue Ting enough for you? Now you want to come and steal my job too. Song Sin Yu still had that innocent look on his face. You've misunderstood me. I just felt that my expertise was best suited for this place. I never thought about stealing anything from you. And I didn't steal Wen Yu Ting. Hearing this, I continued. I've always been very curious. What happened that year when you and Wen Yue Ting attended that summer camp? When Wen Yu Ting was with me, I could clearly feel that she loved me. But after returning from that summer camp, Wen Yu Ting became a completely different person. Her love vanished completely. It even turned into hatred. Song Xin Yu's expression changed slightly. It seemed he remembered what happened a few years ago. Seeing this, I waved my hand. Forget it. I am not interested in those dirty matters anyway. Song Xin Yu quickly tried to explain. It's not what you think. I had lost all patience and stood up. Song Xin Yu, don't you dare start trouble with me. Otherwise, I might just revert to the person I was 3 years ago. Get out of the way. I have to anchor the new news. Song Xin Yu watched as I walked out of sight. His expression suddenly turned unusually cold. Gushi, Anne, I will take everything from you, your wife, your job, and even your family. I'll take it all. You'll be abandoned and shunned by everyone. Your reputation will be in ruins. That is the day I am waiting for. Then you'll understand why I've done all of this. In the evening, Song Xin Yu returned to the private room at the Capital Hotel. Wen Yue Ting had already returned. He walked over with a delighted expression. Didn't you say you were going back to the old Wen family villa today? Wen Yu Ting walked over and wrapped her arms around Song Xin Yu's shoulders. I missed you. Song Xin Yu hugged Wen Yue Ting tightly. Wen Yue Ting looked up at him. Ting Yu, making you follow me like this is really unfair to you. Song Xin Yu shook his head lightly. As long as your heart is always with me, I don't feel it's unfair at all. Wen Yu Ting spoke up. Don't worry. The matter between me and Go Shi and will definitely be resolved soon. At the mention of my name, Wen Yue Ting's face hardened. She seemed to suddenly remember something. Today was your first day at the TV station. Did he bully you? A flicker of emotion seemed to cross Song Xin Yu's eyes. Not at all. You know how it is. He still resents me for taking you away, so his attitude towards me is always like that. Wen Yu Ting immediately frowned. So he did bully you. I am going back to settle the score with him right now. Hearing that, Song Xin Yu quickly took her hand. Don't do that. As long as I can be with you, these trivial things don't matter. If you go back now, you'll only make things more complicated, and your parents will hate me even more because of it. Some things I just have to endure for a bit, and it will be fine. Thinking about her parents' prejudice against Song Xin Yu, Wen Yu Ting stopped in her tracks. If you're being treated unfairly, you must tell me. I won't let Gu Shi and bully you forever. And remember this, I never belonged to him. It's not at all that you stole me from him. It's because that Gu Xian is unworthy. A calculating glint flashed in Song Xin Yu's eyes. Then he spoke gently again. You waiting. Have you ever met Xia Qing Shui? Do you know much about this high society lady from the capital? Wen Yue Ting replied. Before, for the Paradise Resort project. My company did put a lot of effort into researching her preferences, but this person is extremely private. Her movements are also very mysterious. So, I don't know much. Wen Yue Ting looked up and asked. Why are you suddenly asking about her? Song Xin Yu sighed helplessly and said, the TV station said that if I can get an exclusive interview with Xia Qing Shui, then the 7 p.m. primetime anchor position will be mine. But I called Zhu Wei in today. They said if it's an appointment from the TV station, it'd have to wait for half a year. Wen Yue Ting frowned and thought for a moment. The only piece of information we managed to find this time is that the young lady of the Xie family has a habit of going to the royal golf course to play. Song Xin Yu's face was still full of worry, but the royal golf course is a members-only place for Rongcheng's high society. The membership fee is as high as 10 million yuan. How could I possibly get in there? Wen Yue Ting said. My grandfather is a member of that royal golf course. I used to go there with my grandfather to play. Tomorrow, they'll call the golf course management. You can just go in using the identity of the Wen family's son-in-law. A strange glint flashed in Song Xin-yu's eyes. Really? I can use Gu Xian's identity to get in? Wen Yue-ting looked at him, smiling gently. Of course, in my heart, you are the real son-in-law of the Wen family. While Song Xin-yu was in the shower, Wen Yue-ting called me Gu Xian. If you dare bully Song Xin-yu again, don't blame me for being impolite to you. I found it a bit ridiculous and replied, what's wrong? Did Song Xin-yu go tattling to you as soon as he got back? Wen Yue-ting shouted through the phone. Ting-yu is not like you. He's never the type to be two-faced. You already have so much. Don't even think about competing with him for everything. After hanging up, I felt a little irritated. It was clearly Song Xin-yu who stole what was originally mine, and yet I ended up being the bad guy. I looked at the document on my computer screen. I had just finished writing my resignation letter. I suddenly slammed my laptop shut. Why should I have to quit just because Song Xin-yu shows up? Years ago, he blatantly stole Wen Yue-ting from me, and I was the one who had to bear the title of the bad guy. Now I have to hand over even this job to him? Of course. I had this idea a long time ago, but now, I suddenly want to cast that thought aside. Even if I want to quit, I have to wait until I am sitting in the primetime anchor's chair. After closing the laptop, I then picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. I found a number saved as Phoenix Swallow. Without any hesitation, I pressed the call button. The person on the other end answered very quickly. Mr. Gu, what can I do for you? A voice full of distance. She must still be angry about me standing her up last time. Or perhaps she's come to her senses and wants to draw a clear line with me. This is, of course, something I've been hoping for. I rarely use such a serious tone with her. Miss Xia, I am a news reporter for Rongcheng TV. I would like to schedule a personal interview with you. I wonder if you could spare some time. A cold laugh came from the other end. Xiaoqing Shui knew very well it was about this. If I didn't need anything, I would never contact her. She was silent for a few seconds, then spoke. Jiu Xian, you really have thick skin. You just stood me up last time, and now you have the nerve to ask for an interview. I was silent for a moment, then I replied calmly. These are two completely different matters. I am sure Miss Xi doesn't know. I've always been a person who separates business from personal life. The person on the other side seemed to laugh out of anger. Fine, you want to interview me. Come to the Star River Villa right now and apologize to me. We can discuss everything else slowly after that. I glanced at the wall clock. It was already 10 p.m. If I go there now, what will happen? I knew all too well. I've never gone to that place and returned empty-handed, so I refused directly. Since it's business, let's meet during the day. Miss Xi, just pick a time. I will definitely go and apologize to you then. Xiaoqing Shui knows my temperament too well, so she didn't continue to make things difficult for me. She just replied coldly. Then 9 a.m. tomorrow. Let's meet at the Royal Golf Course. I had actually never set foot in that place before, but I knew old Master Xia was a member there. That golf course has a huge advantage. If a member's relative wants to play, they just need to give the member's name. One card can be used by the whole family. 9 a.m. the next day. I was at the Royal Golf Course right on time. After entering, I went straight to the registration desk. A pretty receptionist came to greet me. Sir, you look a little unfamiliar. Are you a member here? I nodded slightly and said, Wen Yuandong is my wife's grandfather. I am sure I can go in. Right? The receptionist's face immediately showed complete surprise. You're also the Wen family's son-in-law? With that, she pointed to a figure standing not far away. That person also claimed to be the Wen family's son-in-law. Mr. Wen is an influential figure in Rongcheng. His family only has one son and one daughter, so how could there be two sons-in-law? I followed the receptionist's finger with my eyes. That person was none other than Song Xin-yu. At this moment, Song Xin-yu also saw me. His expression was somewhat surprised. The receptionist was momentarily at a loss. Please wait a moment, sir. Let me go get our manager. As soon as the manager arrived, he immediately started scolding. Miss Wen already called to inform us. You should have just let them in directly. What are you dawdling for? What if you offend Mr. Gu? The manager came running over. While constantly reprimanding the receptionist next to him, the receptionist explained with an aggrieved expression. Sir, you said there would be one Mr. Gu, but you didn't say there would be two Mr. Gus coming. The manager was also extremely surprised to hear that. How could there possibly be two Mr. Gus? And just then, Song Xin-yu strode up to me. Xian, why are you here too? I squinted and smiled at him. If I hadn't come, how would I know someone was going around showing off under my name? At that moment, the manager also happened to arrive. He looked at me, then turned to look at Song Xin-yu. So between the two of you, who is the real Mr. Gu? There were quite a few people here to play golf today. These rich young masters and ladies were all idle people, so as soon as they saw some drama, they all crowded around to watch. What kind of show is this so early in the morning? Someone even started joking about the real versus fake Mr. Gu drama. At this moment, Xiaoqing Shui was also surrounded by a group of people and was striding towards us. Because her skin was significantly fairer than others, when you looked at her, she always exuded a sense of noble, arrogant elegance. I saw her too. To be honest, for the past 3 years, I rarely saw her dressed so impeccably. That's why at Mrs. XIS birthday party. I was so shocked when I saw her. It wasn't because of her noble status, but because her aura had completely changed into that of another person. It made it really hard for me to adjust. Murong Shui, a young lady standing next to Xie Qing Shui, spoke up. This Rongsheng is truly a land of outstanding people. No wonder our Miss Saya was so reluctant to leave 3 years ago and refused to return to the capital. The people around also started chattering amongst themselves. The lobby manager was having a huge headache. He looked at the two people standing silently before him. Seeing so many people around, Song Xinyu didn't dare to speak. He was about to become the primetime anchor, so he absolutely couldn't afford a scandal like this. Moreover, he knew my personality very well. Back when we were in school, I never fought with him over anything. I was always the one who gave in to him. This time, Song Xinyu also hoped that I would back down on my own as before, but reality didn't unfold as he had planned. I looked at Song Xinyu with a mysterious smile. I said nothing, but I absolutely refused to back down. While the two sides were at a standoff, someone next to Xie Qing Xue suddenly spoke, breaking the tension. Miss, I clearly remember old Master Sai's 70th birthday party last time. The invited guests were surely Miss Wen and Mr. Gu. You must know who the real Mr. Ju is, right? Immediately, everyone's eyes turned towards Xie Qing Shui, including me and Song Xinyu. Song Xinyu's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that the person right in front of him was the high society lady from Beijing, Xia Qing Shui, also the person he was trying so hard to get an interview with. His heart suddenly filled with anxiety. I also stared at Xie Qing Shui. For the sake of our 3 years of intimacy, at a critical moment like this, it wouldn't be too much to ask for your help, would it? At this point, the manager had walked over to Xie Qing Su's side, clearly waiting for her to confirm the identity. Xie Qing Sui glanced at me, then opened her mouth casually. I don't know any Miss Wen or Mr. Gu. You all want to know who the real Mr. Gu is? Then just video call Miss Wen. Let her confirm it herself. How could she not even recognize her own husband? Right. I was being so foolish. Thankfully, Miss Xia pointed it out. My heart suddenly sank. I saw Xie Qing Xu's eyebrows furrow slightly. She was clearly doing this on purpose. The video call connected quickly. When Yue Ting's voice came from the other side of the phone, Manager Zhao. What's the matter? Manager Zhao greeted her. So sorry to bother you, Miss Wen. You said Mr. Gu would be coming today, but right now, there are two Mr. Gus. Could you please see who is your husband? As soon as he finished speaking, Manager Zhao panned the camera past me and Song Xinyu. When Yue Ting frowned, she spoke with almost no hesitation. The one in the white suit is my husband. As it happened, Song Xinyu was wearing a white suit today, while I was wearing a black one, the manager said with a beaming smile. All right. I won't bother Miss Wen any longer. Just leave the rest to me. We will definitely treat Mr. Gu with the utmost hospitality. The call ended. Murmurs broke out all around. The lobby was already crowded with onlookers. Quite a few people started making sarcastic remarks. If you're not qualified, don't come here to show off. Impersonating someone's son-in-law and getting caught red-handed like this. It's just utterly humiliating, being pointed at and talked about by a crowd. But I didn't seem to care at all. Manager Zhao also slowly approached me. His attitude was clearly no longer as polite as before. Sir, you are not a member of this club. Please leave immediately. Not a hint of embarrassment showed on my face. I leisurely took a card out of my pocket. So, if I sign up for a membership card now, would I be able to enter? Everyone fell silent for a moment. Even the manager was incredibly surprised. Well, yes, that's possible, but our membership fee is 10 million yuan. I know. Just swipe the card. Many people still hadn't recovered from the shock of this situation. Those who had just been mocking me were now dumbfounded. Most of them were just using their father's or grandfather's membership card to get in. The manager's expression changed dramatically once again. His smile was now even brighter than before. He didn't even bother with Song Enu anymore. He directly called the receptionist to lead him in. As for himself, he eagerly invited me into the VIP room to process the card application. The young ladies surrounding Xie Qing Shui all had faces full of curious interest. That card seems to be the Diamond Black Panther card. There are only 50 of them in the entire world. It can be used at any major bank, entitled to all free services. VIP at 7-star hotels worldwide. It's the ultimate symbol of high-class status. I remember Miss XEA seems to have one too. In China, no more than 15 people have this card. Just what kind of terrifying background does this Mr. Gu have? Those who were just mocking me a moment ago were all now staring with wide, astonished eyes. 10 million yuan might not be that unusual, but possessing that black card is truly extraordinary. This is absolutely not something an ordinarily wealthy person can obtain. The issuing organization has an extremely strict vetting process, even for royal families around the world. The number of people holding this card does not exceed 3. As for me, of course, I knew nothing of these lofty matters, because this was simply the salary card my senior sister had made for me. My annual commissions are all transferred directly to this card. I don't even know how many billions are in its balance. To me, 10 million yuan is truly nothing. After Xie Qing saw me take out that card, a thoughtful look also appeared in her eyes. Whether it was the Gu family of the past or the Wen family of today, neither would ever be qualified to possess this card. The royal golf course was incredibly vast and open. The people with Xia Qingxue had already taken their golf clubs and were eager to compete. Only Xia Qingxue sat quietly at the rest pavilion. The waiter brought her sandwiches and elaborate desserts. It seemed she was used to enjoying breakfast here. The way she ate was also extremely captivating and elegant. An ethereal grace blended with a charming laziness. She exuded an aura that was very similar to mine. It was the characteristic confidence and ease of those born at the finish line. Song Xinyu slowly approached. "Miss Xia, may I sit here with you?" Xia Qingxu slightly raised her head to look. Her voice remained as cold as frost. "This is a public rest area. Mr. Song, please feel free." Although her tone was polite, it carried a chilling distance and indifference. Song Xinyu took the opportunity to sit down. "Miss Xia, actually, I came here specifically to see you today." Xia Qingxue remained indifferent and unconcerned. "Is there something important you need from me, Mr. Song?" Song Xinyu started to feel a little anxious. "Miss Xia, allow me to introduce myself. I am Song Xinyu, a news reporter for Rongcheng TV. Regarding the Paradise Resort project, our station is very much hoping to get an exclusive interview with you." Xia Qingxue didn't even seem to pay any attention. She replied casually. "Are you interested, Miss Xia? The Paradise Project Resort is about to officially launch. You'll surely need public attention to attract investors. Right now, what you need most is an opportunity to prove your true capabilities to Chairman Xia. That's precisely why you chose this Paradise Resort project. You've been quietly preparing and waiting for it for the past 3 years. It's clear this project is of immense importance to you." Xia Qingxue turned her head and gave Song Xinyu a cold glance. "You seem to know quite a lot about my family's affairs." Being looked at like that, Song Xinyu started to feel uneasy. This woman's aura was truly too overwhelming, but he still had to muster his courage to continue. "Rongcheng TV is the most reputable media outlet here. Our station is very eager to cooperate with you, Miss Xia. In the future, whenever you need the power of mass media, we can wholeheartedly cooperate with you. This will definitely be a mutually beneficial choice." Xia Qingxu still didn't respond. It seemed she was considering something. Just then, from up ahead, came loud, excited cheers. It turned out someone had started to play a few shots. Song Xinyu also looked towards the source of the noise. Unexpectedly, he saw me surrounded by a whole group of young ladies watching me swing my golf club. With my tall and strong physique, my swing was extremely precise and beautiful, causing the eyes of the surrounding young ladies to be glued to me. An unconcealed flicker of jealousy passed through Song Xinyu's eyes, but he quickly composed himself. Just as he was about to continue his conversation with Xia Qingxue, Xia Qingxue stood up on her own and strode towards me on her long, captivating legs. As soon as she arrived, she heard Murong Su's admiring voice. "Amazing, is Mr. Gu a professional athlete? Maybe I should ask Mr. Gu to be my master." I just smiled gently and replied, "You're too kind. This is just a hobby of mine." Seeing Murong Shu about to cling to my arm, Xia Qingxue, clearly displeased, interrupted. "What are you all doing here?" Murong Shu leaned on her golf club and said with a laugh, "Qingxu, we've really met our match today. This gentleman's technique puts us all to shame. Perhaps only your excellent skill level can compete with his." The people around also started to chime in excitedly. "How about Miss Xia and Mr. Gu have a match?" This was the very sentence I was waiting for, so I smiled and turned to look at Xia Qingxue. "Miss Xia, do you dare to compete with me?" Before Xia Qingxue could even respond, I deliberately added a taunt. "Could it be that Miss Xia doesn't dare to accept?" Murong Shui quickly interjected. "Mr. Gu, if you say that, you really don't know our Qingxue very well. If her skill is ranked second in Beijing's high society, then absolutely no one would dare claim to be number one." I smiled meaningfully. That habit of showing deference in Beijing doesn't apply here in Rongcheng. My implication was that she holds the number one spot, simply because others don't have the guts to beat her, not because she's actually that skilled. Everyone present looked at each other in bewilderment, silently sighing in their hearts. "This Mr. Gu is truly reckless and brave." A Shai Ching Sue spoke calmly. "How do you want to compete?" I pointed to the wide-open course in front of us. "Let's compete on this par 4 hole." Someone nearby reminded us. Earlier, Mr. Gu got the ball in the hole in just 3 strokes. Xia Qingxu's voice remained as calm as ever. She ordered the caddy to bring the clubs. I continued. "Since it's an official competition, there should naturally be a prize, right?" Xia Qingxue hummed in agreement. "What do you want?" I answered immediately without thinking. "If I win, give me your first exclusive interview." "How about it?" The surrounding crowd mostly looked excited to watch the show. Even Song Xinyu had curiously moved closer. Xia Qingxue snorted coldly with an arrogant air. "Beat me first. Then we'll talk." After all the preparations were complete, I spoke slowly. "Miss Xie, please go first." Xia Qingxue had no intention of refusing either. She swung the golf club with an incredibly elegant and beautiful posture. Immediately after, there were excited cheers from everyone around. Incredibly, Xia Qingxue hit the ball straight onto the green with just one swing. Everyone surrounded Xia Qingxue and proceeded to the green together. Then, Xia Qingxue switched to a putter. She decisively putted the small white ball into the hole with extreme precision. The people standing by all clapped enthusiastically without stopping. An eagle shot, truly spectacular. On a par 4 hole, she only needed exactly 2 strokes. Right after that, everyone started looking at me with sympathetic eyes. Mr. Gu, maybe you should just give up. Miss Ya is the prize student of the national golf champion. There's no shame in losing to her. I just smiled faintly, feeling relieved. I haven't even started playing yet. How can everyone be so sure that I am guaranteed to lose? I took my club and walked to the red tee to tee off. Everyone thought I was just trying to save my last bit of face, because it was clear to everyone that that was seemingly the limit of excellence on a par 4 hole. If you can get the ball in within 4 strokes, you've already reached the level of a professional athlete. Scoring a birdie with 3 strokes is already a rare feat. Getting an eagle with only 2 strokes is the level of the world's top golfers. And getting a hole-in-one is even harder than winning the lottery jackpot. I stood firmly at the tee box. I raised my golf club high. I swung the club with a powerful and decisive motion. The small white ball was seen soaring into the air. It traced a beautiful arc across the sky and headed straight for the distant green. Everyone couldn't help but rush onto the green. Murong Sui was the first to eagerly rush over. When she saw there was no ball on the green surface, she had a look of disbelief and searched around frantically. Finally, she remembered and went to check the hole. Sure enough, right in the center of the golf hole, she found the ball I had just hit. Murong Shui was stunned for about half a second. Then, extremely excited, she raised the ball in her hand. Hole-in-one. Mr. Gu scored a perfect point with just a single shot. Murong Shui looked even happier than if she had scored herself. Everyone present was stunned into silence. I can't believe he got a hole-in-one. This not only requires truly impressive skill, but also an immense amount of luck. The young masters looked at me with expressions that went from initially waiting to see a comedy to gradually changing into utmost admiration and worship, and the news of my spectacular hole-in-one quickly spread throughout the entire large golf course. More and more curious people came to watch. After all, a hole-in-one isn't something you see every day. There were even quite a few people who asked for a commemorative photo with me. According to the tradition of this sport, the person who scores a hole-in-one has to give a cash reward to the caddies and the entire staff at the course. It seemed I had anticipated everything and prepared in advance. My sports bag was already filled with many bright red envelopes. I told the ball boy to hand them out to each person. The people around were once again stunned. Mr. Gu truly had calculated everything carefully beforehand. It seems that, from the very first moment, Mr. Jiu pretended to take 3 strokes just to hide his terrifying true strength, because if he wasn't completely confident of victory, how could he have prepared the red envelope so thoughtfully? I just laughed it off amidst the excited chatter. Then, I looked towards Xia Qingjue. Miss Xia, your promise to me is still valid, right? But Xia Qingjue replied nonchalantly. I only said we'd talk about it after you won. I never promised that I would accept the interview if you won. My face suddenly went blank with disappointment. It was as if the image appeared before my eyes again, of the little vixen who used to be so clingy in bed back then. For example, every time after an exhausting passionate session, she would swear it would be the last time. But when I carried her to the shower, she would act shamelessly, claiming she never said such a thing. Thinking of those memories, my face couldn't help but flush red with embarrassment. The people around started to speak up for me. Miss Xia, that's not very sportsmanlike of you. You have to play by the rules and accept the outcome. It's just an interview, Miss Xia. That's right. That's right. Our Miss Xia isn't so petty. Xia Qingjue looked at the crowd excitedly surrounding me. A baseless anger suddenly flared up intensely within her. I despise people who use schemes and calculations. She gave me a sharp, warning glare. Then she turned to her childhood friends standing there. If any of you dare to even speak to him again, then don't blame me for cutting ties, regardless of our long friendship. Hearing this, everyone was both surprised and a little scared when they saw Xia Qingsu's furious expression. Although Xia Qingzui is the most noble young lady in Beijing, she has always been incredibly wonderful and generous to her friends. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone to the trouble for a project of this scale to gather everyone here. In fact, she just wanted everyone to get rich together. Yet, just because of the appearance of one man, she could say such heartless words. Everyone present could see clearly. Miss Xia was truly furious this time. The girls who had just been surrounding me all at once backed away, deliberately creating a safe distance from me. When Song Xin witnessed this scene, the corner of his mouth curled into a smug smile. Song Xin and I returned to the TV station one after the other. Neither of us mentioned what happened at the golf course at all. The team meeting took place that afternoon. Director Tang seemed extremely excited and enthusiastic. This heaven-sent fortune has finally knocked on our station's door. Little Song, and she, and two. Between the two of you, who actually secured the interview with Miss Xia, both Song Xin and I seemed a bit stunned. The other colleagues on the team were also very surprised. Director Tang continued to talk animatedly. Miss Xia has officially agreed to an interview with our station. The Shu and group just called here directly. They scheduled it for tomorrow, requesting that we send someone there at exactly 9 inches the morning. Lai Wei asked curiously. So, who will be sent to conduct this interview? Director Tang replied slowly. They didn't specify anyone by name. They just told us to arrange for someone to be there at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Miss Xi has specially set aside for our station A whole 2 precious hours to work with. Director Tang also looked a bit bewildered at this point. Little Song, little Anne, why did you two come back without either of you reporting anything to me? Which one of you managed to schedule the interview with Miss Saya? I frowned slightly, thinking, this morning. Saya Ching-su's attitude was a blunt refusal. Why did she change her mind so quickly in just a few hours? While I was still lost in thought, Song Xinyu spoke up very calmly. Director, I was the one who scheduled it. Hearing this, Director Tang's face lit up with a smile like a blooming flower. Good. Very good. Little Song, I knew from the beginning that you were a very capable and resourceful person. Then go home and prepare thoroughly. The interview with Miss Saya will officially take place at 9 a.m. tomorrow. If this deal is a resounding success, then your future and prospects will be wide open. Director Tang excitedly picked up his phone. I have to report this good news to the station director right away. This is truly a momentous event for our station. The director of Beijing TV has invited her earnestly so many times, but Miss Xia still resolutely refused to agree. I never expected our small Rongcheng station to achieve the impossible. The station director will surely be overjoyed. After speaking, Director Tang hurried out. Everyone in the room immediately swarmed around Song Xinyu. Song Xinyu, you're really amazing. How on earth did you manage to persuade her, as expected from a graduate of a prestigious university? His true abilities clearly worlds apart from someone else's. Later, when you become the primetime host, you definitely have to treat us brothers to a lavish feast. Song Xinyu gave a somewhat shy and humble smile, but his expression couldn't hide his smugness. Well, I was just a little lucky. Tonight, I'll treat the whole team to a meal. I invite everyone to enjoy Japanese food at the Takoya restaurant. Takoya was an extremely luxurious and expensive Japanese restaurant in Rongcheng. For people working at a TV station like them, although their jobs were stable, their salaries weren't exactly abundant. Therefore, most of the people here had never once set foot in such a luxurious place. The crowd cheered even more excitedly. They endlessly praised and complimented Song Xinyu's generosity. Song Xinyu stood up and proactively walked towards me, who had been silent all this time. Xian, let's go eat Japanese food with everyone tonight for fun. I silently gathered the documents on my desk. Then I gave a bright smile and looked directly at Song Xinyu. All right, if someone's treating. Of course, I have to be there. That evening, our whole group went to the Takoya restaurant. Song Xinyu had thoughtfully booked a private VIP room. A dozen or so people marveled at the splendidly decorated space. It was another opportunity to flatter Song Xinyu. Hey, Song Xinyu, do you come here often to eat? Song Xinyu put on a modest expression and replied, no, not really. I only have the chance to come by occasionally. Not just anyone can enter a luxurious place like this. Hey, Mr. Song, you're trying to fool us again. You said your family background is just average, but you were able to study abroad, which is so expensive. How could your family's financial situation be poor? Song Xinyu, just tell us brothers the truth. Which prominent family are you the young master of? Song Xinyu spoke slowly. I am honestly not deceiving anyone. My family's financial situation really isn't that good. The only reason I could study abroad was all thanks to my girlfriend's help. As he spoke, he glanced at me sitting opposite him. My girlfriend's family is really well off. Besides, she loves me very much. I studied abroad with her for several years. Everyone simultaneously uttered words full of admiration. The food hasn't even been served yet, and we brothers are already full from all this public display of affection. Lai Wei took the lead in teasing him. So when are you going to bring your girlfriend here for us to meet? Song Xinyu gave a shy smile. Yes, of course. When the time is right, I'll bring her to meet everyone. Although Song Xinyu was busy answering others' questions, his gaze remained fixed on my face, but I seemed to not care or pay any attention to it. A flash of disappointment appeared in Song Xinyu's eyes. Just then, a waiter brought a tablet for us to order from. Song Xinyu immediately passed the tablet to me. Anne, feel free to order whatever you like. Don't be polite with me. I generously took the tablet and started choosing dishes. I ordered the food very quickly and decisively. After just a few minutes, I handed the tablet back to Song Xinyu. Do you want to take a look at the list? Song Xinyu directly gave the tablet to the waiter. Your taste is definitely impeccable. Soon, the dishes began to be served one by one. At first, everything was normal. Everyone was eating, drinking, and chatting very happily. But Song Xinyu quickly realized something was wrong. Why has it been a full 2 hours already? And the dishes are still being brought to the table non-stop, accompanied by all sorts of imported wines and the most high-end drinks. However, everyone was busy enjoying the delicious food and fine wine. Everyone was praising his generosity without restraint. Song Xinyu didn't know what else to say at this point. It wasn't until the party was over and finished. The waiter brought the bill to the table. As soon as Song Xinyu saw the number on the bill, he was instantly stunned. 980,000 yuan. Song Xinyu couldn't believe his eyes, staring at the waiter in astonishment. How could it be so horrendously expensive? The waiter patiently and calmly explained, because, sir, you ordered every single item on our menu once, including our extremely expensive and rare secret menu items. The total cost for the food alone is 180,000 yuan. In addition, you also ordered 4 bottles of red wine, our premium kind, at 200,000 yuan a bottle. Oh, And one more thing, we will add a 5% service charge to the total bill. After hearing this, Song Xinyu almost collapsed and fainted on the spot. He didn't have that much money in the first place. When I was ordering, he thought that, no matter what I ordered, it wouldn't exceed 10,000 yuan. How could it be this much? The others were also stunned. They started criticizing me one after another. Gu Xian, you did this for revenge, didn't you? We just asked you to order. You dared to order up to 980,000. Do you have any shame? I smile at the people opposite me. Why didn't you say anything while you were eating? The stone-grilled Kobe beef with black truffle. When you were eating it, why didn't you say the ingredients were too precious? And the wine. I only ordered one bottle. You all ordered the other bottles yourselves. Everyone glared at me angrily. Gu Shi, and you dare to make excuses. I said calmly. If you feel it's so unfair to Song Xinyu, why don't we just split the bill? Everyone here ate the same amount. Splitting it is the fairest way. As soon as splitting the bill was mentioned, everyone went silent. Scared now. Are we? Even if we split it, each person would have to pay nearly 100,000. That's several months of their salary. A girl standing next to Song Xinyu spoke up. Jen Yu wouldn't be stingy about the cost of a meal with us. Song Xinyu felt like he was being roasted over a fire. In reality, he and Wen Yue-ting didn't have much money. After Wen Yue-ting went abroad, the Wen family had already cut off his financial support. Their 3 years abroad were not at all as glorious as people imagined. Wen Yue-ting was too proud to ask her family for money. Song Xinyu only had a little over 100,000 inches his account, and that money was earned from tutoring for the past 3 years. He really couldn't afford this nearly 1 million yuan meal. The only way was to call Wen Yue-ting. When Wen Yue-ting heard he had a meal that cost over 900,000, her voice was laced with anger. Song Xinyu, did you eat a dragon? A single meal cost 980,000. Song Xinyu's voice was hoarse. I just secured an exclusive interview with Xia Qing Shui, so I invited my colleagues out to eat. Anne, was the one who ordered. I didn't expect him to order so much, and he also ordered very expensive wine. As soon as she heard my name, Wen Yue-ting frowned. Her tone towards Song Xinyu softened considerably. I am sorry. I misunderstood you. It turns out he was playing tricks. Wen Yue-ting was silent for 2 seconds, then said, I am nearby. He'll be there right away. 10 minutes later, Wen Yue-ting appeared at Takoya. She went to the counter and paid the entire bill first. Then she entered the private room. When Song Xinyu saw Wen Yue-ting, he hurriedly walked up to her. Yue-ting, you're finally here. In front of so many people, Wen Yue-ting gently put her arm around Song Xinyu's shoulder. You don't need to worry. I've already paid the bill. Everyone immediately sighed in relief. Li Wei was the first to praise him. Song Xinyu, you're so lucky to have a girlfriend who is both beautiful and rich. Song Xinyu smiled and introduced her to everyone. Let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Wen Yue-ting. Li Wei looked surprised. I've heard of the Wen family. The heiress is also named Wen Yue-ting. Could it be? Wen Yue-ting replied casually. It's just a coincidence. After saying that, she shifted her gaze to me. Gu Shi, and get out here. Everyone was extremely surprised. I stood up and walked in front of Wen Yue-ting. Good dogs don't block the path. Wen Yue-ting was furious. She grabbed my hand and dragged me out. She quickly turned a corner and entered an empty private room next door. Then she slammed the door shut from the inside. This series of actions left everyone stunned. A hint of awkwardness also crossed Song Xinyu's face. Hey? Song Xinyu. Do your girlfriend and Gu Xian know each other? Song Xinyu nodded and said, the 3 of us were high school classmates. That's how we know each other. Besides, back in high school, Xian, he trailed off intentionally mid-sentence. Li Wei snorted coldly. I finally understand why Gu Xian hates you so much. He must have liked your girlfriend in high school, but she rejected him. That's why he's jealous of you. Song Xinyu deliberately used a tone to defend me. It's not what you all think. Besides, that's all in the past. Elsewhere, after Wen Yue-ting dragged me into the room, she coldly questioned Ga Xian. I've told you countless times. Don't you dare bully Song Xinyu. Do you treat my words like the wind passing by your ears? I found a sofa and sat down. He was the one who wanted to treat everyone. Nobody forced him. So you deliberately ordered such expensive dishes. Don't you know Song Xinyu's family situation? Aren't you just using the fact that you have more money than him to deliberately embarrass him? How are you any different from a petty villain who bullies others with power? I looked up, anger evident in my eyes. That's right. I know his family situation very well. I also know that you two are currently short on money. That's why I am deliberately bullying him. You ask why? I am just giving him a taste of his own medicine. I laughed coldly and continued. 3 years ago. Did you two not know my situation back then? Yet you two betrayed me together when I was at my most desperate. Compared to you two, these petty tricks of mine are nothing. Wen Yue-ting's expression froze. Gu Xian. You fell into that situation back then, because you brought it upon yourself. You were the one who betrayed me first. Wen Yue-ting stared at me resentfully. Gu Xian. In the first year of university. What happened during the summer break that year? Do you dare to tell me? My face suddenly turned pale. Wen Yue-ting, how do you know about that? When Yue Ting looked at my ashen face, a look of shock also appeared in her eyes. The hateful thing was, even in my state of extreme panic, this face of mine was still outrageously handsome. So who on earth was that woman? I shot to my feet. My gaze also became unusually cold and sharp. You, shut up. Wen Yue Ting was immediately enraged out of shame. Why did you marry me? Isn't it because you couldn't return to the Gu family anymore? If you were still the young master of the Gu family, would you still have married me? Would you still have chosen to marry into the Wen family? Now you act like you love me to death. It's only because you're afraid of losing your last lifeline, of losing the wealth and glory of the latter half of your life. A hypocritical and filthy person like you isn't even worth a single strand of Song Xin Yu's hair. That's enough. Wen Yu Ting. My fingertips trembled slightly. I have a secret buried deep in my heart, a secret that no one knows. I have never told anyone. I've always convinced myself that it was just a nightmare. I had actually succeeded in wiping that incident from my memory. I thought no one in this world would ever know. But I never expected Wen Yue Ting to have known for so long. I walked straight to the door, opened it, and stepped out. At that moment, Song Xin was standing right at the door. I gave Song Xin a deep look. Without a word, I left. Wen Yue Ting also walked out from inside. Song Xin hurriedly asked, Yu Ting, what did you say to Xian? He looked very distressed. Wen Yu Ting replied, it's nothing. We just talked about that incident. Song Xin expression changed drastically. You promised me that you would never mention it in front of Xian. I didn't want to either. But who told him to be so outrageous? It's good to knock him down a peg, so he won't dare to bully you anymore. Guessing you're just too kind. Still thinking of him at a time like this. Song Xin frowned again. Unease was evident in his eyes. Gu Xian will definitely suspect me. I drove away. The car drove aimlessly on the highway. Somehow, I ended up at the Star River Villa. I noticed the bedroom light was still on. I just drove in. The car stopped in the courtyard. I got out of the car and walked into the house. Xie Qingsui also heard the car park downstairs. Just as she reached the staircase, she saw me starting to walk up the stairs. Xie Qingsui had just taken a shower. She was wearing a pink pajama set. Looking at my figure, she said sarcastically, aren't you so proud? I thought you would never actively seek me out again in this lifetime. My face was expressionless. I walked upstairs, step by step, watching me get closer and closer. Xie Qing Xu's heart couldn't help but start to beat erratically. But as I got closer, she realized something was wrong with me today. A furious fire seemed to be burning in my eyes, and it carried a deep-seated hatred. Xie Qingshu frowned slightly. I just embarrassed you a little during the day. There's no need to look at me like you want to kill someone. The next second, I took another step up. One hand forcefully pulled Xie Qingshu into my arms. The other hand held the back of her neck tightly, and I kissed her directly. My kiss was both brutal and rushed. It was even a bit unreasonably tyrannical. Xie Qingshu was stunned for a moment. We had been together for 3 years, but this was the first time I had pounced on her for a kiss like this. But she only had a second to react. Immediately after, she kissed me back passionately. Her slippers were kicked down the stairs. The two of us stumbled into the bedroom. Xie Qingshu woke up in the middle of the night. By reflex, she wanted to hug the man next to her, but she realized the spot next to her was empty. She opened her eyes and sat up, and heard an engine starting in the courtyard. Xia Qingshu got up and went to the balcony, and saw me driving away from the Star River Villa. A hint of anger flashed in Xia Qingxu's eyes. It's always the same. He runs away right after we're done, never caring about her feelings. But remembering my fierce appearance tonight, it was like I was trying to vent something. Something must have happened, and it certainly wasn't something as trivial as the interview. Could it be because of Wen Yue Ting? The more she thought about it, Xia Qingxu's expression immediately turned cold. Early the next morning, when I arrived at the TV station, everyone was surrounding Song Xin. The news that Song Xin was preparing to interview the young miss of the Xia family had already spread throughout the entire TV station, and the story of him lavishly spending 980,000 on a meal had become the topic of everyone's conversation early in the morning. Even people from other departments came over one after another to curry favor with him. Song Xin had also prepared extremely thoroughly for the interview. The interview team this time was incredibly large. Usually, for an interview, one reporter and one cameraman are enough. But this time, the station sent more than 10 people. They even equipped Song Xin with 2 personal assistants. Because of this interview, the station even created a special new segment, and Xia Qingshu was the first guest of that segment. It was clear how much importance the TV station placed on this matter. Although the appointment was at 9 o'clock, Song Xin had already led the team out at 8 o'clock. Just as they were about to leave, even the station director came in person. Everyone was very surprised. The station director was a busy man. He rarely appeared at the station in person. Clearly, the director had come to show respect to Song Xin. He said a few words of encouragement. Song Xin replied humbly, Director, I promise to complete this interview mission successfully. The director nodded and patted Director Tang on the shoulder. You've really brought a treasure to our station. At exactly 8 o'clock, Song Xin led the team out on time. I sat at my desk, reviewing a script. Lai Wei deliberately stood next to me, chatting with a colleague. Song X in You is really amazing. He's only been here for 2 days and already managed to invite the young miss of the Exia family. Someone's title as the god of interviews will have to be handed over, I guess. Even the station director came in person. It seems the primetime male MC position is definitely going to Song X in You. Next month is the Golden Microphone Host Competition. There's only one spot available at our station. I am afraid it will also be given to Song Sin You. I sat still, not saying a word. Meanwhile, at 8:20 a.m., Song Sin Yu led his entourage to the Suan building. As soon as he got out of the car, someone came to greet him. "Hello, you're from the TV station, right? I am the CEO's secretary, Gao Qin. CEO Xia asked me to come and receive you." Everyone followed Gao Qin into the Suan building. With his 2 young assistants by his side, Song Sin Yu looked incredibly excited. "The CEO's secretary is personally welcoming us. Our brother Yu is so influential." "That's right. Could brother Yu and the eldest Miss Xia be friends? An ordinary interview wouldn't get this kind of treatment." Song Xin Yu heard their whispers. His face maintained a gentle and modest smile, but the smile at the corners of his lips had become a little more smug. After entering the meeting room, Gao Qin spoke up. "CEO Xia is in a meeting. She will come for the interview as soon as it's over. You can prepare a little in advance." Song Sin Yu nodded. "Don't worry, Secretary Gao. We are all fully prepared." 10 minutes later, the meeting room door was pushed open. Song Xin Yu quickly stood up from his seat and walked forward to greet her. He stood in front of Xie Qing Shui and politely extended his hand. "Hello, CEO Xie. I am today's interviewer, Song X in You. We met yesterday. It is a great honor for us that you agreed to this in-depth interview. I personally feel very proud to be the host for CEO Xia's first interview." But Xia Qing Shui had no intention of shaking his hand. Her willow leaf eyebrows even furrowed slightly. This gave Song X in You a bad feeling. To avoid any unexpected incidents, he quickly withdrew his hand. He intended to get straight to the point. "CEO Xia, we are all prepared. Shall we start the interview now?" But Xia Qing Shui interrupted him with a cold voice. "Wait, the host I scheduled this with doesn't seem to be Mr. Song." Song Sin Yu's heart sank to the pit of his stomach, but he still had to force himself to remain calm, to find a way to turn the situation around. "Didn't I speak with you yesterday? That Rongcheng TV is very eager to establish a mutually beneficial relationship with the Xia group. If the group has any requests in the future, our Rongcheng TV will do our utmost to cooperate." Song Xin Yu still held a sliver of hope in his heart that the conditions he offered might sway her. But Xia Qing Shui seemed completely unconcerned. "Yesterday, I lost a game of ball to Mr. Gu. Agreeing to the interview was the prize for the winner. Mr. Song here was present at the time. Perhaps you understand this matter better than anyone else." Xia Qing Shu's voice carried a frightening coldness. "I, Xia Qing Shu, accept my loss when I make a bet. I have always been a woman of my word. I only agreed to be interviewed by Mr. Gu. Therefore, the host of this interview can only be him. If Mr. Gu doesn't come, then today's interview is cancelled." With that, Xia Qing Shui turned and walked out of the meeting room. Song Xin Yu felt his limbs turn ice cold. Behind him, everyone began to whisper among themselves. "So, it wasn't Brother Yu who got the eldest Miss Xia for the interview? The Mr. Gu she mentioned. Could it be Gu Xian? I heard the eldest Miss lost a ball game to him. That's why she agreed to the interview. Brother Xian is truly the god of interviews. There's no interview he can't conquer. But why did Song Xin Yu have to lie and say he was the one who persuaded her?" Exposed on the spot, Song Xin Yu felt his world spinning, but he still had to grit his teeth and pretend like nothing was wrong as he turned around. "It's because I misunderstood her yesterday. Everyone, please ask him Si Gu to come here." The young assistant hurriedly called Director Tang. He recounted everything from beginning to end, everything he had just seen and heard. Director Tang was also extremely shocked after hearing the story. He rushed over to find me. "Xiaoan, you were clearly the one who won this interview. Why didn't you speak up and explain? You almost made us all misunderstand completely." I replied with a bright smile. "Director, it's all the same, no matter who does the interview." Director Tang hurriedly waved his hands. "How can it be the same? Your achievement should be credited to you. Now even CEO Xia says it has to be you. Hurry up and get over there." But I still didn't get up. My face still held the same smile. "If Song Xin Yu has already gone, then I won't go. I believe he is capable enough to do it. We all work for the station, after all. I can't be bothered to quibble over it." Director Tang coaxed in a gentle voice. "How about this? I'll have Song Xin Yu come back and apologize to you." After saying that, he looked at me cautiously. Seeing that I didn't object, Director Tang knew there was hope. He immediately dialed Song Xin Yu's number. He demanded that Song Xin Yu return to the station immediately, to personally invite me to go with him. Song Xin Yu knew full well what the word invite really meant, but right now, he had no other choice. Soon after, Song Xin Yu arrived at the station. Director Tang spoke in a reproachful tone. "Song Xin Yu, what on earth is wrong with you? Eldest Miss Xia clearly only agreed to be interviewed by Xiao An. How dare you claim it was you, director? I am very sorry, because I talked with CEO Zai for a long time yesterday morning, and she didn't explicitly refuse, so I thought she had tacitly agreed. It was my misunderstanding. Song X and Yu put on a pitiful expression that made it hard for anyone to scold him. Director Tang said, "Go apologize to Xian." Song X and Yu nodded slightly and walked over to my seat. Xian, I am sorry. This was all just a misunderstanding. I didn't mean to steal your interview spot. Hurry up and go to the Shuan building. Everyone is there waiting for you. I looked up, giving Song Xin Yu a smirk. Song Xin Yu, can everything really be resolved with just the words a misunderstanding? Back then, he and Wen Yue Ting were secretly together at summer camp. When he came back and explained it to me, he also called it a misunderstanding. Now, it's still a misunderstanding? Song Yu lowered his head, looking at me with a wronged expression. What do you want me to do? I'll do whatever you say. It was this very aggrieved expression that deceived me back then. I once treated him with all my sincerity. I used to see him as my own brother. I used to get into fights for him. I even took a knife for him once. To this day, I still have a half-foot-long scar on my shoulder. Perhaps the more you sacrifice, the more you hate. Yes. Until now, there was still one last thing in my heart that needed to be clarified. I stood up, looked him straight in the eye, and said, Song X in Yu, follow me. I walked into an empty meeting room. Song Xin Yu trailed in after me. I slammed the door shut, cutting off the countless curious and gossiping gazes from outside. As soon as he stepped inside, Song Xin Yu immediately dropped to his knees. He grabbed my hand and begged, Xian, please forgive me this time. If, because of my mistake, the station loses this interview, I definitely won't be able to stay here anymore. I immediately pulled my hand away from his. Song Xin Yu, I want to ask you something. Answer me honestly. About what happened during the summer break of our freshman year in college. Were you the one who told Wen Yue Ting? Is that right? Song Xin Yu's eyes seemed to be avoiding mine, connecting all the dots from the past. I could already confirm that this was definitely because Song X Ina Yu had told her, but I wasn't sure if this was single-handedly orchestrated by Song X and Yu. Song Xin Yu knelt on the ground. Xian, I don't dare hope you'll forgive me. Whether you believe it or not, I've lived in torment all these years. If you resent me, just hit me. Go on and hit me. It would make me feel a little better. Song Xin Yu grabbed my hand and slapped his own face with it. I pulled my hand back. He then started slapping his own face repeatedly. Soon, a 5-fingered handprint was visible on his face. Annoyed, I grabbed his wrist. Song Xin Yu, you set me up. Didn't you? Did you arrange that? A look of horror appeared in Song X and Yu's eyes. No, it wasn't. It's true that I let it slip to Wen Yue Ting, but that incident had nothing to do with me. I really didn't do it. I sneered. Song X and Yu, I will investigate this thoroughly. If I find out you were involved, I absolutely will not let you off the hook. I stood up and left the meeting room. Outside the door, a crowd of gossipers had gathered. They saw Song Xin Yu kneeling inside, with a clear handprint on his face. Li Wei couldn't stand my smug look. Gu Xian, you've gone too far. How dare you hit someone? Song X and Yu rushed over. No, and didn't hit me. I bumped into something myself. Bumped into what to get a 5-fingered handprint. Song Xin, you just accidentally took your interview, and you dare to beat him up like this. Li Wei urged Song X and Yu. Song X and Yu, you can sue him for intentional assault. I raised an eyebrow and said casually, I didn't hit him. He slapped his own face. I couldn't even stop him in time. After speaking, I picked up my phone. I took a picture right in Li Wei's face. Then I quickly found someone in my contacts and sent it. Done. I gave Li Wei a brilliant smile. Let me send this to Mrs. Li, to see if the girl with monolids that she's been looking for all this time is you. Li Wei froze on the spot. I turned and strode away. I already let her off once, but she's still causing trouble. Does she think I am easy to bully? Soon, I arrived at the Shuan building. Gao Qin was waiting at the door as usual. Hello, Mr. Gu. CEO Xia invites you to her office first. I followed Gao Qin into the private elevator to go to Shuan's office. As soon as the elevator doors opened, I stepped out into a room decorated like a bedroom. At that moment, Shai-Ching Shui was sitting on the sofa, looking at me with a pouty smile. Planning to run after sleeping with me? How can you be so irresponsible? I chuckled. I waved my hand and said, come on. It's not like you were at a disadvantage. I didn't feel embarrassed at all. With that, I glanced around the room. I noticed that the decor here was exactly the same as in the Xinghe villa. Shia-Ching Shui stood up and came up behind me. She wrapped her arms around my waist. Her lips brushed against my ear. Her voice became very suggestive. Why did you come looking for me last night? Actually, I felt quite regretful about yesterday. I clearly didn't want to get any more entangled. Yet yesterday, I took the initiative to find her, and even did that. I turned around and lifted Jie Xing Ixua's exquisite face. I placed a light kiss on her lips. For the interview, of course. You see, didn't you proactively come here yourself today? Xia-Ching Shui raised an eyebrow and said nonchalantly, if you don't want to say, then fine. But you've provoked me again. This time, I won't let you get away so easily." As soon as she finished speaking, a flurry of kisses rained down. Soon, I was pushed down onto the sofa. "Don't be like this. We still have the interview later." Xia Qing also tried to restrain herself, her voice husky. "Come to Xinghe Villa tonight." I thought for a moment, then nodded. Xia Qing frowned. "You agreed just as decisively last time." I smiled. "Don't worry. I won't stand you up this time." A while later, the interview officially began. Because the information had been announced early on official channels, as soon as the live stream started, tens of thousands of people flooded in. Xia Qing is the daughter of the richest man. I've only ever heard her name, never seen her face. I heard many domestic and international media outlets want to interview her. I can't believe her first public appearance is at our small Rongcheng TV station. Rongcheng TV really hit the jackpot this time. Jing TV must be fuming. Who's the MC for this interview? Why is he so handsome? His looks are no less than a celebrity's. At this moment, Xia Qing slowly walked into the interview room. The camera lens immediately zoomed in on her face. The live stream chat went silent for a second and then exploded. Who is this beauty? In 1 minute, I want all her information. Wow. Does someone this beautiful really exist in the world? I recognize her immediately. This is my long-lost wife, Xia Qing. After she sat down, I introduced her according to procedure. The live stream chat was already in an uproar. Is she really Xia Qing? Her beauty is exactly my type. Rich, powerful, and beautiful. What door did God possibly close for her? And I also began the official interview. Most of the questions revolved around the Tiantang Resort. Because of the Wen family's matter, I had researched this project before. You could say I knew it like the back of my hand. Therefore, the questions I asked were also very professional. In just a short 20-minute interview, the number of live stream viewers soared to 1 million. Finally, it was time for the last segment. I maintained a professional smile on my face. "Thank you, Miss Xia, for accepting the interview invitation from our Rongcheng TV station. Currently, our live stream has millions of viewers. Everyone is extremely curious about Miss Xia. We will now randomly select 3 questions from the audience. Could you please help answer them?" Xia Qing chuckled lightly and nodded. "All right." In front of so many witnesses, the technical department randomly screenshotted questions. First question. "Miss Xia, do you have a boyfriend?" After asking, I also felt this question was a bit intrusive. To lighten the mood, I smiled and said, "It seems everyone is very interested in Miss Xia's personal life. If you find it bothersome, we can switch to another question. It's okay." Xia Qing appeared very generous. "I don't have a boyfriend," she answered decisively. I discreetly curled my lip. This answer was within my expectations. For the past 3 years, I could confirm that I was the only man Xia Qing had, but I certainly didn't count as her boyfriend. So what was I? It seems I wasn't a lover either. Lovers at least have some feelings, but the two of us just craved each other's body heat. The second screenshot also appeared. Second question. What type of guy does Miss Xia like? Xia Qing seemed to think for a moment, then answered, "Terrible at cooking, and has a mole at the corner of his eye." My heart skipped a beat. It turns out Xia Qing already had a secret crush. Of course, I wasn't narcissistic enough to think that the person Xia Qing liked was me, because I had never cooked for her in the past 3 years, so she had no idea what my skills were like. As for the mole, I do have a very small mole at the corner of my eye. It's impossible to see if you don't look very closely. Perhaps she has had someone she liked for a long time, and the reason she noticed me before was because I also had a mole at the corner of my eye like that person. The live stream chat went wild again. I am a terrible cook. I have a mole at the corner of my eye too. Eldest Miss Xia, please look at me. The third question was also selected. Actually, there was no need for a screenshot, because the entire screen was filled with similar questions. I asked, does the person Miss Xia likes like her back? After hearing this question, Xia Qing suddenly turned to look at me. MC Gu. What do you think? I feigned surprise. Miss Xia, I don't know the man of your dreams. How would I know? But I believe the person Miss Xia likes must be an exceptionally outstanding person. Xia Qing nodded in agreement. The number of people who like him could form a line from here to Paris. A bit of curiosity also sparked within me. I wondered what kind of person the man of her dreams was. Every time she mentioned him, I saw a light shining in Xia Qing's eyes. The live stream chat exploded once again. A secret crush? Eldest Miss Xia has to have a secret crush on someone. Turns out, no matter how capable you are, in front of the person you like, you still become cautious, not daring to be certain of the other person's feelings. So does that lucky guy know that the eldest Miss Xia has a secret crush on him? On behalf of everyone, I asked the most curious question. So Miss Xia doesn't know whether that person likes you back? Xia Qing smiled. I am still waiting in line in Paris. I hope he doesn't make me wait too long. That witty answer instantly relaxed the atmosphere. I also added a teasing remark. The brave are the first to enjoy life. Miss Xia, you should try boldly pursuing him. You might just succeed. After speaking, I turned to the camera for the final summary. Once again, thank you, Miss Xia Qing, for participating in this interview. We also wish you to be with the one you love soon. The interview ended. The crew gradually left the meeting room. I also intended to get up and leave quickly. But just as I stood up, Xia Qingxue grabbed my arm tightly, finishing the job and then bolting. "This is just your style, isn't it?" I glanced around and said, "I still have to go back to the station. It's still working hours." Xia Qingxue glanced at her watch. "Your TV station is still working at 11:30? Have a meal with me before you go." I had no choice. I had to tell the other crew members to go back first. Lunch was brought in by Gao Qin. Xi Qing, ex-US office was actually a self-contained apartment, so we had lunch right at the dining table. I suddenly remembered something and burst out laughing. Xia Qingxue asked while peeling shrimp. "What are you laughing at?" I said slowly. "We've known each other for 3 years. It seems this is the first time we've had lunch together. We knew each other for 3 years and almost always met at night. We occasionally had dinner together, but never lunch." Xie Qingxue placed the peeled shrimp in my bowl. "Because you only see me as a bed warmer." I was drinking soup and choked when I heard that. "Miss Xia, can we not bring up old matters?" Xia Qing. Shui stared at me and continued, "We can forget the old stuff. But what about last night?" "Last night, you suddenly forced yourself on me." "What does that mean?" She spoke in a relaxed manner, but her attitude was extremely serious, as if discussing a very important matter. This time, I really choked and hurriedly looked for a tissue. It took me a long time to calm down enough to speak. "I am sorry. I was a bit agitated yesterday. I promise something like that will never happen again." Xie Qingxue raised an eyebrow. "Doesn't that put me at a disadvantage?" I was stunned. It took a moment for me to react. "Huh? What? Gu Xian, do you want to be my boyfriend?" I blurted out instinctively. "I am married." Xia Qingxue laughed. "What does that marriage of yours even count as? Is it legally recognized?" I was a bit stunned. "You know everything?" Xia Qingxue nodded. She was silent for a moment before speaking. "When Yu Ting doesn't love you, you know that very well yourself. Instead of wasting time on someone who will never look back at you, why don't you try someone else? I think we're quite compatible." I looked at her and smiled. "Miss Xia, to be honest, your skills in bed are quite good." Xia Qingxue frowned upon hearing that. She had so many good qualities, yet I only remembered that she was good at that. I continued. "We can continue to be together, but on one condition." Xia Qingxue pouted at me. "What condition?" "No seeking benefits, no talking about feelings. Just being happy together is enough. Neither party is bound to the other, and we don't interfere in each other's private lives." After hearing this, Xia Qingxue seemed dissatisfied. "So you don't want to be in a relationship with me? You just want to sleep with me?" I nodded. I knew we both had feelings for each other. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been entangled for the past 3 years. However, our statuses are too different. In the end, we definitely can't go any further. After saying that, I couldn't help but sigh internally. Besides, I myself am burdened with so many secrets. I had long since stopped believing in faithful, unwavering love. Knowing Wen Yu Ting for over 20 years, from childhood sweethearts, we could still reach a point of mutual disgust. So what in this world doesn't change? Seeing that Xia Qingxue still looked dissatisfied, I smiled nonchalantly. "If you don't agree, then forget it." Xia Qingxue nodded. "All right, then you should move into the Xinghe villa first." I really didn't expect Xia Qingxue to actually agree. I said, "I need to take care of some things first. Once I am done, I'll move over." This time, Xia Qingxue didn't say anything more. I didn't get back to the TV station until noon. Tang Ling had just put down her thermos when she rushed out to greet me. "Xian, you are truly a great hero of our station." The feedback on the interview was extremely good. The viewership ratings just set a new record. The advertising slots for the program are being fiercely competed for. Jing TV even called specifically to learn from our experience. The station director said he must reward you handsomely. I smiled. "It's all for the good of the station. It's nothing, sis." Everyone around also flocked to surround me. "Brother Xian, you are amazing." The phones in the newsroom had been ringing off the hook. Everyone was revolving around me. Only Song X and Yu was sitting in the distance, quietly observing everything. In the evening, I returned to the Wen family's old house. As usual, I went to the study first, to chat with the old man for a while. Only then did I return to my room. I started packing my personal belongings. I had decided to move out. Actually, I hadn't always lived at the Wen family's house before. I would stay out every now and then. The Wen family was used to it. But this time, I wanted to move out for good. Having lived here for 3 years, I felt a little reluctant to leave, especially since the Wen family treated me like their own son. At the darkest moment of my life, they gave me a peaceful harbor to shelter from the storm. Sometimes I thought, if Wen Yu Ting hadn't come back, it might have been good to stay with the Wen family for the rest of my life. But from the moment Wen Yu Ting returned, everything seemed to have gradually deviated from its original path. While my mind was in turmoil, the door to my room was suddenly pushed open. Wen Yu Ting's furious figure appeared at the door. As soon as she entered, she grabbed my arm and pushed hard, because I was squatting down to pack. That push made me fall to the ground. "Wen Yu Ting, what are you going crazy about now?" I yelled loudly, no longer holding back. "Gu Xian, you have the nerve to ask me? Isn't stealing Song X and Yu's interview enough for you? Now you dare to humiliate and slap him in front of everyone." I slowly stood up. Did Song Gixin Yu tell you I stole his interview? Wen Yu Ting looked at me with eyes full of hatred. He doesn't need to tell me. I know it myself. Since we were young, you've always been competitive. When I was a child, whatever I learned, you would learn too. You always wanted to be better than me in everything. You're the kind of person who loves to steal things that belong to others. A sneer was evident on Wen Yue Ting's lips. You even treat me like that, let alone sing you. Indeed, my personality had been like that since I was young. Back then, when she went to learn golf, I also tagged along for fun, but I always played better than her. Everyone praised me endlessly. After that, she stopped playing golf and started learning Go. So, I also started learning Go. As a result, I competed and won all sorts of awards, both domestic and international, while she got so angry that she swore never to touch a Go board again. It seems that for the first half of her life, she always had to live in my shadow. At this moment, I was a little surprised that Wen Yuting brought up our childhood. It's true. Whatever Wen Yuting learned as a child, I learned it too. But my only purpose was simply to have more time to be with her and play together. Therefore, I would put my heart into learning whatever she liked. I never had any intention of outshining her, let alone any intention of taking anything from her. I never cared for those empty titles or brilliant halos. I never expected Wen Yue Ting to think of me in such a terrible way, but at this point, all explanations had become redundant. I sighed softly. Wen Yue Ting, no matter what I say now, you won't believe me, because right now, the only one in your mind is Song Xin Yu. I paused for a moment and then continued. If that's the case, let's end this. Wen Yue Ting let out an even more sarcastic laugh, trying to threaten me again. Huh. Gu Xian, can't you come up with a newer trick? I looked straight into her eyes and stated seriously. I am serious this time. I'll move out tonight. I'll explain everything clearly to Grandpa and everyone else later. Just then, the butler called us down for dinner. I strode out decisively. The atmosphere during dinner was extremely gloomy. Both Wen Yue Ting and I were lost in our own thoughts. Halfway through the meal, I suddenly put down my chopsticks. Grandpa, Dad, Mom. Everyone turned to look at me. Mother Wen asked. Shi-an. What is it? Son, I spoke slowly. For the past 3 years, I sincerely thank you all for your love and care. I plan to move out tonight. As soon as Mother Wen heard this, her expression immediately changed in shock. After composing herself, she turned and scolded Wen Yue Ting. Did you cause trouble again? And made Xian upset. I quickly tried to stop Mother Wen. Yue Ting and I have decided to break up. Mother Wen was so shocked, she couldn't believe her ears. Are you two getting a divorce? I said calmly. Actually, we never registered our marriage in the first place, so I guess it doesn't count as a divorce. Everyone looked extremely shocked. Yue Ting's father was also confused. But you two clearly had a marriage certificate before. It's still in the drawer at home, I replied. That one is fake. I bought it online for 9.9 yuan with free shipping. Yue Ting's father's face changed. Outrageous. Simply outrageous. Back then, Grandpa forced Yue Ting to marry me. On the day we were supposed to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau, Yue Ting suddenly had regrets to deal with the family. I had no choice but to find someone online to make fake documents. The truth is, Yu Ting and I were never husband and wife. Yue Ting's mother stood up and slapped her shoulder. It was you. It was your doing. Wasn't it? Yue Ting's face was gloomy from beginning to end. She couldn't utter a word. She didn't expect me to actually do it this time. I, on the other hand, remained calm. Mom, don't hit Yue Ting anymore. It's not her fault. It's just that she doesn't love me. Even if Yue Ting and I break up, in my heart, you all will always be my family. But matters of the heart can't be forced. Yue Ting's father supported his wife, who was crying silently. Separating now might not be a bad thing. Let them both calm down first. It might actually help soothe their relationship. Yue Ting's mother nodded, choking back sobs. I moved all my luggage into the car. After saying goodbye to Yue Ting's parents and grandpa, I prepared to leave. Rarely, Wen Yu Ting followed behind to see me off. I opened the car door. But Yu Ting grabbed my arm. Gu Shi-an. Have you caused enough trouble? I laughed, feigning confusion. You think I am causing trouble? After saying that, I pushed Yue Ting's hand away. After getting in the car and starting the engine, I rolled down the car window. I looked up and smiled at Yue Ting. Wen Yue Ting, this time I am really letting you go. I wish you and Song Action you happiness. After speaking, the car sped away from the Wen family's old residence. Wen Yu Ting stood stunned in the courtyard for a long time. Before, when I was clinging to her, she was truly disgusted to the extreme. But now that I was really gone, her heart felt empty, especially the smile as I left. That serenity, neither sad nor happy, as if all grudges had been let go. Instead, it made her feel a lump in her throat. Go Xian, can you really let go? Or are you just putting on a show for everyone? I left the Wen family's old residence and drove straight to the Xing He villa. Soon, a slender figure emerged from inside. I burst out laughing. What is the great Miss Sai doing? Ixia Qing Shui knew what I was laughing about. She looked down at the apron she was wearing. I've made dinner. I was waiting for you to come back and eat. I was a bit surprised. You know how to cook? No. Wait, how did you know I would come here today? Xia Qing Xu's lips curled slightly. A woman's intuition. I said nothing more. I opened the trunk. After bringing my luggage into the house, I didn't hurry to unpack. Instead, I went with Xia Qing Shui into the dining room. The table was already set with all sorts of delicious and appealing dishes. I was quite surprised. Did you make all of this? Xia Qing Shui nodded. It took 3 hours. There's chicken soup too. Let me get it. Tonight at the Wen's house, I barely ate anything. Looking at this table full of colorful and flavorful food, I realized I was really hungry. We sat on opposite sides of the dining table and started to eat. I tried a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs. I was amazed. This is delicious. How do you know how to cook? I was sent to England to study abroad when I was 13. I was there for 7 years, she said in a single, concise sentence. I understood immediately. England is known as a global culinary wasteland. International students who want authentic Chinese food have to cook it themselves. That's why most international students have divine cooking skills. Do you usually cook for yourself? Xia Qing Shui shook her head. Rarely. Today is for celebration. I asked casually, what are we celebrating? Xia Qing Shu proactively started cleaning up in the kitchen. Of course, it's to congratulate Mr. Gu for leaving the darkness and finding the light. After dinner, I stood at the door with a cup of coffee, watching her wash the dishes inside. This woman had a perfect model-like figure. Just the sight of her back was enough to make one's heart race. In front of others, she was always cold and noble, as if she were completely unreachable. But in front of me, she was like a different person. Thinking back to the 3 years I kept her, it was this woman who did the housework, tidied up clothes, and she even played all sorts of tricks in bed. Afterward, she would gently help me bathe. I always thought she was a treasure, expertly trained to enchant people. Who would have known she had such a distinguished identity? Even now, I still feel very conflicted. Xia Qing Sui finished cleaning up and came out of the kitchen. Seeing the coffee cup in my hand, she couldn't help but frown and say, "It's so late and you're still drinking coffee. Don't you want to sleep?" I smiled. I have insomnia anyway. It doesn't matter. I have chronic insomnia. Getting 3 hours of sleep a day is already good. This Xia Qing Shu, who had slept with me for 3 years, knew very well. Xia Qing Sui raised an eyebrow slightly. It's good if you can't sleep. We can do other things. After saying that, she walked up to me. She naturally wrapped her arms around my waist. I turned my face slightly. Why did you hide your identity? Xia Qing Shui had a calm expression. It seems you never asked about my identity. I pursed my lips. That's right. For 3 years, I never cared about her, and I was never curious about her. Even though we often slept together, I knew nothing about her daily life. I asked again. Did you already know that Yu Ting and I weren't really married? Xia Qing Shui said nonchalantly. I am not interested in other people's husbands. I looked at her and asked, when did you find out? Xia Qing Shui smiled. That night, at the AI Ma Club, you were dead drunk. You rambled on all night. I couldn't help but hear. I was a bit surprised. Nothing happened between us that night. Did it? Xia Qing Shu shook her head. Nothing happened at all. It was just that afterward, you complained about being tired. You leaned against me and fell asleep. Why didn't you tell me nothing happened that day? I suddenly felt a little angry. Xia Qing Shui laughed. Then would you still have kept me? Hearing that, I suddenly felt like I had been tricked. I am telling you, you're the great miss of Beijing's high society. How could you have such a strange hobby? Enjoying being kept by someone. Xia Qing Xu's hand on my waist squeezed lightly. Doesn't everyone have their little hobbies? Any more questions? I shook my head and said no. Xia Qing Shui smiled. Then can we start now? After speaking, she leaned in to kiss my lips. My hand blocked her lips. Things are different now. Your current identity is not the same as before. Since we've chosen to be together, we need to set 3 rules. Xia Qing Shui took my hand and kissed it. She looked incredibly patient. 3 rules. Huh? First, we only talk about pleasure, not feelings. Don't fall in love with each other. Second, respect each other's privacy and independent space. The second floor is yours. The third floor is mine. Third, while we are together, neither of us can have another bed partner. I have no intention of sharing a woman with another man. If you have a better option, let me know in advance. I will leave on my own accord. Xia Qing Sui nodded in agreement. I don't have a habit of sharing a boyfriend either. It's a deal then. My hand caressed Xia Qing Xu's cold, beautiful cheek. If you have any requests, you can state them. Xia Qing Shu leaned close to me. Her voice now had a hint of desire. I only have one request. This time, I decide when we end. I looked at Xia Qing Shui and smiled. Provided you follow the rules of the game, then you get to decide. Once any rule is violated, our relationship can end at any time. Xia Qing Xu's eyes darkened. Her expression became serious. She seemed to be thinking. But the next second, a flurry of kisses rained down. She had agreed. Tonight was just like before. The only difference was, her identity had changed. From the canary I kept for 3 years, she had become the noble young lady of Beijing's high society. The mentality was, after all, a little different. My sleep had always been poor, but perhaps because I was so exhausted last night, I slept straight through until morning. When I woke up, there was no one beside me. I thought Xia Qingxue had left, but it turned out she was in the dining room and had made another lavish breakfast. I didn't hold back my praise. Without ceremony, I started to eat. I couldn't understand. She clearly had a naturally cold face. Why did I previously see her as a flirt? Xia Qingxue suddenly met my gaze. Were you satisfied last night? I didn't have time to react. What? Xia Qingxue smiled. I thought you weren't satisfied with my performance last night. How about we do it all over again? After she spoke, a playful glint appeared in her beautiful eyes. Her lips also curled up slightly. I finally understood. A flirt is still a flirt. After eating, I went to the TV station. Early in the morning, everyone gathered around to congratulate me on becoming the primetime host. A moment later, Li Wei came out of Tang Lin's office. As he passed by me, his face was full of hatred. Gu Xian, I won't let you off. After saying that, he left. People started gossiping. The affair between Li Wei and the big boss at Heng Li was discovered by Mrs. Li. Yesterday, Mrs. Li hired people to strip him naked in the middle of the street. As a result, it became a trending topic. How does he have the nerve to blame Xian? It's his own fault for being indecent. The TV station's reputation has been ruined by him. How can he still show his face at the station? The TV station is also a place where people kick you when you're down. These people used to say the same things about me. I just smiled and paid no mind. During the morning meeting, Director Tang spoke up. There are 2 announcements to make today. First, Lai Wei has resigned due to personal health reasons. The second matter. Director Tang looked at me. His gaze was a bit complicated. A colleague I was on good terms with spoke up. The second announcement must be about our Xian becoming the primetime host. Everyone else chimed in agreement. Their faces looked like they were waiting to suck up and congratulate. Only Song Xin Yu remained silent, sitting in a corner of the meeting table. A troubled expression appeared on Tang Lin's face. I previously said that whoever got the exclusive interview with the great Messiah would become the primetime host. But just this morning, Song Xin-yu secured a 5-year advertising contract with the Wen Group. The contributions of both Xi An and Song Xin-yu too. The TV station cannot be ignored. Therefore, I plan to let you two compete fairly. Use your professional abilities to win this position. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was stunned. A 5-year advertising contract with the Wen Group? The Wen Group's annual advertising fees are in the tens of millions, right? Song Xin-yu, you're really amazing. The whole meeting room started to lavish praise on Song Xin-yu. The Wen Group is one of the leading enterprises in Rongcheng. The weight of their advertising fees can be compared to dozens of smaller companies combined, not to mention Song Xin-yu signed for 5 years. I am afraid even the station director will have to personally pop champagne to congratulate him. Suddenly, no one cared about me anymore. I understood clearly in my heart, this place was always a place where human feelings are cold, and interests always come first. After the meeting ended, Tang Lin came over to offer some perfunctory comfort. Xian, actually, I still think highly of you. Your programs have always had the highest viewership ratings at the station. I believe you won't lose to Song Xin-yu in this aspect. This hosting competition is just a formality. So for the entire following week, Song Xin-yu and I took turns hosting the primetime slot. The TV station even organized a popularity poll for the primetime host. Today is Sunday. It's also the final day of our competition. Before this, we had each taken turns hosting for 3 days. Looking at the data, I crushed Song Xin-yu in every aspect. Today, the station arranged for us to co-host, to let the audience vote and decide who will take the position of primetime host. Based on the current data, this position is definitely mine. Whether it's appearance or professionalism, there's nothing to criticize, especially since I used to host the noon news. I already had a fan base, so right from the start of the news broadcast, my vote count was far ahead of Song Xin-yu's. Just when everyone thought the primetime host position could belong to no one but me, an incident still occurred. While we were broadcasting the news, a piece of news shot straight up the Weibo hot search list. It quickly took the #1 spot. The title of the hot search was, "Primetime host Gu Xian's mother is a murderer." Social media immediately exploded. Gossip about me came flooding in like a storm. The son of a murderer wants to be a primetime host. How is he worthy? His mother is a murderer, but it's not like he's the murderer. These are 2 completely different things. Okay? A fish rots from the head down. A mother killing a father, as the son, his psyche must be twisted. Forcing me to watch the son of a murderer report the news every day will give me psychological trauma. 10 minutes into the broadcast, the vote count changed rapidly. My polling page almost stopped increasing. On the contrary, Song Xin-yu's side, with a fierce momentum, shot straight up. While I was hosting the news, I could see this abnormal voting process. I roughly guessed that something must have happened, but I still finished the news report professionally and calmly. The broadcast ended. Song Xin-yu and I walked out of the studio. Everyone looked like they wanted to say something but held back. They looked at me with very complicated gazes. I asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" The cameraman, Zhao Yuan, spoke up. "Xian, check the Weibo hot search." I immediately took out my phone and opened Weibo. Seeing it, my expression gradually turned cold. A colleague next to me asked cautiously, "Xian, is what they're saying online true? Others also gathered around. Shi An. Is your mother really a murderer? That. I heard that when your mother killed your father, you were also at the scene, right? Shi An. It seems you've never mentioned your family or parents. At this moment, Song Xinyu stepped forward. Everyone, stop asking. These things aren't Shi An's fault. After speaking, he looked at me with a worried expression. Shi An, are you okay? Don't take what's online to heart. Your parents' lives don't represent your life. It seemed like consolation, but in reality, it was to confirm the fact that I am the son of a murderer. I turned off my phone. I looked up. A faint smile touched my lips, but my eyes were terrifyingly cold. Song Xinyu. It was you, wasn't it? Song Xinyu looked shocked and hurt. Shi An, what are you talking about? I just found out after seeing the news myself. My smile deepened. My eyes grew colder. It had better not be you. Otherwise, you know my temper. Song Xinyu was about to open his mouth to explain further. Tang Lin stepped forward with a serious expression. Shi An, actually, your family's matters have nothing to do with you, but this matter has blown up too much. The public backlash is too strong. I have to consider the impact on the TV station. The primetime host position will be temporarily given to Song Xinyu. Well, make adjustments after this incident dies down. I smiled faintly, maintaining my courteous demeanor. Okay. I'll follow the director's arrangements. Tang Lin breathed a sigh of relief and continued. You haven't taken your annual leave in a long time. Just take a week off. Get some good rest. I left the TV station and drove straight back to the Xinghe villa. The light in Jia Qing-Ixua's study was still on. I went straight into the study. She was sitting at her desk. She had clearly already showered, wearing a set of pink pajamas. She was staring thoughtfully at her computer. I walked to Xia Qing-Sua's side, leaned close to her ear, and took a gentle sniff. What kind of shampoo did you use today? It smells so good. Tia Qing-Shue stood up very naturally and hugged me. Are you in a bad mood? From the moment I appeared at the door, Xia Qing-Shue had realized my emotions were off. I nodded. That's right. So I am in great need of comfort. If it were before, at this point, Xia Qing-Shue would have already taken the initiative, but today, she took my hand instead. Is it because of the post online? I was a bit surprised and chuckled softly. The great Miss Xia is so busy, and you still have the leisure to browse the internet. Xia Qing-Shue pulled me with one hand. With the other, she opened the computer on the desk. I found out who posted it. Take a look. I was a little surprised and looked at the computer. On the computer was a video clip. The woman in the video was wearing a baseball cap, posting at an internet cafe, and the content of the post was the one topping the hot search list. Xia Qing-Shue continued. I've also investigated this person's identity. Your colleague from the news department, Li Wei. He used to be the host of the morning news. Did you have any conflict with him? My face showed no surprise. There were some conflicts. I looked at the back in the video and smiled. But he's just doing someone else's dirty work. Xia Qing-Shue was staring at my perfect profile. I looked at the back of the video and smiled. But she is just sewing a wedding dress for someone else. Xia Qing-Shue was staring at my perfect face. You mean he was put up to it by someone? My gaze suddenly grew a few degrees colder. You know best who it is. Xia Qing-Shue said coldly. How are you going to handle this? Do you need my help? I pondered for a few seconds, then reached out and closed the laptop. I turned around and lifted Xia Qing-Shue's face. No need. I can handle it myself. I wouldn't dare trouble Miss Xia. Hearing the words Miss Xia, Xia Qing-Shue subtly frowned. But I took the initiative to place a kiss on her lips. Come to my room tonight. Okay. Xia Qing-Shue. Of course. Couldn't refuse my invitation. The next day, I called Li Wei. I asked him to meet. Li Wei was still incredibly arrogant. Sorry. The editor-in-chief of Li Ren invited me for an interview today. I am afraid I am not as idle as you are. Li Wei, of course, knew I had lost the primetime host position and that I was forced to take annual leave by the director. It was called leave, but it was basically being shelved. Li Wei on the other end of the line sounded extremely gloating. My voice remained as calm as usual. No time during the day? Then tonight at Yun Ding restaurant. My treat tonight. What do you say? Yun Ding is one of the most high-end restaurants in Rongcheng. Li Wei considered for a few seconds and agreed. He knew this was definitely a Hongmen banquet, but he wasn't scared at all. In the evening, Li Wei deliberately arrived an hour late. Unexpectedly, I was still sitting there waiting patiently. Li Wei walked over and sat down opposite me. I just applied for the editor-in-chief position at Li Ren. As it happens, I'm short an assistant editor. How about you resign and come work with me at Li Ren? Even though it's just an assistant editor, I'll look out for you. It's better than sitting around doing nothing at the TV station later. Li Wei's gaze was extremely sarcastic and contemptuous. He was a senior who had worked at the TV station for 5 years. I had only worked there for a year. Yet I had surpassed him in every way. Now, he could finally vent this anger. My expression remained calm, and I smiled faintly. Then I really thank you for your kind offer. However, I have no intention of changing jobs at the moment. Li Wei laughed mockingly. I am just trying to do what's best for you. Instead of waiting to be fired, it's better to resign on your own. That way, you can save some face. Do you think the director would keep someone who was the son of a murderer to tarnish the TV station's reputation? Even if the director wanted to protect you, the station head would never agree. I went straight to the point. My current situation, isn't it all thanks to you? Li Wei put on a very innocent expression. Do you, Xian? Don't blame me for your own downfall. If I had dirt on you, I wouldn't have waited until today to release it. I opened a video on my phone and placed it in front of Li Wei. After Li Wei finished watching the video, his expression changed abruptly. He didn't expect that the scene of him posting at the internet cafe would be found by me in a video. A flicker of panic crossed Li Wei's face, but he quickly regained his composure. That's right, I wrote that post. But so what? I didn't slander you. Your mother being a murderer, that's a fact. I looked at him and said calmly, Li Wei, I didn't come here today to settle scores with you. You said one thing right. If you had this information, you wouldn't have waited until now to release it. I just want to clarify who gave you these materials, although I already had the answer in my heart, but I still want to confirm something. Li Wei snorted coldly. No one gave it to me. Gu Xian, I was the one who investigated you. I frowned slightly. Online, they only announced that my mother was a murderer. There was no mention of swapping babies with the Gu family. I remained unusually calm. I just want to know who gave you those documents. Li Wei maintained the arrogant expression. You want to know? The more you ask, the less he'll tell you. I glanced at him and said, if you tell me now, perhaps I won't hold you responsible anymore. Li Wei laughed maniacally. Gu Xian, at a time like this, you're still putting on an act? What power do you have now? I'd really like to see what you can do to me. I smiled faintly. I took out my phone and stood up. Then I dialed a number. It was a call to Xia King Shui. The call was quickly answered. I spoke. Can you do me a favor? A few minutes later, I returned to my seat. Li Wei sneered. Go Xian, stop putting on a show. You think one phone call is enough to scare me? Who do you think you are? Li Wei was not scared at all. He had already deleted the original post. At most, I could only report him to the police for violating my image rights. This kind of thing can be settled with a little compensation money. But very soon after, Li Wei received a call from the editor-in-chief of Li Ren. Li Wei, I am afraid I can't give you that editor-in-chief position. Li Wei immediately panicked. Editor-in-chief Wang, didn't we already reach an agreement today? You must have offended someone. I can't say anything more about the other matters. In short, the order came from above. After hanging up, Li Wei looked at me with a face full of doubt. The editor-in-chief position at Li Ren. He had been meticulously planning for it for several months. He had spent a lot of money in the process. He used all of his connections. It was so hard to finally get it in his grasp. Immediately after, he roared in anger. Gu Xian, what trick did you pull? How dare you ruin my career? I wiped the smile from my face as well. You brought this upon yourself. I almost forgot. Your relationship with the editor-in-chief of Li Ren is pretty good. Isn't it? What? Did you sleep with her? Gu Xian, don't think I'm afraid of you. If I can't be the editor-in-chief of Li Ren, there are still plenty of other media magazines begging me to work for them. I glanced at him, then continued. I am afraid you won't be able to go anywhere. You've been blacklisted by all media outlets. Seeing my confident tone, he suddenly felt a bit scared. He hurriedly made a few phone calls. Unexpectedly, what I said was completely true. The major newspapers and the magazines he was close with had all received orders to blacklist him. Li Wei collapsed onto the chair. He stared blankly at the man opposite him. Who is it? Utterly foolish. You don't even know who you've offended. A tall figure suddenly appeared behind me. Li Wei looked up. His expression suddenly filled with terror. Young Miss Xia. Shai Ching Shui was standing behind me. She placed one hand intimately on my shoulder. I looked up, a little surprised myself. Why are you here? Didn't I tell you last night? Today is Qin Meng Yao's birthday. The private room is booked right here at Yun Ding Restaurant. I didn't expect you'd be meeting a friend here too. Then, Xia Qing Xu's gaze fell upon Li Wei. Her look immediately turned cold and sharp. Li Wei's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. From our demeanor, tone, and our recent conversation, Li Wei could tell that the relationship between us was not simple at all. He could only hurriedly beg for forgiveness. Young Miss Xia, please give me a way out. It wasn't me. It was Song Xinyu. All the documents were given to me by Song Xinyu. On the day I quit, he suddenly gave me a folder of documents and told me to post it online on the last day of the voting. I am just a tool in Song Xinyu's hands. Li Wei knew full well what a terrible end he would face for offending this young Miss Xia. However, Jie Qingzui had no intention of letting him go. Even a tool deserves to die. I'll give you 3 days to leave Rongcheng. Don't let me see your face ever again. Li Wei's face was drained of all color. In despair, he couldn't utter another word. Having gotten the answer I wanted, I slowly stood up. Xia Qing Shui took my hand. Her eyes were full of tenderness. We walked out of the restaurant together. I looked at her and spoke. Thanks for your help. I owe you one. Xia Qing Shui said casually, since you said you owe me one, there's an opportunity right now for you to repay that favor. I turned to look at her. What opportunity? I just told you. Qin Meng Yao is having her birthday party here. Everyone else has a male companion. Only I don't. It's so embarrassing. How about you come have a few drinks with me? We can go home together later. I nodded in agreement. Then let's go. The door to the private room was pushed open. The lively atmosphere inside rushed out. The room was very large. The table was piled high with all kinds of gifts, and a giant birthday cake had been partially cut. Sister King Shui, you're back. Where did you go just now? A rich young master hurriedly approached, but when he saw me standing next to Shy Ching Shui, his expression suddenly changed. His voice also rose a few octaves, full of hostility. Ching Shui, who is he? The others also, one by one, came to their senses and looked towards the door. They saw that Shay Ching Shui had actually brought a man with her. Everyone's eyes widened in astonishment. He's my boyfriend. Xia Ching Su's voice was very casual, but it was loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. Everyone's jaws seemed to drop in astonishment. Everyone knew that the number of suitors pursuing Xia Ching Shui in Jingcheng could form a line all the way to Paris. Yet she never gave any of them a second glance. The reason was that she always kept the image of a man hidden in her heart. For that man, she had even remained chaste. To escape the marriage arranged by her grandfather, she even moved to Rongcheng, a small city thousands of miles away from Jingcheng. Xu Xingxue had lived in Rongcheng for 3 years. Half of it was for the Paradise Resort project. The other half was because her grandfather had arranged a marriage for her. It was with the son of the Qin family, one of the 4 great families in Jingcheng, the sole heir of the Qin family, Qin Lijie. Boyfriend? How can you have a boyfriend? You. Are you worthy of my feelings? Xia Ching Shui laughed coldly. What does me having a boyfriend have to do with you? Qin Liji frowned deeply. Xia Ching Shui, I am your fiancé. You know very well that grandfather values me the most. He has already secretly approached my family to propose. It just hasn't been announced publicly yet. The corners of Xia Ching Xua's lips curled into a cold smile. I have never acknowledged that. If it was grandfather's decision, then go talk to him. Qin Lijie looked at the woman before him in disbelief. Seeing that Xia Ching Shui was about to get into an argument, Jun Mengyao hurriedly stepped forward to intervene. Chao Jie, your marriage isn't set in stone yet. Don't cause a scene here. Qin Lai Jie was furious. Sister, whose side are you on? Are you just going to let my future sister-in-law keep another pretty boy on the side? Qin Mengyao stepped in front of Xia Ching Shui. Ching Shui, he's my little brother after all. For my sake, don't lower yourself to his level. After speaking, Qin Mengyao turned to look at me. Her eyes showed clear surprise at my appearance. So it's Mr. Gu. We met last time at the Royal Golf Course. I also acted very generous and natural. I happen to be having dinner here today. I heard from Ching Sui that today is Miss Qin's birthday, so I came over especially to ask for a piece of cake and to celebrate with everyone. Qin Mengyao seemed quite pleased. For Mr. Gu to be willing to grace us with his presence, it is truly my honor. This room was full of Shay Ching ex-US childhood friends. They looked at me with meaningful gazes. Everyone was endlessly speculating what young Miss Xia's intentions were in bringing me here. As the boyfriend personally acknowledged by young Miss Xia, the weight of those 2 words, boyfriend alone, was enough to guarantee him a lifetime of wealth and glory. Qin Liji was furious enough to explode. At the old madam's birthday celebration last time, Xia Qingzui basically ignored him completely. For her, he even gave up the opportunity to study abroad. He traveled thousands of miles to this small city. Wasn't it just to see her a few more times? Unexpectedly, she brought another man here, and even publicly declared he was her boyfriend. To slap him in the face like this. Once the news got out, he would probably become the laughingstock of the world. Qin Liji sat on the sofa, glaring daggers at me. Xia Ching Shui sat right next to me. Her eyes were filled with tender affection. She even personally peeled fruit for me. The dignified young Miss Xia, when had she ever treated a man like this? The flames of jealousy and resentment in his heart raged fiercely. Finally, he couldn't hold it in any longer. While Xia Ching Shui was outside taking a call, he picked up a piece of cake and walked straight towards me. Everyone in the room was busy with their own thing. No one paid him any attention. He approached me from behind, step by step. He raised his hand, intending to smash the cake on my head. But I, who was sitting at the mahjong table at that moment, was as if I had eyes in the back of my head. The moment the cake was about to come down, I suddenly stood up. My shoulder bumped right into Qin Lai Jie's elbow. His arm was flung upwards. A large piece of cake fell straight down, completely covering his own face. Qin Liji's entire face and hair were so covered in cake that he was unrecognizable. He was furious. You pretty boy. You did that on purpose, didn't you? After saying that, he swung his fist, aiming straight for my face. I had studied Santa before. How could I let him hit me so easily? I dodged by slightly leaning to one side. On the other hand, Qin Li Jie first crashed into the table, then tripped over some wine bottles on the floor. He looked like an utter mess. Everyone around looked at each other in confusion, but no one was willing to intervene. On one side was the host's younger brother. On the other was young Miss Xia's boyfriend. Helping either side would mean offending the other. Moreover, Qin Li Jie was known for being arrogant in Jingcheng, so everyone just stood by and watched the show. But it was clear that Qin Li Jie was fundamentally no match for this Mr. Gu. This Mr. Goose seemed to be only dodging, but he actually had some martial arts skills. His every move to dodge a blow even had a touch of elegance and grace. Looking back at the one frantically attacking him, Xin Li Jie was looking more and more pathetic. A large lump had already swollen on his forehead. Just then, Xia Qing Shui walked in. I quickly ducked behind her. Qing Shui, I think Mr. Qin is drunk. Hearing that, Xin Li Ji completely lost it. Bastard, who are you to call her Qing Shui? I am going to tear your mouth apart today. Qin Li Ji rushed forward to slap me, but he was stopped by Shy Qing Shui. Xin Li Jie, don't go too far. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving your sister face. The atmosphere suddenly turned icy. Qin Li Jie was so angry his whole body trembled. Qing Shui, can't you see he hit me? Look at my face. And here too. Qin Li Ji pointed to the lump on his forehead and the cut on his knee from a glass shard, but Xia Qing Shui just turned to look at me. Are you hurt anywhere? I shook my head slightly. The environment here doesn't seem to suit me. I want to go home. Xia Qing Shui squeezed my hand. Okay, then let's go right now. With that, Xia Qing Shui led me out of the private room. I smiled, glancing at Xia Qing Shui. Are you satisfied with my performance? Xia Qing Shui chuckled in response. Such a happy birthday party, and yet you made the host's brother end up like that. And you still ask if I am satisfied? I shook my head and clicked my tongue in mock admiration. That young master of a great family is also the brother of your close friend. It's not convenient for you to fall out with him, so you needed a pretty boy to shift all the responsibility of calling off the engagement onto. And while you're at it, give that Mr. Chin a hard blow to make him give up in disappointment. So hell, stop pestering you. The interests between great families are naturally intertwined. Of course, both sides have to save face. Once an engagement is set, if Xia Qing Shui wants to break it off, she needs a scapegoat. And you, of course, are the best candidate. That way, even if the Qin family holds a grudge, they will only point their spears at this pretty boy, me. Xie Qing Shu chuckled lightly. She didn't say anything more. You're overcomplicating things a bit. That night, I couldn't sleep. Even though I had exhausted all my energy in bed, I still couldn't close my eyes. I got up and sat on the wicker chair on the balcony until dawn. I kept agonizing over a choice. Even though over all these years, Song Sin Yu had done so many things to wrong me, I had never pushed him to a dead end, because I was the one who pulled Song Xin Yu out of the mire of hell. But Song Sin Yu, now, I will be the one to push you back into hell. Just as the sky was beginning to brighten, I picked up my phone and dialed a number. Is this Auntie Lee? Did you know that Song Xin Yu is back in the country? 8 a.m. In front of the TV station's gate. People were bustling about. My car was parked nearby. A moment later, I saw at the TV station's gate a woman with a stooped figure appear. That person was Li Shu Fen, Song Xin Yu's mother. She was dressed in rags. Her hair was a mess, but her eyes glinted with a greedy light. She stared intently at the people entering the TV station. Finally, she saw Song Xin Yu appear. Li Shu Fen grabbed Song Xin Yu's arm tightly. Song Xin Yu, it really is you, you unfilial thing. You dare to come back without saying a word. At first, Song Xin Yu didn't recognize this woman at all, but when he looked closely at that face, terror was clearly visible in his eyes. Mom, why are you here? The old woman slapped Song Xin Yu right across the face. Then she started screaming and making a scene. Everyone, come and see. Look at this unfilial son of mine. I worked so hard for so many years to raise him. I put him through university. Now that he's all grown up, he doesn't care whether this old woman lives or dies. His father is still disabled and bedridden, but he doesn't even bother to check on him. What a heartless person. The people around were all attracted and gathered to watch. Someone recognized Song Xin Yu. They hurried to intervene and separate the two. Seeing this, Lai Xiu Fen threw herself on the ground, wailing and making a scene. Why is my life so miserable? I raised an ungrateful wolf. What kind of damn MC is he? He doesn't even take care of his own parents. Song Xin Yu trembled all over. His fear of Lai Xiu Fen was bone deep. He couldn't utter a single word. His eyes were filled with extreme fear, and at the same time, a deep hatred. Everyone stood around watching, the gazes full of pity and the contempt of the crowd pierced Song Xin Yu's heart. Song Xin Yu screamed crazily. I don't know her. She's a lunatic. I don't know him at all. I sat in the car, calmly observing all of this. Seeing Song Xin Yu's crazed, screaming as his mask was ripped off, I coolly put on my sunglasses. Then I drove away. However, 2 hours later, I received a call from Wen Yue Ting. Gu Xian, get your ass to the hospital right now. My voice was cold. What's wrong? Song Xin Yu is in the emergency room. If he has any lasting injuries, then I will not forgive you. After hanging up, a wave of annoyance washed over me. I leaked Song Xin Yu's information to Li Xiu Fen. It was just giving him a taste of his own medicine. I didn't expect Song Xin Yu's mother to be so ruthless. In the end, I still drove to the hospital. When I arrived, Song Xin Yu had already left the emergency room and was moved to a high-end VIP room. I walked to the door of the room. The door was ajar. I could see everything inside clearly. Song Xin Yu leaned against Wen Yu Ting, weakly saying, my family matters. Only Xian knows. My family doesn't even have a TV. My mother is illiterate and never watches the news. It must have been she, and who told her? He knows full well that my mother is a bloodsucker, that I've been controlled by her since I was little, abused, and almost died at her hands. Now he's caused a scene at the TV station, making everyone know my mother is a lunatic. I've lost all face in front of my colleagues. I had to work so hard to get this anchor position, and yet Xian did this. Wen Yuting comforted him gently. It's okay, you still have me. At that moment, I raised my hand and knocked. Both of them looked towards the door at the same time. After seeing me, Wen Yuting's anger erupted instantly. Gu Xian, you actually have the nerve to show your face here. My expression remained indifferent. I've already asked the doctor. They're all just superficial wounds. Wen Yuting laughed coldly. You seem very disappointed. Song X and Yu's eyes were filled with grievance and innocence. My situation. Did you tell my mother about it? I didn't even bother to deny it. I just nodded slightly. Yes. Song Xinyu glared at me fiercely. Xian, why would you do that? You know, my mother is a demon. Why push me into hell? I said lightly. We're two of a kind. Song X and Yu was stunned. Immediately after, he said, I know. You must think I was the one who made those posts online. I didn't. I would never do something like that. I can swear. I cut him off. Don't bother swearing. What's the point of pretending like this? Hearing that, Song X and Yu's face turned pale. Wen Yuting finally couldn't take it anymore. She lunged forward to slap me, but I quickly grabbed her wrist. Wen Yuting glared at me angrily. Gushi, An, you're a madman. The biggest regret of my life is ever having loved you. The smile on my lips deepened. You once loved me? If you truly ever loved me, you wouldn't have stood against me because of Song X and Yu's provocations. You wouldn't have stood against me because of Song X and Yu's provocations. If you truly ever loved me, you wouldn't have stabbed me twice more when I was at my lowest. Could it be that we've reached this point today, and you've never once suspected Song Xinyu? We were childhood sweethearts. We grew up together since we were kids. Even without love, there's still over 20 years of friendship. We were once friends who could talk about anything. The heart-fluttering first love of our youth. And yet now, there's only mutual hatred. Wen Yuting seemed to pause for a moment. Xinyu is very kind, unlike a hypocrite like you. I let out a cold laugh. I directly took out a recording pen. I turned it on. And Lai Wei's voice came out. It was Song Xinyu. The documents were from Song Xinyu. On the day I quit, he suddenly gave me a folder of documents. Wen Yuting's expression gradually turned serious. Wen Yuting had also seen that post. Inside, there were indeed many defamatory details. Many parts intentionally avoided the truth. The purpose was to label me as the son of a murderer, like father, like son, or crimes like being a psychopath. After hearing the recording, Song Xinyu's face changed drastically. It wasn't me. This is fake. Li Wei is slandering me. This recording is fake. Zhu Xian. How could you frame me like this? The corners of my lips lifted slightly. This recording is indeed fake. I had someone record it. It's not Li Wei's voice at all. But how did you know those posts were made by Li Wei? Song Xinyu's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. He was speechless for a moment. I walked towards Song Xinyu's hospital bed. I raised my hand and grabbed his chin tightly. Song Xinyu, remember this well. This is just the beginning. If I find out you were also behind what happened before, you will pay a very heavy price. After speaking, I turned and left. Wen Yuting stared blankly at the weak Song Xinyu on the bed. For the first time, she didn't go over to comfort him. Song Xinyu showed clear panic. Yuting, you have to believe me. She framed me. It was all a trap he set up. You know how much he hates me. My head hurts so much. Song Xinyu suddenly clutched his head. When Yue Ting rushed over and called for a doctor, she took Song Xinyu's hand. I believe you. Don't get agitated. Xinyu. I'll always believe you. Song Xinyu finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, once a seed of doubt is planted, it will sprout and grow wildly. In the evening, Wen Yuting returned to the apartment she shared with Song Xinyu to pack some clean clothes for Song Xinyu. But all day, my words kept echoing in her head. Yuting, we've come to this point. Have you never once suspected Song Xinyu? When she reached the door of the study, Wen Yuting's steps suddenly halted. Song Xinyu's laptop was right on the desk. This was the first time she had opened Song Xinyu's computer. The computer had a password. Wen Yuting tried a few times. Song Xinyu's birthday. Her birthday, or the day she and Song Xinyu went abroad together. None of them worked. She was about to give up. But an idea suddenly flashed in her mind. She entered another string of numbers. As a result, the computer actually unlocked. The password was actually Gu Xian's birthday. Just how much did Song Xinyu care about him in his heart to set the password as his birthday? Wen Yuting frowned and opened the computer. It didn't take much effort. Wen Yuting found a folder. The folder was full of the original photos from this posting incident. They were identical to the pictures online. However, the time they were saved. These pictures were over a year old. At that time, they were still abroad. In other words, these pictures were indeed intentionally targeted at someone by Song Xinyu. Moreover, even while he was abroad, Song Xinyu had been plotting, to collect defamatory information about me. It didn't stop there. Wen Yuting also found on Song Ixin Yu's computer several differently categorized folders. All of them were related to Gu Xian, and all of it was information that could ruin his reputation. Of course, most of it was taken out of context. Fake news that was deliberately fabricated. For example, high school bullying, or harassing female classmates, and so on. We went through high school together. Yu Ting knew very well I never bullied anyone, nor was I a delinquent. On the contrary, in high school, I was always generous, sincere, and had excellent academic performance. Whether it was teachers or friends, everyone liked me. Clearly, these were all slanderous accusations. If any one of these were to be released, could all push a public figure like me into a bottomless abyss. The lights weren't on in the room. The dim light cast upon Wen Yue Ting's emotionless face. She looked very hard to read. I've rarely had any leisure time these past few days. Every morning, I'd sleep in until noon. My senior sister has been rushing me for the design drafts lately. Since I had the time, I finished designing 2 sets and sent them over. Xie Qing has been on a business trip abroad for 3 days. She just happened to return today. At noon, I received a message from Xia Qingzui. She told me to come to her office to have lunch with her. Since I was free anyway, I went right away. My car drove straight into the underground parking lot of the Xuan building. Then I took Xie Qing Xu's private elevator straight up to her office. I just opened the door and ran right into Gao Qin, Xie Qingsu's personal secretary. Gao Qin didn't seem surprised at all. Hello, Mr. Gu. President Xie is still on her way back. She'll arrive in about 10 minutes. I grunted in acknowledgement. Then I sat down inside Qing Xu's office chair. There was a stack of documents on the desk. I glanced at them casually and saw a very familiar photo. In the photo was Gu Haoming. I couldn't help but pick up the file to take a closer look. It was a job application resume. Gu Haoming was applying for the position of planning director. A cold glint flashed in my eyes. Back in my sophomore year of university, Gu Haoming took a stack of DNA test results and stormed into the Gu family home. After that, both his life and mine were completely turned upside down. Gu Haoming's adoptive mother, who was also my biological mother, to take revenge on the Gu family. She plotted to switch 2 babies 20 years ago. According to what Gu Haoming said, he was abused from childhood to adulthood. This made Qin Huilan's guilt towards her biological son and her hatred for my biological mother simultaneously reached their peak. So, Qin Huilan unleashed all her fury and overwhelming hatred on me. The mother who had always doted on and loved me since childhood suddenly wanted to drive me to my death in a single night. I really couldn't accept it. At that time, I thought, if I died, would it awaken any of the motherly love from before? So I chose to slit my wrists. But reality proved that it wouldn't. Thinking about that terrible past, the depths of my heart still feel like they're bleeding. I squeezed my eyes shut. My gaze fell on Gu Haoming's photo. He is the sole heir to the Gu group, doing just fine at the family company. Why would he go out of his way to apply for a job at Xuan? He's probably targeting Xie Qingzui. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Kaya Qing Xu's figure appeared at the door. I remained seated and didn't get up. I just looked up at her. You're back. Xie Qingxu walked over and hugged me tightly. I smiled and said, you miss me that much? Xie Qing Xu's gaze was deep. We haven't seen each other in 3 days, but it feels like it's been a very long time. I am truly bewitched by you. After saying that, she sat down. Her plump red lips moved closer to me. I was in Xia Qing Xu's office for a long time. The following part, let's skip 10,000 words. In the afternoon, I received a phone call. It was from Gu Yuan Dong. Xian, come home for dinner tonight. You haven't been home in a long time. Dad misses you. Just that one sentence, Dad misses you, made my nose sting. Actually, Gu Yuan Dong treats me very well. That year, Qin Huilan insisted on kicking me out of the house. It was thanks to Gu Yuan Dong that she was stopped. Moreover, during Gu Haoming's homecoming party, Gu Yuan Dong announced in front of everyone that I would forever be the young master of the Gu family. I agreed with him. Yes, I'll come home tonight. When evening fell, I appeared at the Gu family villa. Housekeeper Aunt Yu was extremely surprised and happy to see me. She joyfully welcomed me into the house. Young master, you've finally come home. The master said you were coming home tonight. I specially cooked your favorite dishes. Make sure to eat a lot later. Aunt Yu has taken care of me since I was a child. The bond between us is very deep. After that incident, she was also very heartbroken, but she was helpless. A warmth spread through my heart. Thank you, Auntie. Aunt Yu, Aunt Yu. Just then, Gu Haoming came down from upstairs. What are you doing? You've made the kitchen reek. Aunt Yu hurriedly explained. Second, young master. I made some durian milk pastries that the young master likes. I just cleaned up thoroughly. There's no smell in the kitchen anymore. Gu Haoming glared at us. What young master? He's just the son of a murderer, and he dares to be the young master of the Gu family. Aunt Yu, you must remember this. This Gu family only has one young master, and that is me. Do you hear me? Aunt Yu's expression was grim. She is already 70 years old. She has raised 2 generations of the Gu family. Even the master gives her a certain degree of respect. But ever since the second young master returned, he has always shouted at her. Seeing Aunt Yu remain silent, Gu Haoming ordered again. Aunt Yu, go throw all that smelly stuff away. From now on, durian is not allowed in the Gu household, Aunt Yu said with a trembling voice. But all of this is it's all young Master Xian's favorite food. Gu Haoming looked at her angrily. Aunt Yu, do you still want to work in my house? Do you believe I'll send you back to your hometown tomorrow? Aunt Yu's wrinkled eyes filled with tears. Her lips also trembled slightly. She looked at me with a helpless and apologetic gaze. I leaned close to Aunt Yu's ear and whispered a sentence. Just put it in my car. Aunt Yu nodded and turned to leave. Gu Haoming walked up to me. His face was extremely arrogant. I heard you were suspended from the TV station. I smiled faintly. It seems this younger brother of mine is quite concerned about me. Gu Haoming also smiled. Your scandal has been all over the hot searches these past few days. It'd be hard for me not to know. Gu Xian, don't really think of yourself as the young master of the Gu family anymore. Did you lose your job and decide to come back here? To gain our parents' sympathy and get some benefits? They are my parents, not your parents. You're just the son of a murderer. You don't deserve any of that glamour. Your place is in the dark corners. My smile, on the contrary, widened, compared to a son who has barely met her. Like me. You're the one who was raised by a murderer for 20 years. The bond between you two must be much deeper. Hearing that, Gu Haoming's expression changed instantly. She is fundamentally unworthy of being my mother. I glanced at him. So that's why you refused to testify in court, letting her charge go from excessive self-defense to intentional homicide, and be sentenced to life in prison, right? Gu Haoming's face instantly turned pale. You. What are you talking about? Nothing. After saying that, I walked past Gu Haoming, intending to go to the second floor. However, Gu Haoming immediately chased after me and blocked my way. Gu Xian, make yourself clear. What exactly do you know? Gu Haoming's face was ashen. He was clearly terrified. He was scared to death, thinking I knew something. But after thinking about it for a moment, it didn't seem very likely. Because if I really knew, how could I have kept quiet for the past 3 years? I looked at Gu Haoming out of the corner of my eye. What do you think I should know? Gu Haoming felt guilty, but he still put on a fierce front. He bitterly hated my naturally calm demeanor. Xian, right now, you're nothing but a dog our Gu family took in. You'd better know your place. A dog that dares to bite its master's hand will surely die without a proper burial. Gu Haoming's voice was full of warning and threat. I sneered softly. Die without a proper burial, based on someone like you? Gu Haoming was furious. What are you still so arrogant about? You have nothing left now. Don't think I don't know what's going on. When Yue Ting came back, and even if she had to, live outside, she wouldn't even bother to glance at you. Your parents abandoned you. Your wife deserted you. Even your job is gone. How are you any different from a stray dog now, and you still dare to bark nonsense in front of me? My smile grew even wider. Not a trace of anger showed on my face. My gaze, full of contempt, was fixed on Gu Haoming, as if I were looking at a mere clown. I've heard that the more guilty and scared people are, the louder they shout to drown out that fear. Of course, dogs are no exception. Gu Haoming was stunned for a moment. His eyes looked like they were about to pop out from anger. Gu Xian, you dare call me a dog? It seems if I don't teach you a lesson today, you still won't know your lowly place. Gu Haoming raised his hand to punch me, but I stopped his wrist. A sharp, murderous glint flashed in my eyes. However, when I looked up and saw at the top of the stairs, a familiar figure had just appeared. I suddenly squeezed Gu Haoming's wrist hard, then I let go. I used the momentum to fall backward and sat down on the stairs. Little brother, what on earth have I done to offend you? Why did you want to hit me as soon as I came home? I immediately retracted all of my earlier momentum. One hand clung tightly to the stair railing. Gu Haoming was in so much pain it felt like his wrist bone was about to shatter. Just a moment ago, he had clearly felt the killing intent in my eyes. But now, I was putting on a frail expression, as if I couldn't withstand a gust of wind. However, he didn't even bother with that. He aggressively rushed forward to kick me. At that very moment, a voice rang out. Haoming, stop right now. What do you think you're doing? Gu Haoming had just turned around when he saw Gu Yuandong and Qin Huilan. Both were standing at the top of the second floor stairs, staring down at us. Gu Haoming immediately reacted. Dad, Mom, he's pretending. He was clearly about to hit me first. Gu Yuandong came down from upstairs. I've said it time and time again. Xian will forever be a member of our Gu family, and he is also your older brother. Gu Haoming was so angry he could have coughed up blood. It was clear he hadn't even touched a single hair on my head. Yet, on the contrary, his wrist was aching like crazy. Qin Huilan walked over and grabbed Gu Haoming's hand. Why are you scolding our son for an outsider? Hasn't Haoming suffered enough because of him all these years? After saying that, she took Gu Haoming's hand and went straight to the dining room. Before leaving, Gu Haoming looked back at me. His eyes were filled with smugness and provocation. During dinner, Gu Yuandong asked, Xian, why didn't Yue Ting come home with you today? I replied perfunctorily. She was busy with work. The Gu family and the Wen family have long been as close as one family. The matter of Wen Yue Ting and me breaking up. I am afraid Jiu Yuan Dong already knew about it. Gu Haoming, who was beside me, spoke up. What busy work? I heard that after Wen Yu Ting returned to the country, she has been living outside with another man. She basically doesn't want to see you at all. Gu Yuan Dong shot Gu Haoming a look. Then he sighed. Yue Ting is a child we watched grow up. She has been devoted to you since she was little. I believe that as long as you are willing to put a little more effort into her, she will come to her senses sooner or later. The matter between Wen Yue Ting and you, both families are crystal clear about it. I am afraid Gu Yuan Dong suddenly called me today. To come for dinner was also at the Wen family's request. Father, I know my own business. Seeing me say that, Tu Yuan Dong didn't say anything more. After dinner, Gu Yuan Dong said to me, just stay the night here today. Your room hasn't been used in a long time. I glanced at Qin Hui Lan. She still had the same cold expression on her face. She didn't even bother to look at me. My heart sank. I've already lost hope once. What's the point of holding on to hope anymore? I was just about to refuse. My phone suddenly rang. It was Li Ting Ting. Wen Yu Ting's childhood best friend. Calling. Brother Xian, Yue Ting is drunk. Can you come pick her up? I immediately used that as an excuse. When Yue Ting is drunk, I am going to pick her up later. I won't be staying here tonight. Gu Yuan Dong seemed relieved. He hurriedly said, all right then, you should go quickly. I quickly arrived at Wen Yue Ting's private room. I pushed the door open and went in. It was very noisy inside. Everyone was completely drunk. Some were singing. Others were drinking, but I knew almost everyone here. They were all Wen Yu Ting's childhood friends. Her friends were also my friends. Some of them even had a relationship with me. That was better than with Wen Yue Ting. When everyone saw me come in, they immediately fell silent. Li Ting Ting hurried over. Brother Xian, you're here. Yue Ting came back to the country, so I threw a party. For everyone to get together. I didn't expect her to be in a bad mood today, so she drank a lot. I glanced at Wen Yu Ting, who was slumped on the sofa. You should have called Song X and you. Why did you call me? These people all knew the story between the three of us. Li Ting Ting spoke up. Who is Song Xin Yu? I don't know him. You two have been a couple since you were kids playing house. And you're also the legitimate son-in-law of the Wen family. If I don't look for you, who should I look for? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. I glanced at Wen Yu Ting and said, can she still walk? Li Ting Ting had someone help Wen Yue Ting up. Get up and follow me out. Just as we reached the lobby of Fanhua, when Yu Ting suddenly sobered up, she shook off the hands of the two people supporting her. Let go of me. I am not drunk. I can still drink more. I walked in front of Wen Yue Ting. Can you still walk? If you can, walk on your own. Wen Yu Ting's dazed eyes stared at me for a moment. She suddenly took a step forward and hugged me tightly. Her voice was choked with emotion. Gu Xian, I miss you so much. I froze. My whole body stood ramrod straight. My back stiffened, not because of this sudden hug, but because of this long unheard phrase. I miss you. It's been so many years since I last heard it. An indescribable sorrow welled up in my heart when Yue Ting hugged me tightly and sobbed like a child. Her shoulders also began to tremble slightly. Gu Xian, why don't you want me anymore? Why? I was dazed for a moment, but then I quickly came to my senses. Wen Yue Ting was really drunk. That's why she's spouting such nonsense. I gently patted her back. Wen Yu Ting, look carefully. I am Gu Xian, not Song Xin Yu. But she continued to speak. Gu Xian, you can't abandon me. Everyone else can abandon me, but you can't. You can't look down on me. I became like this because of you. It's all because of you. How could you be so cruel? My mind was a blur as I listened, but my intuition told me there was a hidden story. Maybe I could lure it out. The reason Song Xin Yu drove us apart that year. I immediately used a coaxing tone. There. I won't abandon you. Tell me what happened. Why are you talking like this? On the other side, Xia Qing Shui and a group of people stepped out of the elevator and stopped. Shai Qing Shui, who was in the lead, didn't move. Naturally, the others didn't dare to move forward either. Everyone looked in Xia Qing X.U.S. direction and saw a man and a woman embracing in the Fanhua lobby. Qin Mangyao said teasingly, the atmosphere at Fanhua is really something else these days, hugging like that in broad daylight. Song Bingbing added, I don't think she's a girl from Fanhua. They look more like a couple having a lover's quarrel, using alcohol to express their feelings now. While everyone was joking around, Qin Mangyao suddenly noticed something unusual. That man seems to be the young miss of the Xie family's boyfriend. Hearing her say that, everyone else seemed to remember something too. The whole group looked at Xia Qing Shui. Sure enough, her expression had turned frighteningly cold. Qin Mangyao had sharp eyes. She seemed to have discovered something else. The woman hugging him seems to be Miss Wen. No wonder that day at the golf course, he wanted to compete with the Wen family's son-in-law. So he's really Miss Wen's lover? Everyone was shocked. So that means this? Mr. Gu is two-timing. On one hand, he's fooling around with Miss Wen. On the other hand, he's also seducing our young miss. Everyone looked at Xia Qing Shui again. At this moment, Xiaoqing Xu's face was expressionless, but the aura around her was chilling to the bone. The group immediately didn't dare to utter a word. On the other side, I still hadn't managed to get the answer I wanted. Wen Yu Ting passed out from drunkenness again. Her whole body was practically slumped against me. I had no choice but to help her leave the manhwa lobby. Everyone cautiously observed Xiaoqing Xu's expression. Song Bingbing snorted coldly. Although Rong Cheng is small, this man sure has a lot of nerve. To dare to play around with the young miss of our Saya family. Sister Qing Shui. Why don't you just leave it to me? Dealing with this kind of person. I have plenty of ways. I guarantee I can help you vent this anger. Xia Qing Shui said nothing. The others thought she had tacitly agreed to Song Bingbing's words. The next second, Xia Qing Shui suddenly turned around and slapped Song Bingbing straight across the face. Song Bingbing was stunned, not understanding what happened. Xia Qing Shui walked up and grabbed Song Bingbing's collar. You dare touch him. After saying that, Xia Qing Shui let go of Song Bingbing. Then she strode quickly towards the door. Everyone was stunned. Although the young miss seemed cold and unapproachable, she was still very good to this group of childhood friends. But just now, everyone had truly felt the distinct killing intent in Xia Qingzu's eyes. Qin Mengyao sighed. It seems Qing Shu has really fallen hard for that man. After Xia Qing Shui went outside, she happened to see me helping Wen Yu Ting into the car, then driving away from Fan Hua. Xia Qing Shui didn't drive today. It was too late to chase after me, so she picked up her phone and called me. I had just picked up my phone and saw a call from Goldfinch. I was just about to swipe to answer when the phone ran out of battery and automatically shut down. The car was speeding down the highway. I took Wen Yu Ting straight back to her family home. The Wen family had already gone to bed. I had to carry her into her room by myself. I intended to leave as soon as I got her there, but Wen Yu Ting suddenly sobered up a little. She kept holding my hand tightly. Seeing her half-conscious, I had the idea to probe for information again, but Wen Yu Ting was as if she had lost her memories of the past 3 years. She only talked about things from the past, mostly about when we were children. After talking for a while, Wen Yu Ting suddenly lifted her shirt, pointing to the scar on her waist. Gu Xian, you look down on me, don't you? But you said you would be responsible for me for the rest of my life, that even if I were crippled, you would carry me for a lifetime. I looked at the scar on her waist. My heart tightened. This happened when we were 12. When we were at an outdoor adventure summer camp together, I got hungry in the middle of the night. So I crawled out of the tent. I asked Wen Yu Ting to come with me, and we stole a few packs of instant noodles. We started a fire and set up a small stove. We used a kettle to cook the noodles, but when a big pot of noodles was ready, as Wen Yu Ting was taking the pot down, the handle on one side of the pot broke. The entire pot of hot noodles spilled out, splashing directly onto her waist. Wen Yu Ting was badly burned. I remember she was seriously injured that time. She had to be hospitalized for a long time. At that time, I was day and night by her bedside. At the most critical moment, the doctor said if the infection couldn't be controlled, she might need an amputation. I cried while promising Wen Yu Ting that even if she became disabled, I would take care of her for the rest of my life. Since being discharged from the hospital, she had never mentioned this again, nor did she let me know how the wound really was. This was the first time I had seen her wound with my own eyes. The skin was rough and uneven. The color was patchy. It looked truly horrifying. All the memories came flooding back at once. I looked at her wound. My eyes turned red. Yu Ting, why would you say that? Since when have I ever looked down on you? Wen Yu Ting wore an expression of extreme pain. You wrote it in your diary yourself. Are you still trying to deny it? I was injured like this. I became a cripple. It's because I am not worthy of you. I showed a puzzled expression. I was about to ask something else, when Wen Yu Ting suddenly went berserk. She pushed me out of the room. Go away. I don't need your sympathy. Even less, do I need your pity. With that, she slammed the door in my face. I had intended to leave right away, but I ran into her mother on my way out. She was overjoyed to see me. She grabbed my hand and asked all sorts of questions. In the end, she insisted that I stay the night, seeing that it was already midnight, and there were a few things I wanted to clarify, so I had to stay in the room next door. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. What on earth did Wen Yu Ting's words mean? And what was this diary she mentioned? I woke up early in the morning. When I went down to the dining room for breakfast, I saw Wen Yu Ting. She saw me. An unreadable emotion seemed to flash in her eyes. Yester, did you take me home yesterday? I calmly sat down and started eating breakfast. You were drunk, Li Ting Ting called me. Wen Yu Ting was silent for a moment. Next time, I'll tell them that we've already broken up, so they don't bother you anymore. My expression remained indifferent. As you wish. Wen Yu Ting stared at me and said, I've already investigated that online post. Song Ixin Yu was the one who orchestrated it. I don't understand why he would target you like that. But for this matter, I apologize to you on his behalf. I glanced at her and didn't reply. She continued, I can also compensate you. You can make any request you want. My eyebrow raised slightly. Really? Any condition? A wary look flashed in Wen Yu Ting's eyes. As long as it's within my capabilities. I just found it laughable. She was acting as if she was on guard against me. Don't worry. I won't ask you to leave Song Ixin Yu and come back to me. Wen Yue Ting's brows seemed to furrow even more. I leisurely tore a piece of bread and put it in my mouth. Song X and you played a dirty trick on me, and I've already paid him back in kind. Please pass on a message to him. Let's call it even. But if he uses underhanded tricks behind my back again, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Song X and you smeared my name online, causing me to lose the primetime anchor position. I found his mother to cause a scene at the TV station. I consider that getting one back, and Song X and Yu's coming days will surely be much more of a headache. When Yue Ting was silent for a moment, then she finally spoke. Last night when I was drunk. Did I say anything? I thought of the scar on her waist. My gaze unconsciously fell on her waist. When Yue Ting seemed to notice, her face suddenly turned pale. You saw it. A look of remorse appeared on my face. I didn't know you were injured so badly that year. In Wen Yue Ting's eyes, there seemed to be a flash of anger and disgust. Gushi, don't look at me with that look in your eyes. She saw through the regret and sorrow in my eyes. If it were real, it would be one thing. But this is fake. You're just acting. You're clearly disgusted, yet you have to pretend to be regretful like this. It's truly nauseating. I looked at her and said, I am sorry. Your wound is my fault. After hearing that, Wen Yu Ting glared at me angrily. Gu Xian, stop acting in front of me. It's clear that, in your heart, you're utterly disgusted. You even wished I would just drop dead. Now, why are you pretending to be a living bodhisattva? I understood the key point in her words. What on earth did I do to make you think that way? Back then, it was written very clearly in your diary. Are you still trying to deny it? It's true I've had the habit of writing a diary since I was young, but I don't remember ever writing in it any words of disgust or curses towards Wen Yue Ting. Besides, I seem to have lost a diary back in college. I haven't written a diary since then. You've read my diary? Then tell me, what exactly did I write? Even though many years have passed, but when she thought about those diary entries, Wen Yue Ting's heart still ached. You know best what you wrote. If you won't say it, then just bring out that diary. We'll confront each other directly. I guess that the diary I lost was in Wen Yue Ting's hands. She snorted coldly. I burned it a long time ago. The atmosphere became extremely tense. The smell of gunpowder seemed to fill the air. I tried to calm down first. I told you before that Song Xin Yu was the one who drove us apart. Perhaps you didn't believe it then, but now you must be able to see it. Song Xin Yu is not a kind person, not as detached from worldly affairs as you thought. However, since you've already chosen him, everything in the past no longer matters. A hint of darkness flashed in Wen Yue Ting's eyes. I continued, I am tired. I don't want to keep fighting with Song Xin Yu anymore. Pass this message on to him, that I have given you up to him. Tell him not to come looking for trouble with me anymore. Otherwise, whether it's mine or not, I will fight to get it back. Wen Yu Ting looked up and stared straight into my eyes. Her expression was extremely cold. Her eyes seemed to emanate a chilling aura. Her voice was just as cold. Gu Xian, I am a human being, not an object for you to give away as you please. I just found it a bit amusing. Isn't this the result the two of you have always wanted? What more do you want from me? Leaving the Wen family villa, I went straight to the Xinghe villa. I slept very poorly last night. I planned to go back there to catch up on some sleep. Unexpectedly, as soon as I entered, I saw Xie Shui coming down from the second floor. After seeing me, she stopped in her tracks. I casually greeted her. Are you going to work? Xie Shui didn't answer. She just silently looked down at me from above, waiting until I walked past her. She finally spoke. Why didn't you answer your phone? I took my phone out of my pocket to check. The battery was dead. I noticed Xia Qing Ixui's expression wasn't very good, so I asked gently. Did you wait for me last night? Didn't I say I had something on tonight, and told you not to wait for me? Xia Qing Shui stared into my eyes. But you didn't say you would be out all night. I smiled faintly. I moved closer as if to coax her, placing a light kiss on her lips. I am sorry, baby. Next time, I'll let you know in advance. After saying that, I intended to slip past her to go upstairs and sleep, but my arm was held tightly by Xia Qing Shui. Gu Xian, what do you take me for? The dog you keep. Her voice was filled with anger. When you're happy, you come and pet me. When you're not, you kick me aside. I didn't understand why so early in the morning Xie Qing Shui was so angry. I clearly told her not to wait yesterday, but over the past 3 years, she would occasionally throw tantrums like this, so I had to patiently coax her. I really was busy yesterday. How about I make it up to you tonight? Usually, when coaxed to this extent, Xie Qing Shu would stop being angry, but this time, her expression didn't soften at all. On the contrary, it became even colder. The busy matter you mentioned, was it intimately hugging Wen Yu Ting in the lobby of the Fanhua Hotel? I quickly realized the problem. You were at Fanhua last night too. It seems Xie Qing Shui saw me and Wen Yue Ting together. No wonder she was so furious. I thought for a moment and explained. She was too drunk last night, so I had to take her home. Xie Qing Shu frowned. She was drunk. What does that have to do with you that you had to take her home? Gu Xian, what exactly is the relationship between you and her now? Considering the kindness the Wen family has shown me, taking her home isn't that unreasonable. Xie Qing Shui sneered. Are you really concerned about that kindness? Or are you still deeply in love with Wen Yu Ting? The words you said while hugging Wen Yueting yesterday. I heard every single word. You affectionately called her Yueting, and even promised never to abandon her again, cajoling her as if she were a child. The corners of Xia Qingxu's mouth lifted in a sarcastic smile. Have I not served you well enough, that you're so eager to reconcile with Wen Yuting? My gaze quickly turned cold, but a smirk still lingered on my lips. Miss Xia, you've crossed a line. The relationship between us is not enough for me to have to explain these things to you. So, please stop putting on that interrogating expression. We are just mutually beneficial partners who get together to please each other. We are not husband and wife, nor are we lovers. I can only say that. I have not violated the contract between us. As for my heart, my thoughts, you have no right to interfere. Of course, if Miss Xia is bored, you can end this relationship at any time. I will move out immediately. Xia Qingxue stared at the handsome man in front of her. My meaning was already very clear. I didn't sleep with Wen Yueting, but her image is still in my heart. That's why I told her not to interfere. Xia Qingxue even suspected that, if she were to say the word end, I would eagerly leave immediately, and maybe even pop a bottle of champagne to celebrate. Xia Qingxu let go of me and strode away. I suddenly felt more tired. I just had a fight with Wen Yueting at the Wen family home, and now this? I can understand that humans all have a sense of possessiveness. That's quite normal. But I didn't do anything to violate our agreement. If I have to humble myself to coax everyone, then life would be too tiring. I slept for the whole afternoon. My phone was finally fully charged. As soon as I turned it on, the screen was flooded with missed call notifications. They were all from Xia Qingxue from last night. She even called once at 4 inches the morning. It turned out she had waited for me all night. I let out a sigh. An indescribable feeling welled up inside me. Actually, I wasn't as nonchalant as I appeared. Back then, after Wen Yuting returned to the country, why did I choose to break up with Xia Qingxue? Because I realized I seemed to have developed some unusual feelings for this songbird. I couldn't allow myself to fall in love, so I wanted to cut ties completely. But I never expected the person I got involved with was the great young miss of Beijing's high society. The tables were turned instantly. It wasn't up to me to leave when I wanted to. The initiative was now in Xia Qingxue's hands, but from the bottom of my heart, I really didn't want to have too many entanglements with her. Xia Qingxue was a pit of fire even more terrifying than Wen Yueting. If our relationship continued to deteriorate like this, causing Xia Qingxue to let go first, then perhaps it wouldn't be a bad thing. Just as I predicted, over the next few days, Xia Qingxue did not return to the Xinghe villa. I didn't even bother to send her a single message. Every night, I wondered if our relationship had ended just like that. Time passed day by day. The heavy stone in my heart gradually lifted. It felt like I had finally escaped that powerful figure I shouldn't have messed with. A corner of my heart suddenly felt light, but for some reason, I didn't feel very happy. My annual leave was about to end. Just as I was wondering whether to resign or not, Tang Ling gave me a call. She told me to come back to work tomorrow, and that I would host the 7 o'clock primetime news program. I was very puzzled. Tang Ling certainly wouldn't have just given the primetime anchor position back to me like that, as expected. When I went online, the scandalous posts from before had seen a series of reversals. First, someone revealed that my biological father, Zhao Deqing, was a gambling addict who also frequently committed domestic violence. Next, someone claiming to be an envoy of justice went online to plead for my biological mother, Yang Ruyun. That person said she was an extremely kind and compassionate person. Furthermore, Yang Ruyun used to work as a nanny. A few families where she used to work also came forward to vouch for her, confirming her good character, and that she wasn't the cruel murderer rumors made her out to be. A neighbor even gave a press interview, saying that on the day Zhao Deqing died, they had personally witnessed him abusing Yang Ruyun. Therefore, it was highly likely she was only acting in excessive self-defense and killed him by mistake. Someone also spread the news that I, the primetime anchor, had been switched at birth in the hospital and grew up in the Gu family as the young master of the Gu Corporation. Immediately, social media erupted. On one hand, there were questions about the verdict of Yang Ruyun killing her husband, with some even demanding a reinvestigation and a retrial. On the other hand, the story of the Gu family's real and fake young masters was being widely discussed. Gu Haoming's identity was also exposed. Both Gu, Xian, and Go Haoming's names made it to the trending list. Yang Ruyun is so pitiful. Abused by her husband for 20 years, her only act of resistance resulted in accidentally killing the abuser, leading to a life sentence. Anchor Jiu shouldn't be affected by this. Besides, he grew up as the young master of the Gu family. In fact, when everyone was cursing him, he could have completely denied any connection. But he didn't disown his biological mother. To be honest, a baby swap like this, does it really happen in real life? That real young master, Gu Haoming, is also really pitiful, having to grow up in such an environment. The online public opinion about me had done a 180-degree turn. People were even unanimously demanding that I return to host the primetime news program. Initially, I only had over 100,000 followers on Weibo, but overnight, it shot up to 3 million. Tang Ling must have seen this media appeal, and that's why she asked me to return to the primetime slot. Of course, I didn't think that the online community would suddenly change their attitude so quickly. There must have been a hand manipulating things from behind the scenes. The matters related to Yang Ruyun could be investigated in such detail and also manipulate public opinion. This was not something an ordinary person could do. Was it Xia Qing Shui? For the first time, I felt a little hesitant. I picked up my phone, intending to call several times, but then stopped. By late afternoon, while I was still hesitating, my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Xia Qing Shui. I stared at the screen, thinking for a few seconds before answering. After the call connected, I wasn't the first to speak. Xia Qing Shui was silent for a few seconds. Then her voice came through from the other end. If I didn't look for you, would you never have looked for me in your entire life? But I asked a question in return. The stuff online. Was that your doing? Xia Qing Shui chuckled softly. That's right. It cost me quite a bit of money. How do you plan to thank me? I also smiled. Then let me treat you to dinner tonight. We arranged to meet at Yunding restaurant because all the private rooms were already booked. We had to sit in the main dining hall. I chose a spot right by the window and started ordering. Just then, a voice called out, "What a coincidence. Brother, you're here for dinner too." I looked up and saw Gu Haoming. With him were Qin Huilan and Gu Yuandong. I stood up, looked at them, and greeted. "Father, mother." Qin Huilan was just cold. She glanced at me without replying. But in contrast, Gu Yuandong explained, "Your mother and I came to check out the venue. Next Sunday is Haoming's birthday. We plan to hold a big party in the banquet hall here." Before I could say anything, Gu Haoming quickly spoke up. "Next Sunday is your birthday too. Since we share the same birthday, how about we celebrate it together?" I waved my hand and said, "No need. I don't want to steal my little brother's spotlight." Gu Haoming sneered. "You think you can steal my thunder?" After saying that, he suddenly remembered that Gu Yuandong and Qin Huilan were standing right there. He quickly changed his tone. "Mom, he's the eldest young master of our Gu family. After all, let's not have outsiders think our Gu family mistreats its adopted son. I am willing to celebrate my birthday with him, so the world can see that the children of the Gu family get along very well, not like the rumors say." Recently, the internet has been buzzing with the topic of the real and fake young master. The story of the Gu family's real and fake young master is now known to everyone in Rongcheng. The angriest person was undoubtedly Gu Haoming. He had worked so hard to become the legitimate young master of a wealthy family, yet now the whole city knew what a terrible family he had grown up in. The mother who raised him was a murderer, and his father was a gambler. Although the online community's attitude towards him was mostly one of sympathy and pity, he didn't care for that pity. He was supposed to be a child of heaven. What right did those commoners have to pity him? Netizens even rumored that the Gu parents favored the adopted son they had raised for 20 years, while their biological son, like him, had no status in the family, living a miserable life. Therefore, for this birthday party, he invited almost everyone, from high society and the media. He wanted to show everyone his status in the Gu family, and what a nobody Gou Xian was. Therefore, at this birthday party, Zhu Xian had to be present. Thinking of this, Gu Haoming turned to his parents and said, "Dad, Mom, I really want to celebrate my birthday with my brother." Qin Huilan glanced at me and said, "The news online has had a significant impact on the Gu family and Haoming. Are you disregarding Haoming's honor for your own sake? Have you ever thought about how this would cause a terrible impact on Haoming?" I understood as soon as I heard it. Qin Huilan thought that the news about the real and fake young master between me and Gu Haoming was released by me. I didn't bother to explain, because she wouldn't believe anything I said. I might even be seen as making excuses. I smiled and asked, "So what?" Qin Huilan replied, "For Haoming's birthday party this time, you absolutely must be there. I don't care how you two fight on a daily basis, but on that day, you two must act like loving brothers for me. It's not just for Haoming's future, but also for the honor of the entire Jiu family. Whether you're happy or not, I don't care. This is what you owe Haoming, and what you owe our entire Gu family." The word "owe" left me speechless. Gu Yuandong saw that the atmosphere was a bit tense, and spoke up to mediate. "Your mother actually wants you to be there too. She just has a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. You haven't celebrated your birthday at home for 3 years. Let's celebrate together this time." I smiled. "Yes. Okay. I'll be there. As long as my little brother is happy, I'll do anything." Hearing that, Gu Yuandong patted my shoulder. "That's my good son." Gu Haoming saw the smile on my lips, and suddenly had a bad feeling, but he didn't believe I could cause any trouble, because he knew my weakness was Qin Huilan. As long as Qin Huilan was on his side, he could forever keep me under his thumb. As soon as Gu Haoming and Qin Huilan left, Sha Qingshu walked over. "What are you doing sitting here in a daze?" I looked up and immediately broke into a smile. "I was thinking of you." Actually, in Shai Qing Xu's heart at first, there was a ball of suppressed anger. She had resisted looking for me for days, yet I hadn't paid her any attention at all, not even a single message. It made her stare at her phone all day, to the point that employees at her company thought she was possessed. But now, seeing my handsome smile, all the resentment in her heart vanished in an instant, replaced by a hint of sorrow and helplessness, silently blaming herself for being so weak. Sha Qing Xu's cold and arrogant face softened a little, but she still huffed. Easy for you to say. You missed me, but didn't even try to find me once. I smiled. Isn't it because the great Miss Xie is so busy? How would I dare to disturb you casually? She knew I was making an excuse, but she couldn't bring herself to expose it. Qingshu understood that if she hadn't taken the initiative to find me this time, we might have really ended. I handed her the menu. You order. My treat today. Consider it my apology gift to the great Miss Xie. Qingshu pouted. If apologies were effective, what would be the point of the police? I gave her a slight glare. That's enough. Hearing that, Qingshu obediently sat down. The first round ended in her miserable defeat. The great Miss Xie, whom everyone feared, finally understood something. When facing this heartless man, she couldn't act like a spoiled miss or play disappearing acts. Otherwise, she would only create an opportunity for someone else to step in. By then, no one would hear her cry. During the meal, Qingshu finally spoke. These past few days, I've had people investigate Mrs. Yang and accidentally discovered some surprising things. I knew Qingshu was investigating Yang Ruyun, also to help me clear my name regarding my identity. Qingshu took out her phone and showed me a video. I was extremely surprised. How did you get this video? I knew Yang Ruyun didn't intentionally kill anyone. Over the years, I've tried hard to find loopholes to prepare for an appeal, but Gu Haoming refused to come forward as a witness. The neighbor's scarce testimony was not enough to prove that Gu Haoming was at the scene at that time. However, the video Qingshu just showed me was the scene of Gu Haoming running out. From the scene on that fateful night, the date and time were clearly displayed on the frame. It was the time after Zhao Deqing's death, and before the police arrived. With this video, we can prove that on the night Zhao Deqing died, Gu Haoming was indeed at the scene. He must have witnessed Zhao Deqing abusing Yang Ruyun. In that case, Yang Ruyun could very likely be ruled as acting in excessive self-defense, rather than committing intentional homicide. I asked again, how did you manage to find this footage? Qingshu explained, there's a school across from Mrs. Yang's house. Exactly 3 years ago, on the day of the incident, it was under construction, and right in front of their house is a parking lot. I found the delivery truck that was parked there that day. The truck had a dashcam, and it happened to record this entire scene. I was truly overwhelmed. Although Qingshu said it very simply, I understood how difficult it must have been to accomplish those things. I also knew Gu Haoming was there that day, but I couldn't find any proof. I also couldn't force him to testify in court. Thank you so much. You've really done me a huge favor. I transferred the video to my phone, but I didn't want to discuss it further with Qingshu, so I changed the subject. I owe you another favor now. How do you want me to repay you? Qingshu didn't like my clear-cut attitude at all. She frowned and said, but I like it when you're indebted to me like this. I just smiled to let it pass. We started having dinner. After going out, Gu Haoming came back, in front of Qin Huilan and Gu Yuandong. He could make things difficult for me. But the matter of me revealing his relationship with Yang Ruyun, he definitely still wanted to settle that score with me. When Gu Haoming returned, he saw me having dinner with a woman. There was a bit of steak sauce on the corner of my mouth. That woman suddenly stood up, and while helping me wipe off the sauce, she leaned in close and placed a light kiss on the corner of my lips, and I didn't avoid it at all. I even flashed a bright smile like a spring breeze. Gu Haoming was standing behind the woman, so he could only see her back. Even though it was just her back, based on her figure, Gu Haoming was certain that it was definitely not Wen Yuting. Gu Haoming was shocked. Gu Shi and his cheating. After the shock, what filled his mind was wild joy and gloating over someone else's misfortune. He didn't rush out to expose me right then, but quietly took out his phone and quickly recorded a short video, then immediately sent it to Wen Yuting. When Wen Yuting received that photo, she was handling the hospital discharge procedures for Song X and Yu. The message was from Gu Haoming. She had no favorable impression of Gu Haoming, someone who grew up in the slums, both insecure and sensitive, always too concerned about his own status. Although the two were WeChat friends, they had never exchanged a single word. Gu Haoming sent a short video clip. In the picture, I was eating with a woman. The two of us were laughing and talking happily. Suddenly, the woman leaned in and kissed me on the lips. I didn't push her away at all. I was even smiling brightly. Wen Yuting's heart felt like it was being squeezed. Her hands holding the phone tightened involuntarily. She suddenly remembered the night she had just returned to the country. When I told her I already had a girlfriend, at that time, she thought I was just putting on an act. It turned out everything was real. I had actually found a new girlfriend. A surge of nameless anger welled up in Wen Yuting's heart, and she immediately dialed my number. On the other side, Qingshu and I had just finished our meal and were preparing to leave when the phone on the table lit up. Qingshu clearly saw the 3 words, Wen Yuting, and her expression immediately turned cold. I picked up the phone and glanced at Qingshu, but finally answered, "What's up?" From the phone came Wen Yuting's suppressed voice, "Gu Shi, and you, where are you? And who are you with?" I chuckled and replied, "I am having a meal with my girlfriend. Is something wrong?" Wen Yuting's anger immediately flared up. She had been convinced I was just trying to provoke her, but it turned out every word I said was true. "Gu Xian, how dare you cheat?" I laughed. "Wen Yuting, You should think carefully. What is our relationship now? Wen Yue, Ting continued to shout. Everyone knows we are husband and wife. Yet you're out there with another woman. Have you ever considered my dignity? The only thing missing between us is a marriage certificate. Actually, back then, it was Wen Yue Ting who changed her mind and refused to register. If Song Sin Yu hadn't suddenly fainted that day, perhaps she would have actually gone to get the certificate with me. She and I did have a wedding reception. After all, although the number of guests wasn't very large, the attendees were all influential and high-status figures in Rongcheng. In the eyes of outsiders, we were a legitimate married couple. I let out a sarcastic chuckle. If we consider ourselves husband and wife, then when you ran away with that lover of yours, did you ever consider my dignity? Besides, we were never truly husband and wife. Wen Yu Ting, we've gone our separate ways. You have no right to interfere in my affairs. After saying that, I hung up decisively. When I looked up at Xia Qingxue, her furrowed brows had completely relaxed. I looked at her and smiled faintly. Satisfied now? Xia Qingxue raised an eyebrow slightly. That word girlfriend sounds quite nice, doesn't it? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. I also didn't understand why Wen Yue Ting would suddenly make a call like this. Could she be somewhere around here? I stood up and glanced around. Then I suddenly saw a figure hastily leaving. It was Gu Haoming. So it was him who secretly informed Wen Yue Ting. But I couldn't be bothered to care. I never intended to hide it from Wen Yue Ting in the first place. Now, it's even more unnecessary. In another development, after I hung up on Wen Yue Ting, her face darkened, and she angrily threw her phone to the ground. This scene was immediately caught by Song Xin Yu's eyes. Song Xin Yu walked closer. Yue Ting, what's wrong? Wen Yue Ting glanced at Song Xin Yu. Her gaze was incredibly cold. Song Xin Yu was startled. Wen Yue Ting had never looked at him with such a terrifying gaze before. Ever since the day I released that recording at the hospital, it seemed Wen Yue Ting had completely changed. Could she really be starting to suspect him? All the effort spent plotting and scheming over so many years, it was so hard to achieve what he had today. He absolutely couldn't let it all go to waste. Song Xin Yu's voice suddenly became much gentler. Yue Ting, did I accidentally do something to displease you? Looking at Song Xin Yu's pitiful, pathetic expression, Wen Yue Ting's heart was suddenly filled with extremely contradictory emotions. For the first time, she realized that Song Xin Yu was also an extremely good actor. The thing she found on his computer. She still hadn't revealed her hand or confronted him directly, partly because she always told herself that he did all those shady things only because he loved her too much. Yue Ting, no matter what I do, it all comes from the fact that I love you too much. So please don't be mad at me anymore. Okay? I promise I will never do anything to upset you again in the future. Wen Yue Ting's expression finally softened a little. She gently hugged Song Xin Yu. Don't pick fights with Gu Xian anymore. He's a truly ruthless and cunning person. You're no match for him. Song Xin Yu kept a sorrowful expression. What about my mother? I heard she's been coming to the TV station to cause trouble these past few days. Wen Yue Ting said gently. Doesn't she just want money? Don't you worry. I'll handle this for you. Song Xin Yu hugged Wen Yue Ting tightly. Thank you. Yue Ting, you're the only one in this world who's best to me. The next day, Song Xin Yu also came to the TV station. After Song Xin Yu's mother caused a scene at the TV station a few times, the way everyone looked at him had also changed. Moreover, everyone understood clearly in their hearts, whether it was the malicious rumors about me online, or the appearance of Song Xin Yu's mother, it was all essentially a struggle between the two of them to compete for the primetime anchor position. But in the end, Go Xian was still the winner of this game. Tang Ling announced my name in the morning meeting for the primetime anchor position. Of course, after all, Song Xin Yu had helped the TV station sign a 5-year contract with Wen Corporation. Plus, he was the boyfriend of the Wen Corporation's heir. So naturally, the station wouldn't let him lose out. So the position right after the golden hour slot, the 9 p.m. Express news program, was given to Song Xin Yu. At 7:30 that evening, I had just stepped out of the recording studio when I noticed it was very lively outside. Assistant Liu Tian waved me over. Brother Xian, come over here quickly. There's a late-night snack and milk tea. I walked over and saw a long row of tables outside the studio. On the tables were all sorts of late-night snacks. There was sashimi, grilled food. There was even lobster. Every dish was so abundant it was dazzling. Many people were gathered around the long table, enjoying the food. It was all food brought from a 5-star hotel. The manager of the Caesar Hotel personally delivered it. The taste is on a completely different level from street food. Brother Xian, you should try this mousse cake. It's really delicious. I looked at this table full of luxurious food. I knew very well it must have cost a lot of money, so I asked who was treating. It's the young miss of the Wen family, Song Xin Yu's girlfriend, who's paying for everything. Liu Tian said while eating cake, pointing towards the entrance. Miss Wen treats Song Xin Yu so well. She's already here to pick him up from work at this hour. Song Xin Yu is the evening anchor now. His shift doesn't end until 9:30, and yet she arrived at 7:30. Song Xin Yu saw me step out of the studio. He immediately held Wen Yue Ting's hand and walked towards me. Xian, I specially asked Yue Ting to order the almond tofu that you like the most. The chef at the Caesar Hotel is very skilled. You must eat a lot, okay? I smiled faintly. Then I waved my hand. No need. I am not hungry. Go ahead and enjoy it yourself. After saying that, I turned and left immediately. Wen Yue Ting watched my retreating back, trying to suppress her anger, but in the end, she couldn't hold it in. She strode after me and grabbed my arm tightly. Gu Xian. Stop right there. Make yourself clear. I turned back, a smile on my lips, but my eyes were full of sarcasm. Wen Yue Ting. What's wrong with you? Didn't you always wish for me to set you free? Now that I've let go, you're clinging to me relentlessly. What's wrong? Do you enjoy the feeling of me and Song Sin Yu being jealous over you? To the point of getting physical, or the feeling of being fought over until heads are broken and bleeding? Wen Yue Ting's face turned cold. She stared into my eyes. I met her gaze calmly. Unfortunately, I don't need you anymore. Wen Yue Ting was still filled with rage. Who is that woman? Just then, a female voice rang out. It's me. A graceful figure appeared from behind. Xia Qing Shui had just stepped out of a sports car. She leisurely walked up the steps and approached me. She immediately linked her arm tightly with mine. Her voice was cold but powerful. Miss Wen. Wen Yu Ting looked up at the newcomer. When she clearly saw that beautiful face, the anger in her eyes immediately turned to astonishment. She seemed unable to react to reality yet. Miss Xia. Wen Yue Ting's first reaction was that it was absolutely impossible. Xia Qing Sui turned to look at me and asked, Are you hungry? What do you want to eat later? I thought for a moment. I want to eat the sweet and sour pork ribs you make yourself. Xia Qing Shui smiled and nodded. All right, then let's go to the supermarket to buy ribs first. Wen Yue Ting witnessed the natural intimacy between us. She still couldn't believe it. But the other person was the famous young miss of high society, the Paradise Resort Project. The Wen Corporation still hadn't secured it. Wen Yue Ting tried to suppress her personal feelings. Miss Xia, may I ask what your relationship is with my husband? At old Master Xia's birthday party that year, she and I attended as husband and wife to offer birthday wishes. With a status like Xia Qing Su's, how could she get involved with a man when she knew full well that he was married? Xia Qing Shui tightened her grip on my arm. A meaningful smile appeared on her cold face. Can't you tell? Anger flared up in Wen Yue Ting's heart. Doesn't Miss Xia know that he is a married man? Xia Qing Shui laughed faintly. Married? Then ill. Have to ask Miss Wen to show me the marriage certificate. Wen Yu Ting's face turned pale. It seems the fact that we haven't registered our marriage. Xia Qing Shui already knew all about it. Wen Yu Ting could only reply coldly, even though we haven't received a marriage certificate. Besides that piece of paper, we are a legitimate couple who have had a proper wedding ceremony. The wedding was held, and he has been living at my house all this time. The existence of this marriage cannot be denied by just a flimsy piece of paper. Wen Yue Ting probably had a vague guess in her heart. The two of us must have started seeing each other because of the previous interview. But she didn't expect that our lack of a registered marriage would become a free pass for me to seduce other women. Does no marriage certificate mean it's not a marriage? Can it erase the 3 years we lived together? Xia Qing Xu's face clearly showed mockery. Miss Wen's shamelessness has truly opened my eyes. If you consider it a real marriage, then a husband and wife should be honest and faithful to each other. So, may I ask, what is the relationship between you and this Mr. Song? As for the Wen family's dignity, from the moment Miss Wen ran away with her lover, it was already completely thrown away. Why pretend to care now? Xia Qing Shui took a step forward, standing directly between me and Wen Yu Ting. Miss Wen, Xian is my boyfriend now. I hope you won't come and bother my boyfriend anymore in the future. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving the Wen Corporation any chance at the Paradise Resort project. After saying that, she pulled my hand and got into the car. Wen Yu Ting's anger flared, but she still couldn't believe how I got to know her. Perhaps it was just a coincidence. Xia Qing Shui must have just been passing by. She saw us arguing and decided to help out. The more she thought, the more suspicious it seemed. But when she saw me get into her car and leave, Wen Yue Ting's mood became extremely irritable. By the time Song Xin caught up, I was already gone. He walked up to Wen Yue Ting and asked worriedly, You waiting? Do you still love Xian? Previously, whenever Song Xin Yu felt insecure, he would always ask similar questions to reassure himself. In the past, Wen Yu Ting would always deny it vehemently. But today, Wen Yue Ting's mind was in utter turmoil, to the point that she didn't want to say a word. Song Xin Yu stared at Wen Yu Ting. A sense of unease in his heart grew day by day. If Wen Yue Ting really wavered, they could very likely get back together, and then all his plans would go up in smoke. Song Xin Yu's voice became incredibly soft, with even a hint of pleading. You waiting? Can you divorce Xian? When Yu Ting turned to look at Song Xin Yu, this was the first time in all their years together that Song Xin Yu had made such a request. Song Xin Yu lowered his head. He looked just like a hurt, lost puppy. If it were before, Wen Yu Ting would surely have softened immediately. But ironically, at this moment, Wen Yue Ting knew very well it was all his act. His nature was not as kind as his appearance suggested. Otherwise, his computer wouldn't have stored so much false evidence to harm Gao Xian. The fact that we were never legally married had always been kept a secret from Song Xin Yu, but for some unknown reason, Wen Yu Ting didn't want to explain it to him. Didn't you once say you didn't care about meaningless status, that as long as I was by your side, it was enough? Song Jin-yu was a bit surprised by Wen Yue-ting's answer. Moreover, Wen Yu-ting's gaze now carried a cold, scrutinizing look, as if she were a completely different person. Since the day she returned and met me again, everything had completely changed. Song Xin-yu had secretly devised a new plan. In another development, after getting into Xa Ching Xu's car, I wearily leaned against the window, watching the scenery outside. Xie Ching Shui saw my weary look and knew my mood was bad. She immediately took my hand. Gu Xian, don't you think about another woman? I turned my head and gazed at her flawless, beautiful profile. Then I smiled and said, this really reminds me of the old days. You used to be so obedient and cute. Why have you become so domineering now? The corners of Xie Ching Xu's lips lifted slightly. That's because I was too good at acting back then. If I wasn't a little obedient, how would you have fallen into my love trap? I laughed out loud. This person seems very pleased with herself. Xie Ching Shu really drove me to the supermarket. Asking to eat a meal she cooked was originally just a casual joke. I didn't expect her to seriously stand there, picking out each good piece of rib. After getting home, she really did personally go into the kitchen to cook sweet and sour pork ribs for me. By the time we finished dinner, it was already late. After eating, I went to rest on the rattan chair on the small balcony. After finishing the dishes, Sha Ching Shui came over and sat down right next to me. Are you full? I rubbed my stomach and replied with a laugh. My stomach is bursting. Xie Ching Shui glanced at me. Now that you're full, let's get some exercise. To digest the food, I didn't refuse. People often say a full stomach and warm back lead to lewd thoughts. I must admit one thing. Being with Xie Ching Shui is an extremely enjoyable and happy thing. Besides, I have chronic insomnia. Only when my body is exhausted can I fall into a deep sleep. In the following days, Wen Yu-ting came to the TV station every day to pick up Song Ken-yu. She was always there very early, so the chances of us running into each other also increased. However, we treated each other like strangers. We didn't say a single word to each other. Sha Ching Shui had to go on a business trip abroad for these 2 days. Late at night, lying alone in bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep, I suddenly realized I missed her terribly. In her absence, the house suddenly felt strangely empty, and my insomnia also got worse. At 6:30 inches the evening, because I was so sleepy and tired, I had dozed off on the sofa in the break room, just as Wen Yue-ting walked in. At that time, I was the only one sleeping in the break room. These past few days, she always said she was coming to pick up Song Jin-yu, but in reality, only she knew that she just wanted to take the opportunity to see me. Luckily, Xia Ching Shui hadn't returned here since that time. That further confirmed her belief that the previous appearance was just a coincidence. Although Wen Yu-ting always acted as if she hated me, deep down she still didn't want to let me go. Even if it meant tormenting each other for a lifetime, she was determined not to let me leave. Wen Yu-ting subconsciously moved closer to me. Then she knelt on one knee right next to the sofa. She stared at my face, entranced. Wen Yu-ting suddenly remembered the days of the past. She had always loved watching me while I was sound asleep, because when I was awake, she rarely had the courage to look at me so openly. Wen Yu-ting admitted that ever since she was little, when she stood before me, she always felt a sense of inferiority. It was because I was too outstanding. From appearance, academic achievements to interpersonal skills, or any kind of innate talent, she always felt that she couldn't compare to me. For that reason, she both gave me all her love. But at the same time, she couldn't stop the jealousy from rising. Without realizing when, she started becoming reserved whenever she faced me. As far as she could remember, during the 2 years we were in love, it seemed we never shared a kiss. And now, that face was right before her eyes. For some unknown reason, Wen Yu-ting's heart began to beat erratically. A bold thought flashed through her mind, and it quickly grew strong and uncontrollable. Everything was getting out of control. Wen Yue-ting's lips slowly moved closer. Her heart pounded like a drum roll. Just as her lips were about to touch my cheek, the break room door suddenly creaked open. Wen Yu-ting jumped in fright. Her entire spine stiffened. Perhaps because she was so flustered, she even forgot to stand up immediately. I was also awakened by that series of unexpected noises. Just as I opened my eyes, I saw Wen Yue-ting's face right in front of me, and Song Xin-yu was standing frozen at the door. The office door had only been left ajar before. In fact, Song Jin-yu had been standing outside the door watching for a while. He had witnessed Wen Yue-ting silently approach me, until he saw she intended to kiss me. Only then could he not hold back and push the door to rush in. What the hell are you two doing? Song Jin-yu was trying his best to control his anger, although a fire of rage was burning fiercely inside him. A guilty look flashed in Wen Yue-ting's eyes. In that moment, she and I looked straight into each other's eyes, to the point that she suddenly didn't know what to say to cover her embarrassment. I couldn't help but frown in annoyance. I barely slept a wink last night. I had just managed to fall into a deep sleep when I was woken up. Wen Yu-ting's face flushed red. She looked just like someone caught red-handed doing something shady. Looking at this posture and her flushed face, I couldn't help but laugh. But that laugh was filled only with ridicule and sarcasm. Wen Yue-ting. So, you were planning to kiss me? Wen Yue-ting immediately snapped out of her trance. She hastily jumped to her feet and looked at me with a bone-chillingly cold gaze. Perhaps she had really been possessed just now. To have developed the intention to kiss this man, and now that everything was exposed, her face was now filled only with embarrassment and shame. Wen Yu-ting didn't deny it, nor did she offer any explanation. She just silently turned and left the break room immediately. Even as she walked past Song Xin-yu, she didn't utter a single word. She didn't even bother to glance at him. Song Xin-yu's heart felt like it had been plunged into the cold depths of the ocean. Wen Yu-ting left the TV station building and got into her car. Her mood was extremely restless and uncomfortable. It felt like a devil's box had just been opened in the depths of her soul. An uncontrollable desire was about to surge intensely. She couldn't believe she had developed that desire for Gu Xian, a carnal human desire. For so many years, even when facing Song Xin-yu, she had never felt such an intense feeling, and at that very moment, the atmosphere in the break room was also extremely tense and hostile. Gu Xian, why did you seduce Wen Yu-ting? It was rare to see Song Xin-yu reveal such a strong and overpowering side in front of me. Looking at his expression, one could clearly see the jealousy and envy surrounding him. Wen Yu-ting had indeed been acting very strangely lately. Even I couldn't understand her thoughts right now. Hadn't she always been devotedly in love with Song Xin-yu? Even after learning that Song Xin-yu had used Lai Wei to frame me, she was still willing to take all the responsibility upon herself, and it seemed their relationship had not been damaged or changed in the slightest. That tolerance truly surprised me and made me take notice. I replied calmly, I was just taking a nap here. How could I possibly seduce her? Song Xin-yu, it's you. On the other hand, you better manage your own woman well. Don't let her keep bothering my life anymore. Song Xin-yu's expression was terrible right now. Wen Yu-ting hasn't had any feelings for you for a long time. Just now, she was just momentarily possessed. Don't you dare imagine that you still have a place in her heart. For all these years, she has only felt hatred for you. Don't delude yourself into thinking you two can still get back together. I gave a cold smile. It's rare to see Song Xin-yu in such a panic. It seems he has really started to feel insecure and afraid. I always thought the feelings between you two were very deep. That year, Wen Yu-ting was willing to throw everything away for you. That action really surprised me. But looking at the current situation, it seems Wen Yu-ting isn't that into you after all. I glanced at Song Xin-yu out of the corner of my eye, but I couldn't hide the biting sarcasm on my lips. Hey, Song Xin-yu, you currently have no status, no backing whatsoever. You can only cling to a little affection from Wen Yu-ting. But love is a fleeting thing that can change in the blink of an eye. Throughout all these long nights, you must have been too worried to sleep well, right? Song Xin-yu's face changed color repeatedly at my words. It seemed he was about to lose control of his emotions. The fact that I have no status, isn't it all your fault? Zhu Xian, Wen Yu-ting doesn't love you anymore. Why do you keep clinging to her like this? What will it take for you to finally sign the divorce papers with her? Right after Song Xin-yu uttered those words, my expression suddenly changed drastically. Could it be that the fact Wen Yu-ting and I never actually went to register our marriage, Wen Yu-ting still has never revealed to Song Xin-yu? Before, since her parents and relatives also didn't know, it was acceptable for Wen Yu-ting not to say anything to avoid trouble that could still be explained. After all, but now, the relationship between her and me is completely severed. Moreover, we have officially gone our separate ways. Why could Song Xin-yu still say such things? A strange glint suddenly flashed in my eyes. What on earth is Wen Yu-ting planning? It seems she doesn't love Song Xin-yu as much as everyone thinks. A strange sense of satisfaction arose in my heart, so cracks have started to appear between them. If so, I wouldn't mind making that crack even bigger. An idea to tease them a bit suddenly popped into my head, so I deliberately said, divorce? You say? That's fine. If you're so capable, then make her sign the divorce papers first. As long as she signs, I will definitely not hesitate to sign as well. I stood up and moved closer to Song Xin-yu, giving him a contemptuous smile. Song Xin-yu, let me see just how capable you are. I know Song Xin-yu's nature all too well. Once I've started the story like this, Song Xin-yu would definitely not hesitate to take the divorce papers and force Wen Yu-ting to sign them. And when that time comes, Song Xin-yu will be shocked to realize that Wen Yu-ting had been deceiving him for all these years, that there was never actually a legal marriage between her and me. At that moment, the crack between the two of them, I fear, will become as deep as the Mariana Trench. At the very least, they will have an earth-shattering argument. Just imagining that scene made me feel incredibly excited. Although I am still not sure what dirty trick Song Xin-yu used back then to drive a wedge between me and Wen Yu-ting. But what goes around comes around. The law of karma spares no one. Retribution has finally come. My mood today is exceptionally good. Especially after finishing the recording session, I received a call from Xie Qingjue. The business trip was originally scheduled to last for a week, yet she arranged to return earlier than planned. Right now, her car is already parked right outside the TV station. I just sent back 2 short words. Wait for me. And then I hastily strode out of the building to meet her. It's only been a short 3 days apart, but an indescribable sense of longing was already welling up inside me. Soon enough, I was settled in Shai Qing Xua Sports supercar. However, she wasn't the only one in the car at this time. Secretary Gao Qin was also acting as the driver, while Xia Qing Shui was sitting in the back seat. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to open the door and sit down right next to her. After all, Gao Qin already knew about our relationship. Throughout the journey, the usually taciturn Gao Qin suddenly spoke up. Mr. Gu, boss Saya, really exhausted our entire team this time. The trip was supposed to last 7 days, but she insisted on squeezing it down to just 3 days. Our entire team had to work nonstop, operating like machines for nearly 72 consecutive hours. At this rate, I am afraid our whole group will be gone soon. Gao Qin's tone was clearly meant to complain to me. It's just that I still didn't quite understand why she was telling me this. But I couldn't suppress my curiosity and asked, if the original schedule was already set like that, then why the rush? Pushing to such a life-threatening extent. Gao Qin lowered her voice and answered slowly. Because boss Xia wanted to come back early to celebrate Mr. Gus' birthday with him. Xia Qing suddenly interrupted. You talk too much. Gao Qin could only silently roll her eyes in exasperation. Clearly, these words were all instructed by boss Xia herself for her to say. She even made her rehearse them twice during the journey. I couldn't help but feel a little surprised, because my birthday is indeed in the next 2 days. Xia Qing suddenly took out a beautiful gift bag from her side. This is a birthday present for you. Your birthday is the day after tomorrow. How do you want to celebrate it? I really didn't expect Xie Qing to be so thoughtful about this, because in reality, I had never directly told her my exact birth date. I slowly began to speak. This birthday, I plan to return to the Gu family home to celebrate with Gu Haoming. On Xie Qing's face, it was clear. A fleeting look of disappointment appeared. You and that younger brother of yours, since when did your relationship become so good? I smiled faintly. There's no other way this time. I've already promised him. I took Xie Qing's hand to reassure her. Try to come back a little earlier that day. Please buy a cake. Well, eat it together. Xia Qing didn't say anything more. My current situation in the Gu family is very difficult. I also have my own hidden troubles. That night, I finally truly understood what it means for a long separation to be more passionate than the wedding night. After we were exhausted, we hugged each other and fell asleep. I suddenly realized the cool fragrance on Xie Qing's body had such a calming effect. That night, I had an extremely good sleep. But when I woke up in the morning, Xie Qing had already gone to the company. The Heaven Resort project has started. The bidding results are coming soon. And this time, it's in the form of an open bid. The higher-ups will select 3 construction companies. Then, from these 3 companies, Xie Qing will make the final decision. After all, the decision-making power is still completely in Xie Qing's hands. I also don't know if the Wen family can make it into the top 3. Meanwhile, at the Xuan building, Gao Qin placed 3 copies of the documents on Xie Qing's desk. President Xia. This is the list of construction companies selected by the government. Please take a look. Xia Qing opened the file. Finally, Xie Qing's hands stopped on the file of Haifeng Construction Company. Xie Qing spoke. Then choose Haifeng. Announce it in 3 days. Gao Qin continued. Haifeng's bid price isn't the lowest. In terms of strength and reputation, they are not as good as Manhwa from the capital. In terms of price-performance ratio, they are also not as good as Jingrui. Are you sure you want to choose Haifeng? From what I know, the quality of the projects constructed by Haifeng is still very good. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let so many projects run at a loss. Gao Qin nodded. Haifeng is indeed famous for its quality, but that is CEO Wen's working style. Currently, old CEO Wen has retired to the background, although he is still the chairman in name. But everything in the company is handled by his daughter, Wen Yue-ting. We still don't really understand this Miss Wen's way of working. Xie Qing raised an eyebrow. Then it's even more interesting. Gao Qin knew Xia Qing had made her decision and said, then I will organize a press conference in 3 days. While the two were talking, a knock suddenly sounded on the office door. Xia Qing always liked peace and quiet. It was very rare for someone to proactively knock on her office door. Usually, only Gao Qin was allowed to enter and leave President Saya's office freely. Gao Qin went to open the door and saw the planning director standing there. Gao Qin's eyebrows knitted slightly. Director Gu, what can I do for you? Gu Haoming saw that it was Gao Qin who opened the door and said with some disappointment, Secretary Gao, I am not looking for you. I am looking for President Saya. Gao Qin frowned, cursing silently in her heart. I don't even know who hired this Director Gu. He's not proactive at all in his daily work. He can't even handle small matters. Yet he keeps insisting on finding Xie Qing time and time again. She was considering firing him. Gu Haoming had no idea what Gao Qin was thinking. He had spent a large sum of money to bribe an HR manager at Shuian just to get in here, who knew half a month had already passed, and he still hadn't spoken a single word to Xia Qing. And then there was this always serious Secretary Gao, who kept preventing him from meeting Xia Qing's again and again. When he finally successfully courts Xia Qing, the first person hell fire will definitely be her. Gao Qin said coldly, this is President Xaya's office. You can't just barge in without permission. Get out. But Gu Haoming acted as if he didn't hear anything. He just barged straight in. When he saw Xia Qing sitting in her office chair, Gu Haoming's expression immediately changed to a radiant smile. Miss Xia, do you remember me? We met at old Master Zai's birthday party. Xia Qing, Shui spoke faintly. Gu Haoming, is there something? At this moment, Gao Qin walked over, ready to throw Gu Haoming out. When she heard Xia Qing's Shui call his name, her movement paused for a moment before she spoke to ask for her opinion. President Xia Qing Su's cold face was incomparably beautiful. She was originally lowering her head to sign a document. The hand holding the fountain pen, with its porcelain white skin, also looked mesmerizingly beautiful. Gu Haoming was almost staring in a daze, just a single glance, and his heart was already pounding non-stop, especially just now, when his name came from her lips. That expressive voice was like an electric current, making his whole body go numb. And of course, the most important thing was, even though they had only met once that day, and didn't even say a word to each other, yet Xia Qing Shui could accurately call out his name. What did this prove? It means that the very first time she saw him, Jie Qing Zui already had an extremely deep impression of him. Maybe she even secretly investigated him. After having that thought, Gu Haoming could barely contain the joy in his heart. As expected, Xia Qing Xu's next words further confirmed his judgment. Gao Qin, you may leave first. She didn't blame him for barging in without permission, but instead told Secretary Gao, who was stopping him, to leave. Gao Qin left the office. Xia Qing Shui looked up to observe the real young master of the Gu family, the one whose identity was swapped with mine. Mr. Gu, what do you need from me? Being stared at like that, Gu Haoming felt a little dizzy for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure and hurriedly introduced himself. President Xia, actually, I am currently working in the planning department. I took the liberty of disturbing you today. Actually, for a small, personal matter. Xia Qing Su's gaze remained calm as she looked at him, as if waiting for him to continue. Gu Haoming swallowed hard. He took an invitation card out of his bag, then mustered all his courage and walked up to Xia Qing Shu. Tomorrow is my birthday. My parents are holding a birthday party for me at the banquet hall of Yunding restaurant. I want to invite President Xia to attend my birthday party. After speaking, Gu Haoming was extremely nervous. He was really afraid that Xia Qing Shui would reject him outright, because even he himself felt that his visit today was a bit abrupt. Seeing Xia Qing Shu remain silent, his heart grew even more anxious. He hurriedly added another sentence. Previously, on the occasion of old Master Saya's birthday, our Jiu family was honored to be invited. This birthday of mine can be considered a return gift. Xia Qing Shui casually took the card. Okay, I'll be there. Gu Haoming was stunned. He himself hadn't expected that Xia Qing Shui would agree so readily. Could it be that Xia Qing Shu had really taken notice of him a long time ago, or even fell in love with him at first sight? Thinking of this, Gu Haoming's face flushed with excitement. He blushed, about to say something emotional, but Xia Qing Shui cut him off coldly. Mr. Zhu, if there's nothing else, please leave. Gu Haoming felt as if a bucket of cold water had been thrown on him. He could only mumble a reply, and then trudged out of President Saya's office. However, after stepping outside, he was still overjoyed. He boasted to everyone he met that President Xie would be at his birthday party. He even invited most of the company's employees. That evening, right after work, I received a gift box. It was something Gu Haoming had someone send over. Inside was a black silk suit. I recognized it with just a glance. This was an old suit model from years ago. Its current market value is only around 20 million, but its style was quite simple and elegant. It was indeed the style I preferred. There was also a card attached in the box. The handwriting was Gu Haoming's. These are the clothes Mom prepared for you. You must wear it. Don't disappoint Mom's good intentions. The corner of my lips curled up slightly. Gu Haoming's intention was all too clear. He was afraid I would steal his spotlight at the birthday party tomorrow night. I had no intention of competing with him for attention anyway. The next evening, I wore that suit to the banquet hall of Yunding restaurant. Today is the 23rd birthday party for me and Gu Haoming. The Gu family had invited almost all the upper class and wealthy people in the city. Of course, everyone understood the reason. It was mainly due to the recent online rumors about the discord between the real and fake young masters of the Gu family. Although the Gu family had handled this matter very discreetly at first, it's said that when Mrs. Gu gave birth, the baby was swapped by Yang Ruyun, who had also just given birth at that time. Yang Ruyun's act of swapping the two children wasn't simply so that her own son could become the young master of a wealthy family, but more importantly, it was revenge against Tin Hui Lan. The elderly madams in Rongcheng all understood. The relationship between Yang Ruyun and Qin Hui Lan was by no means ordinary. They were once the closest of friends. The story behind it is indeed very long, and it even involves the grudges of 2 generations. To put it simply, it was that Qin Hui Lan's father had an affair with Qin Hui Lan's tutor, and that tutor was Yang Ruyun's mother. That teacher even brought her own daughter, Yang Ruyun, along with her, to live, eat, and sleep with Qin Hui Lan, making the two of them become best friends. Later, when everything was exposed, Qin Hui Lan's mother was severely shocked and died of depression less than half a year later. However, Qin Hui Lan's father, less than 3 months after his wife's death, planned to marry Yang Ruyun's mother. But ironically, right before the wedding, both of them died in a car accident. If Qin Huilan's father back then had actually married Yang Ruyun's mother, then the one with a miserable life right now would surely be Qin Huilan. Everyone sighed that heaven indeed has eyes, but no one expected that the grudges of these two generations would continue on to their children's generation. It was like a cursed cycle. Later, Qin Huilan inherited the entire Qin family's fortune and then found the love of her life. In contrast, Yang Ruyun had nothing left. After losing her mother, she was forced to drop out of school and had to struggle in society from an early age, becoming an utterly ordinary person. Who would have thought that the two of them would give birth? On the same day, fate intertwined once again, and it completely upended the lives of the next generation. 3 years ago, the real young master, Gu Haoming, returned to his ancestral family. But after all, I was the child that the Gu family had cherished and raised in the palm of their hands for 20 years. So, to the outside world, I am still the eldest young master of the Gu family, while Gu Haoming is the second young master. The true relationship between this eldest and second young master remains a mystery to everyone to this day. I specially took a leave of absence from the TV station, letting other colleagues cover my shift. In the afternoon, I arrived at the banquet hall, only because Qin Huilan said she needed my help with something. When I arrived, I realized that the so-called something was Gu Haoming had too many custom-made designer suits that he didn't know which one to choose, so he made me help him choose. I couldn't care less about these petty tricks of Gu Haoming. I sat in the lounge, watching Gu Haoming right in front of me show off his suits worth hundreds of millions. Sometimes I feel that Gu Haoming is both ridiculous and pitiful. He's like a beggar who suddenly got rich overnight and is desperately trying to show off. Gu Haoming himself understands this. He grew up in such a harsh environment. He was too afraid of poverty. Now that he suddenly has everything in his hands, even though he knows that showing off is an extremely low and shameful act, he still can't control himself. I didn't bother to reply to Gu Haoming. Most of the time, I just focused on my phone. Gu Haoming saw my somewhat lonely appearance and felt very pleased with himself. He just wanted me to know that everything I once possessed had belonged to him from the very beginning, and what I have now is just something he casually bestowed upon me. In the end, Gu Haoming chose a red suit for himself. Actually, Gu Haoming's appearance isn't bad. He could be considered a handsome guy. It's just that his demeanor and aura are still a bit lacking. A moment later, the manager of the public relations department in charge of the event came over to report. The guests have almost all arrived. Mrs. Jiu and the two young masters, please come out to greet the guests. Gu Yuandong was welcoming guests outside. The reason we lingered here was because Gu Haoming wanted to make a grand and magnificent entrance. Qin Huilan, of course, could only indulge her son's wishes. Hearing that the guests had all gathered, Gu Haoming's eyes lit up with anticipation. Has Miss Saya arrived yet? Gu Haoming had specifically instructed before. Miss Xia would be attending the party. As soon as she arrived, he had to be notified immediately. The manager said with some regret, "Sir, Miss Xia hasn't arrived yet." A look of disappointment flashed through Gu Haoming's eyes. He had originally planned to wait until Xia Qing Shui was present to make a grand entrance and dazzle everyone. When I heard Xia Qing Xu's name, my eyes flickered slightly. Could it be that Gu Haoming had also invited Xia Qing Shui? Last night, Xia Qing Shui didn't mention anything about this to me. She probably won't come. Qin Huilan spoke up. The guests have all arrived. The people invited today are all influential figures in Rongqing. Don't keep everyone waiting too long. Let's go out. Gu Haoming nodded in response. Yes, Mom, let's go. The moment he stepped onto the stage, Gu Haoming vaguely heard murmurs of praise from the crowd. Just as he was feeling proud of himself, he suddenly realized that everyone seemed to be directing their compliments at me. Gu Haoming's expression immediately became extremely ugly. Are these people all blind? What's there to praise about that tattered suit of mine? However, deep down, Gu Haoming knew very well that I was indeed more handsome than him. He suddenly regretted agreeing to hold a joint birthday party with me. But very quickly, he adjusted his mood. Gu Xian, I'll let you be smug for a little longer, because tonight, you will be utterly ruined. After the three of us went down together, the lights in the banquet hall suddenly brightened. Guests also flocked to surround us. Everyone wished the two young masters a happy birthday. Today, Gu Haoming had invited many of his friends. They all crowded around him, uttering endless words of flattery. I was quickly pushed out of the center of the crowd. On the other side, Qin Huilan and Gu Yuandong were also busy receiving the important guests. I, on the other hand, quite enjoyed this leisure and proactively moved away from those social circles towards the buffet area. I conveniently took a glass of champagne from the tower, then found a sofa to rest and sip slowly, in silence. Although Gu Haoming was surrounded by a crowd, his gaze still occasionally glanced towards me. At first, when he saw me isolated and cast aside like that, he felt very smug. But soon enough, he saw that every now and then, some beautiful young girls would approach me to strike up a conversation, or ask me to dance with them. Although I politely refused them all, there was still a continuous stream of noble young ladies coming to find me. Gu Haoming's heart burned with jealousy. He really couldn't understand. In terms of status, he was the true young master of the Gu family. And in terms of attire, he was wearing custom-made designer clothes from head to toe, worth $1 billion. How could he not be better than someone dressed as simply as me? Gu Haoming suddenly had a malicious idea. He suddenly turned towards me and shouted, "Brother." I looked over at Gu Haoming. Gu Haoming gave me a radiant smile. Then he called out with an innocent look on his face, "Brother, help me get a glass of champagne over here." I put down my wine glass and conveniently picked up another glass of wine from the champagne tower, then slowly walked towards him. Before the party started, Qin Hui Lan had specifically told him that, today, the two of us had to act like loving brothers. Since Gu Haoming wanted to act, I would play along with him. As I approached with the wine glass, I heard Gu Haoming standing among a group of people and making reckless jokes about me. The fat guy next to Gu Haoming sneered. "Haoming, why does the suit he's wearing look like the kind of discounted stuff you picked up at the duty-free shop last time?" Gu Haoming glanced at me with an arrogant look. "That's right, these kinds of clothes are no different from street-side goods to me." So I just casually threw it to him to wear. That fat guy continued to mock. "He's so shameless to wear the clothes you don't use anymore. To attend such an important party? Truly shameless. After all, he was once the eldest young master of the Gu family. Doesn't he even have a single decent set of clothes?" Gu Haoming sneered. "What kind of eldest young master is he? My parents stopped acknowledging him long ago. It's because he's shamelessly clinging to my family and won't leave. Now, in my house, his status is not even equal to a servant's." The people around looked at me with contempt. He must be reluctant to part with the glory and wealth of the Gu family. Truly a shameless person. Gu Haoming looked at me with a challenging gaze. "Just forget about him. Anyway, it's just like keeping a pet dog at home. Look how obedient he is. He does whatever he's told immediately." The crowd around Gu Haoming burst into delighted laughter. Their voices were not quiet at all, as if they were intentionally saying it to my face. But the expression on my face didn't change in the slightest. I just silently continued walking with the champagne glass until I was right in front of Gu Haoming. Gu Haoming was sure that on a grand occasion like today, I would absolutely not dare to embarrass him. Otherwise, Qin Hui Lan wouldn't let me off. Therefore, he pushed further, starting to insult me without restraint. "Brother, my shoes are dirty. Help me clean them. Okay?" With that said, he stuck one of his feet out right in front of me, and then reached out to take the wine glass from my hand. He intended to sip his wine, while enjoying the scene of me having to bend over and clean his shoes. He even signaled for someone next to him to record it with their phone. I remained silent, appearing very obedient as I handed the wine glass to him. However, just as Gu Haoming's hand was about to touch the glass, I suddenly held the wine glass with both hands and slowly poured the wine from the glass onto the floor in a long, straight line. I just calmly poured all the wine onto the ground. The wine from the glass splattered in a line on the floor and was quickly absorbed by the carpet because Gu Haoming had stuck one of his feet out earlier. When I made that wine-splashing motion, half the glass of wine poured directly onto the top of his foot. Gu Haoming almost screamed in anger. The shoes he was wearing today were originally custom-made with great effort, taking 2 months to complete.